Chapter 140. I say, young Master Lu, is there something wrong with your brain? I'm frying Wuxia in the morning market. How would I know if she has woken up? Besides, I'm in the same villa with her. It's not the same room, let alone the same floor. How would I know? If she wakes up and doesn't leave the house, I won't know. Xiaoqin said angrily. Yes. I'm sorry. I'll ask myself. Lu Zhiming listened to Xiaoqin's words and laughed instead of being angry. This just proved that the relationship between Xiaoqin and Cheng Minjing wasn't close at all. The relationship between the two was just that of a master and a servant. Xiaoqin hung up the phone directly. He was now a cultivator at the 4th level of the Qi refinement stage, so his words were quite tough. At least he wouldn't be bullied by others like before. After Lu Zhiming called Xiaoqin, he dialed Cheng Minjing's phone number directly. However, the phone rang a few times but no one picked up. Even when it was automatically cut off, no one picked up. However, Lu Zhiming persevered and dialed a second time. This time, the phone didn't ring for long before Cheng Minjing picked up, but Lu Zhiming's ears were almost deafened. Lu Zhiming, do you want to die? You're disturbing my sleep so early in the morning. Do you want to die? Cheng Minjing had a stomachache and wanted to sleep in, but the phone kept ringing. After ringing once, she thought it would stop ringing, but it didn't take long for it to start ringing again. Cheng Minjing had no choice but to take the phone and look at the caller ID. She suddenly exploded in anger. Lu Zhiming realized that he was a bit stupid. Today was Saturday and he went to school as a normal day. The result was a tragedy. However, the call had already been made, so he could only bite the bullet and say, "That? Miss Cheng, I want to treat you to breakfast. Do you want me to pick you up at your house?" Cheng Minjing was woken up and she couldn't sleep anymore. She thought that the youqiao yesterday was really delicious, so her attitude was a little better. Alright, I'll forget about it for the sake of eating youqiao. I'm going to inspect my servants. Okay, then I'll go to Qianhua Shuibian district now. Lu Zhiming knew that Cheng Minjing lived in Qianhua Shuibian district, but he didn't know the specific address. Wait at the entrance of the villa. I'm looking for Bei Bei, Cheng Minjing said. Ah, you're still looking for Jean Bei Bei? Lu Zhiming's face immediately turned bitter. What? You don't want to treat Bei Bei? Cheng Minjing's tone changed. Of course not. The more people, the merrier. Lu Zhiming said in a hurry. It seemed that he had to be more careful in the future not to show his dissatisfaction toward Jean Bei Bei. Otherwise, it would be even less likely that Cheng Minjing would fall in love with him. Then wait for me. Cheng Minjing would not have bothered to talk to Lu Zhiming if she were not going to eat youqiao. However, when she recalled that the youqiao that Xiaoqin fried yesterday was very delicious after being seasoned, she held back her displeasure and went to Lu Zhiming's car. Lu Zhiming waited at the entrance of Qianhua Shuibian district for almost an hour before he finally saw Jean Bei Bei's Panamera passing by. Lu Zhiming hurried to get out of the car and shouted, "Hey, Jean Bei Bei." However, Jean Bei Bei did not respond to him at all. The car disappeared in the blink of an eye. He had intended to follow Jean Bei Bei to learn Cheng Minjing's address, but his plan was ruined. He could only ask Xiaoqin another day. After another half an hour, when Lu Zhiming was about to turn into a fossil, he saw Jean Bei Bei's Panamera driving out again. "Minjing, you're here. Why don't you get in my car?" Lu Zhiming hurried to get out of the car and made a gesture for her to get in. "Didn't you know that cousin Minjing's relative is here today? Why did you ask her to get out of the car when it's inconvenient for her to move? You'll be covered in blood later." Jean Bei Bei bared her teeth at Lu Zhiming. Well? Lu Zhiming was dazed for a moment. He immediately felt embarrassed. No wonder Cheng Minjing was in such a bad temper today. He nodded in a hurry and said, "All right. I'll lead the way." "Bei Bei, why did you tell everyone about it? How could you tell an outsider about it?" Cheng Minjing frowned. She was a little angry that Jean Bei Bei told Lu Zhiming her private affairs. However, she forgot that she had just told Xiaoqin yesterday. Or rather, she was already used to Xiaoqin's presence in the villa and did not regard him as an outsider anymore. I didn't think that much," Jean Bei Bei said with a smile. "Right? Can I stay at your place tonight? It's the weekend." "Okay. You can keep me company." Cheng Minjing nodded. 2 cars appeared on the morning market street one after the other. However, Jean Bei Bei parked her car at the roadside at the entrance of the morning market street and didn't drive further inside. Naturally, Lu Zhiming didn't dare to barge in. Although his car plate number was Super Awesome 001, Lu Zhiming swaggered in front to clear the way. Because of Cheng Minjing's special situation, he was afraid that someone would bump into Cheng Minjing. He was a qualified escort. However, Cheng Minjing did not even look at him. In fact, Cheng Minjing looked down on a gangster like him even more than the foppish young master Xiao Chen. The three of them arrived at Xiao Chen's breakfast stall. When Lu Jiming was about to cut the queue to buy something, someone behind him objected, "Hey, what are you doing? Line up at the back." F***. Lu Jiming was about to curse, but he remembered that this was Xiao Chen's breakfast stall. He could not cause trouble. Perhaps all the people who knew him yesterday were not here. Besides, he had changed his clothes and did not drive in, so no one recognized him as the super awesome young master who dared to bump into red hair yesterday. Therefore, Lu Jiming hesitated for a moment and was about to leave. Suddenly, a shopper recognized him and hurriedly said to the unwilling shopper, "Don't shout. You can't mess with this person. He was the one who wanted to bump into red hair yesterday. You have offended him. What if he kills you later?" What? That ruthless man? Obviously, the shopper had also heard the gossip yesterday. At this time, he shrank his neck and did not dare to speak. The others did the same. Lu Jiming laughed and felt that he was quite awesome. He greeted Xiao Chen in high spirits. "Good morning, Xiao Chen. Help us make some breakfast." Xiao Chen nodded without saying anything. Tang Tang filled a plate of fried dough sticks and 3 bowls of soybean milk for him. When Lu Jiming was about to take it away, he heard Xiao Chen say, "Wait, where's the money?" It was not that Lu Jiming did not want to give it, but he forgot. So he hurriedly took out 100 yuan and handed it to Tang Tang. "Including tomorrow's money. Today's money may not be enough." Xiao Chen did not wait for Tang Tang to speak and directly replied to him. Lu Jiming was stunned. "I can't eat so much, can I? You don't need me to talk to Jean Bebe later? Is the service charge free?" Speaking of this, Xiao Chen shrugged and said, "Fine, I won't go." "No? Then the service charge. I will add another 100 yuan. You must come soon." Lu Jiming took out another 100 yuan and handed it to Tang Tang. Tang Tang was stunned. She took the money and thought, "This Lu Jiming actually listens to Xiao Chen now?" Looking at Xiao Chen's reaction, is he going to give up on Cheng Minjing? Does he not like Cheng Minjing anymore? It's impossible. If he doesn't like her, why does he continue to be her servant? Perhaps Xiao Chen knows that he has no hope, so he does this. Thinking of this, Tang Tang felt some sympathy for Xiao Chen, but she also felt a little indignant. Since Cheng Minjing had no future with Xiao Chen, she should not give him hope and let him have expectations. At about 10 o'clock, the people who came to buy fried dough sticks gradually decreased. The next peak was after 11 o'clock. Xiao Chen fried a lot of fried dough sticks, which was enough for Tang Tang to sell. So he turned around and walked to Lu Jiming. "Oh, Xiao Chen, you're finally here." Lu Jiming was very anxious. Just now he sat in front of Cheng Minjing and Jean Bebe like a fool. The two of them were chattering and Lu Jiming did not understand a word. He could only play with his mobile phone in boredom. However, it was worth praising that he finally succeeded in adding the WeChat ID of Fishman2 Urine 22, and sent 100 messages to him sincerely. "Hello Fishman2, I'm your loyal fan. My name is Lu Jiming. Can you arrange a role for me in your novel? It'd be better if it has a high appearance rate and is very awesome." Then he quietly waited for the reply, hoping that he could get what he wanted. In this way Cheng Minjing could see his awesome deeds. He imagined that one day when Cheng Minjing watched Campus Belle's Bodyguard, she suddenly found that there was a very awesome person named Lu Jiming in the novel. Wow, he was so cool. "Why haven't you eaten yet?" Xiao Chen glanced at the fried dough sticks and soybean milk in front of Lu Jiming, which had not been touched. Well, Lu Jiming was too embarrassed to eat just now. Since Cheng Minjing and Jean Bebe were eating and chatting, it would be too boring for him to eat alone. He wanted to wait for Xiao Chen to come and eat together. But before he finished, the fried dough sticks and soybean milk in front of him were snatched away by Xiao Chen. "If you don't eat, I'll eat." Xiao Chen took it and started to eat. Lu Jiming took a deep breath and said with a bitter face, "I'm waiting for you to eat. I haven't eaten yet." "Oh." Xiao Chen answered and did not move, continuing to eat. "But what I mean is, you ate my breakfast, what should I do?" Lu Jiming hated Xiao Chen to the core. This guy was truly invincible when he was shameless. "Don't you know how to buy more?" Xiao Chen asked. Damn it. Lu Jiming had no choice but to stand up and buy fried dough sticks again. Lin Ke was no longer busy on her side, so she quickly cooked 2 bowls of noodles and ran over to Tang Tang and Xiao Chen. Lin was afraid that the noodles would become soft and not taste good, so she trotted all the way to Xiao Chen's breakfast stand. When she was about to reach Xiao Chen's breakfast stand, a person suddenly rushed out from the side and bumped into her. The 2 bowls of noodles were directly splashed on that person. Chapter 141. Ah. Kerlin was shocked and stopped. She looked at the man with pockmarks on his face and looked very fierce. She was a little dumbfounded. I'm sorry, D*M, little girl, do you have eyes? Why are you running so fast? Are you rushing to reincarnate? Do you know that your basketball brother, I, is going to find a partner? How can I find a partner with you all over me? The fierce man pointed at Kerlin and shouted, Hurry up and pay up. How much money? Kerlin took 2 steps back in horror. She grabbed the corner of her clothes helplessly and didn't dare to look up at the fierce macho man. It's not my fault. It's you ran diagonally. What? You're still in the right after bumping into someone? You should be careful when you walk with noodles. Why are you blaming me? Zheng Qianzhu was the instructor of a nearby dojo. He used to be a hooligan. When he had nothing to do, he also liked to extort and force girls into prostitution. He had set his eyes on Lin Ke just now, so he purposely created such a show. Basketball brother, this little girl looks like a waitress who delivers food. Your clothes are branded goods. It's the Aster Imperial brand. It's 400 to 500 yuan. I don't think she can afford it. At this time, one of Zheng Qianzhu's followers came over. This person was also a coach in the martial arts dojo. He usually hung out with Zheng Qianzhu. His name was Wei Ji and he was also a gangster. What should we do? We can't just let it go, right? Zheng Qianzhu glared at Kerlin. How about this? Little girl, you sleep with our basketball brother for a night and we'll let this matter go. 400 to 500 yuan can be used to find a very high-class lady. You see, if you can, then come with us. If you can't, then you have to pay up. Wei Ji pretended to be very kind and said, Ah. Kerlin's face turned pale and she bit her lips subconsciously. You can't blame me? Besides, I didn't mean it. I think this condition is fine. Hurry up and choose. Don't waste time. Zheng Baiqiu threatened. Otherwise, hurry up and compensate me for my clothes. Lu Zhiming quickly ran to Tang Tang to buy breakfast, but he slipped halfway and fell on his butt. When he got up to take a look, he guessed that it was a pile of watery noodles. No wonder he slipped and fell. He immediately flew into a rage. Mother Kerr, who threw noodles on the ground. Hence, when he turned his head to take a look, he discovered Lin Ke was weakly holding onto a plate of noodles, and in front of her stood 2 burly men. Although he didn't know what they were doing, Lu Zhiming wasn't stupid. He was sure that the spilled noodles on the ground had something to do with these 3 people. Do you want to die? Lu Zhiming pointed at the 3 of them and said angrily, Didn't you throw the noodles on the ground and ignore them? Don't you think you're screwed? He didn't know if Cheng Minjing saw this funny scene, so in order to save his face, he must give an explanation. Tang Tang also saw that Kerlin had a dispute with someone, but she was being called a fried dough stick. She couldn't just ignore the customers in front of her and rush over, right? Fortunately, they hadn't fought yet. It was just a quarrel. Tang Tang still had time. However, before Tang Tang could get there, Lu Zhiming had already started to fight with the 3 men. Hey Xiaoqin, isn't that your little lover over there? She's being bullied. Don't you want to go and see? Cheng Minjing also saw Kerlin. When she saw her coming with 2 bowls of noodles, she wasn't very happy. This Xiaoqin is already down and out, and he still has the mood to continue to hook up with Kerlin? What is he thinking? However, although she was unhappy, she was a kind person. When she saw Kerlin being bullied, she still couldn't sit back and do nothing. Cheng Minjing saw it, so did Xiaoqin. When he was about to go over, he saw that Lu Zhiming had a conflict with them first. Xiaoqin patted his forehead. This Lu Zhiming is really a troublemaker. He can cause trouble wherever he goes. However, it seems that he's not bad. Where are you from? Zheng Qianzhu didn't expect that someone would come out of nowhere, but he didn't dare to go too far. The arrogant young man in front of him had an obvious martial artist's aura. Others couldn't see it, but Zheng Qianzhu certainly knew. Although Zheng Qianzhu was the coach of the martial arts club, he didn't even have the first level of internal force. Although the owner of their martial arts club was somewhat powerful, he was just an ordinary coach. He couldn't reach the level of a martial artist at all. Therefore, even if Lu Zhiming wasn't a martial artist, he had the aura of a martial artist. His strength should be on par with Zheng Qianzhu. Kerlin, are you okay? Xiaoqin also walked over quickly at this time and took the tray from Kerlin's hand. Lu Zhiming was slightly stunned. He directly turned around and slapped Zheng Qianzhu's face. Mother Kerr. How dare you hit Xiaoqin's woman? I think you don't want to live anymore. After that, Lu Zhiming slapped Zheng Qianzhu left and right. He vented his anger on Zheng Qianzhu's face. Lu Zhiming did this for a reason. He was obviously announcing that there was a relationship between Kerlin and Xiaoqin. Although Xiao Qin had Tang Tang was still too ugly. He was afraid that Xiao Qin and Qing Menjing would revive. Although this possibility seemed very small, Lu Jinming was also afraid. Therefore when he shouted, Qing Menjing must have seen it too. Then she would not have anything to do with Xiao Qin and take precautions in advance. On the other hand, it was also to tell Xiao Qin how good he was to him, how much he protected him, and how he would help him when there was trouble. In this way it would be more convenient for him to ask Zheng Qianzhu to help him pursue Qing Menjing in the future. However, Lu Jinming underestimated Zheng Qianzhu's strength. Zheng Qianzhu was also a master of internal force. Although he had not reached the martial artist realm, he was not weaker than Lu Jinming. He was stunned by Lu Jinming before. When he came back to his senses, he fought with Lu Jinming. It was reasonable to say that his strength was similar to Lu Jinming's, so Lu Jinming would not be at a disadvantage. However, Wei Ji next to him, although his strength was not as good as Zheng Qianzhu, he was also a coach of the martial arts club. When he helped from the side, Lu Jinming began to be at a disadvantage. After a few blows, Lu Jinming was beaten black and blue. He had to shout, "Xiao Qin, come and help me. I can't take it anymore." Okay, I'm coming. Only now did Xiao Qin pretend to come to his senses. He ran over and kicked Wei Ji to the ground. Then he fiercely kicked Wei Ji's butt. Wei Ji let out a blood-curdling scream and felt that his anus had already prolapsed. Lu Jinming knew Xiao Qian's strength. Although he was not a martial artist, his strength was not weak. Therefore Xiao Qin really had to help at this moment, even though he enjoyed watching Lu Jinming getting beaten up. Without the pressure from Wei Ji, Lu Jinming was still slightly stronger than Zheng Qianzhu. He quickly completed the counterattack and began to beat Zheng Qianzhu. Soon Zheng Qianzhu's head was beaten like a basketball. Kerlin was dumbfounded by the sight. She was so scared that her whole body was trembling. Xiao Qin and his friend are too violent, right? In the past, although he was a playboy and was respected, he was not so ruthless. Has he become a big demon now? Kerlin began to fear Xiao Qin even more. Phew. Lu Jinming was tired and let out a long breath. He said fiercely, "You blind fools, I'm tired. Otherwise, I'll beat you into a vegetable today." Very good. Zheng Qianzhu's eyes were red, but he also knew that a wise man knew better than to fight when the odds were against him. The two people in front of him were not martial artists, but they were not weak. If he wanted to take revenge now, he would undoubtedly humiliate himself. However, when had he ever suffered such a loss? He pointed at Lu Jinming and Xiao Qian and said, "I'll remember you. You sell Youqiao here, right? Very good. You dare to beat up people from the Chao clan dojo. You're dead." With that, Zheng Qianzhu pulled Wei Ji and limped away. At least he did not lose face. If he looked for trouble later, it would be considered revenge. What Chao clan dojo? Even if you are from the Chao clan dojo, I will still beat you up. I'm from Zhangfei dojo. Lu Jinming curled his lips. Although his face was injured, he was still in a good mood. At least he won in the end. However, Xiao Qian's expression changed. He looked at Lu Jinming in shock. "Young Master Lu, it's over. We've caused trouble this time. We've caused big trouble." "What's the big trouble? Didn't I just beat up two idiots?" Lu Jinming did not care. "This Chao clan dojo is very powerful. It's nearby. They left today, but they said they would not let me go. If they bring people to trouble me, what should I do?" Xiao Qin smiled bitterly. "If that happens, I can only run. Young Master Lu, you will have to fight alone in the future. I can't help you anymore." "Don't?" Lu Jinming didn't want Xiao Qin to run away. Now it was good to have Xiao Qin as an insider. If there was no Xiao Qin, it would be difficult for him to pursue Qing Menjing. So he quickly said, "Don't worry. Don't forget what our Lu family does. If we talk about the dojo, then we are the ancestors. Xiao Qin, don't worry. I will get someone to flatten them now." "That's great. Thank you, young Master Lu." Xiao Qin let out a sigh of relief with a look of lingering fear. Lu Jinming waved his hand and dialed Lei Dianfeng's phone directly. "Young Master Ming, do you have any instructions?" Lei Dianfeng picked up the phone and asked. "It's like this. Near the Morning Market Street there is a Chao clan dojo. Bring a few more masters and destroy them for me," Lu Jinming ordered directly. Lei Dianfeng was stunned. How did this dojo provoke young Master Ming? What is their background? Why don't we investigate first before we make a move? Investigate what? Hurry up, don't delay my plan to pick up girls. Lu Jinming said impatiently, a few coaches who haven't even reached the first level of inner force. What background can they have? Besides, did they inform us when they opened a dojo? After you destroy them, tell them that I, Lu Jinming, destroyed them. Chapter 142. Okay, I got it. Young Master Ming, I will bring someone over in a while. Lei Dianfeng responded. Okay. It's done. Xiaoqin, don't worry. This afternoon, the Chao's martial arts school will no longer exist. Lu Jinming said proudly, did you see how much I protected you? We are good brothers in the future. If I have something to do, you can't ignore it. Just now, didn't I take the risk of revenge to help you? Xiaoqin said. And that's right. Lu Jinming nodded after listening. Okay, then let's go back for breakfast. Wait for me. I will buy some food. No need. This meal is on me. Xiaoqin waved his hand generously. Okay. Although Lu Jinming looked very happy, he secretly cursed in his heart. Just one meal. Will I have to spend money in the future? What a stingy person. But it's fine. He's not stingy and doesn't love money. I can't buy him. He asked Tang Tang to prepare some breakfast for Lu Jinming. Xiaoqin came to Kerlin's side. Are you okay? Kerlin's body was actually splashed with a lot of soup, but it wasn't serious. However, when she saw Xiaoqin coming over, her heart was beating fast and she took 2 steps back. I'm okay. Kerlin was afraid of Xiaoqin. Why is he scarier and more brutal than before? It's good that you're okay. Xiaoqin didn't know that Kerlin was afraid of him. He thought that she was scared by Zheng Qichuan just now. Ahem, Xiaoqin, bring me a bowl of soy milk. Qing Minjing's voice sounded. She didn't know why, but when she saw Xiaoqin and Kerlin talking, she was angry. Very angry. Damn Xiaoqin. All right. Xiaoqin agreed and nodded to Kerlin. Then he said to Tang Tang, Tang Tang, help her get some fried dough sticks and soy milk and some tofu pudding. Anyway, there are a lot of them. Yes, it's ready. Tang Tang handed a bag of breakfast to Kerlin. How can I? Kerlin looked at what Tang Tang handed over and felt a little embarrassed to take it. Take it. I still have business here. Tang Tang smiled. Then, I'll bring you 2 bowls of noodles later. 5 bowls? Kerlin thought of Lu Jinming, Qing Minjing, and Jin Beibei. Lu Jinming had just helped him. Although this person was cruel, he still helped him. How could he not help him? And Qing Minjing's presence here made Kerlin feel a little strange. Didn't Xiaoqin break off the engagement with her? Why are they together again? Or did they resume the engagement? Alas, I really don't understand the affairs of these big families. It seems that Xiaoqin just wants to fool around with me. He still wants to be with Qing Minjing, a lady from a respectable family. Thinking of this, Kerlin lowered her head and left. Although Jin Beibei didn't know her, she subconsciously thought that she was Lu Jinming's girlfriend. Tang Tang was a little surprised to see that Kerlin's mood suddenly turned gloomy. A touch of thought flashed across her face. Does she like Xiaoqin? It doesn't seem so. Tang Tang couldn't figure out Kerlin's real thoughts. Xiaoqin filled a bowl of soy milk with extra ingredients for Qing Minjing and Jin Beibei. The 2 of them drank it happily. Although Lu Jinming had never drunk such delicious soy milk, the current soy milk tasted very good. Xiaoqin, your taste is very high now. You can even go to a 5-star restaurant to cook breakfast. Just to make a living. You haven't drunk it before, so you think it's delicious, said Xiaoqin. That's true. I didn't eat these roadside stalls at all before. Lu Jinming thought so and nodded. By the way, Xiaoqin, is that pretty girl your little lover? Yes. When we were in number 1 middle school, Xiaoqin didn't like me and always pestered Kerlin. Before Xiaoqin denied it, Qing Minjing said fiercely. Xiaoqin was stunned. Did I offend her? But thinking of her special situation today, it was normal for her to have a bad temper, so he didn't explain further. I see. Lu Jinming was overjoyed. Xiaoqin didn't like Qing Minjing before? That's great. I don't have to worry that he will steal her one day. It seems that Xiaoqin is really a playboy. But if I were not a loyal fan of Minjing, I would also be tempted. Kerlin is really a rare little beauty. Xiaoqin didn't know how to answer. Just at this time his phone rang. Xiaoqin was relieved. Otherwise, it would be hard for him to answer. He picked up the phone and glanced at the caller ID. It was Qin Jinping. If it was normal times, he would be quite annoyed with Qin Jinping. At this time he was very happy. Little Pingzi, what's the matter? Xiaoqin, about the racing, have you thought about it? If it's okay, I will sign you up for the competition and leave a place for you. Otherwise, you also know that the mountain road of Fighting Dragon Mountain is overcrowded on weekends. Qin Jinping answered the phone and said straightforwardly. I see, but I don't have money. Although the bonus is generous, I heard that I have to pay a deposit of 200,000 yuan. I don't have that much money. When Xiao Qin saw that Qin Jinping was so active, he knew that it was not a good thing. This deposit is not a problem. I can lend it to you. If you win, it will be yours. If you lose, I won't ask for it. Qin Jinping said. How can you lend it to me? Xiao Qin asked. Then it is yours. Qin Jinping didn't expect that he would lose another 200,000 yuan. He had to reimburse Chao Yuliang later. Okay. Then wait for me tonight. Xiao Qin said. Okay. Xiao Qin, don't forget to drive. The Porsche 991 is not bad. Qin Jinping reminded him. That is Jean Bei's car. I'm not sure if she will lend it to me. Let's talk about it later. Xiao Qin said perfunctorily. Okay, I will wait for you. Qin Jinping curled his lips and thought, you will definitely lose if you drive a Porsche 991. If you drive a worse car, you will definitely lose. How about you lend me a car? Xiao Qin said suddenly. Ah. Qin Jinping was stunned. To be honest, it was not that he couldn't lend it to Xiao Qin. But the most important thing was that he had to kill Xiao Qin in the race. If he lent his car to Xiao Qin, there would be a problem. First of all, he didn't want his car to be gone forever. After all, if he wanted to kill Xiao Qin, his car might be destroyed and he would be killed. Second, if Xiao Qin's car was destroyed and he was killed, wouldn't he be suspected if he drove the car he borrowed? Qin Jinping didn't want to do such a strenuous and unrewarding thing. Well, young Master Xiao, you also know that both of my cars have been tricked by Jean Bei. How can I still have a car? I still have an old sports car. Its performance is not good. It was left by my brother. A dead man's car is so unlucky. Qin Jinping tried to excuse himself. Then forget it. Xiao Qin didn't mean it. However, his question further confirmed Xiao Qin's speculation. The two of them were probably going to kill him. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so reluctant to give up a car. His second thought was the same as that of Qin Jinping. He was afraid that his car would be destroyed and he would be killed. He suspected that they had done something to the car. Otherwise, why would Qin Jinping be reluctant to give up his brother's broken car? Since he had given up 200,000 yuan, the broken car might not even be worth 200,000 yuan. Cousin-in-law, are you going to race? I want to go too. Jean Bei heard what Qin Jinping said on the other side of the phone and shouted with great interest. Lu Zhenming rolled his eyes. If Jean Bei went, Qing Minjing would definitely go too. That would be a great opportunity for a date at night. However, the premise was that Xiao Qin had to agree to go. Therefore he said in a hurry, Wow Xiao Qin, I have a car at home. If you don't have one, I can lend it to you. It's a modified one. I also have Jean Bei's car. With the help of Jean Bei's luck, we will definitely win. Jean Bei said. Qin Jinping was a little speechless when he heard that. F*** CK Xiao Qin's popularity is pretty good? So many people wanted to borrow his car? Who was that man? Why did Xiao Qin recruit another lackey? Also that Jean Bei's car is F** King mine. Okay. See you tonight, Xiao Qin said to Qin Jinping. After hanging up, Jean Bei was extremely excited. Cousin-in-law, I want to go too. Take me with you. I like the feeling of speed. Okay. Xiao Qin nodded. Cousin Minjing, cousin-in-law has agreed. Why don't you go with me? Asked Jean Bei. Oh, okay. Seeing that Jean Bei was going, Qing Minjing found it inappropriate to refuse. I'll go too. I'll protect you. If there are any idiots, I'll take care of them for you. Lu Zhenming volunteered. You want to go too? Little Lu, I have a mission for you. If you finish it, I'll take you with me, said Jean Bei. What is it? Bei, tell me. I'll do it. Lu Zhenming said in a hurry. Help me maintain Jean Bei's car. Also check and modify it. We're going to have a race tonight. She has to be in her best condition, said Jean Bei. After all, maintaining, checking, and modifying the car would cost a lot of time and money. Jean Bei was not willing to do it. Fortunately, a free coolie had come to her. Well, it's a piece of cake. Lu Zhenming said, don't worry. Our car will definitely be the best at night. As the few of them were talking, they saw Lin Ke carrying 5 bowls of noodles over. Her petite figure was completely blocked by the large tray. If one did not look carefully, one would think that the 5 bowls of noodles had floated over from the sky. Let me help you. Xiao Qin stood up in a hurry. He walked over and took over the big tray from Lin's hands. You made so much. Yes. There are 5 of us, right? I made 5 servings. Lin nodded. She looked at Xiao Qin a bit evasively. She was still a bit afraid of Xiao Qin. Chapter 143. Well, let's try your craft. Xiao Qin took the 5 bowls of noodles from the tray one by one, and then returned the tray to Kerlin and said, "Let Tang Tang help you pack some fried dough twists or something. Let's go back for lunch." "No, no need." Kerlin shook her head quickly. Then I'll go first." After she finished speaking, Lin Kerr looked as if she was escaping. She quickly picked up the tray and was about to return. However, she was grabbed by Tang Tang and stuffed a bag of fried dough twists and sesame balls into her hands. She said, "Go back and have a taste. In order to deliver noodles to us, you were almost framed. No matter what, I have to show my gratitude." "Then, thank you, sister." Kerlin took the bag and thanked Tang Tang with a sweet smile. "Go back, Sister Lin. Be careful on the road." Tang Tang waved her hand to her. This little girl was really weak. Tang Tang felt a little sorry for her and was afraid that someone would bully her. Some people come out to do odd jobs during work, but they also go to pick up girls. Do you think I don't exist? Cheng Menjing waited for Xiao Chen to sit down, then glared at him and said, "Pick up the noodles and treat me to it, then I will forgive you." "Okay." Xiao Chen was a little speechless. "If you want to eat spiced noodles, just say it. Why do you have to make so many excuses?" Xiao Chen picked up the noodles in front of Cheng Menjing and handed it to Cheng Menjing again and said, "Miss, please enjoy." "That's more like it." Cheng Menjing took the noodles and nodded with satisfaction. Lu Zhiming sighed watching from the side. Xiao Chen used to be a young master. Even if he offended the Cheng family, he didn't need to torture him like this, right? However, between Cheng Menjing and Xiao Chen, he naturally preferred Cheng Menjing. At this time, it was not appropriate for him to say anything. Anyway, if Xiao Chen was willing to lose face, then so be it. "Cousin-in-law, I also want VIP service," Jean Bebe said as she pointed at the board in front of her. "All right." Xiao Chen picked up the noodles and handed them to Jean Bebe. Only then did she happily take them and eat them. Finally, when Xiao Chen sat down, Lu Zhenming patted his shoulder and said, "I say, Xiao Chen, it seems that being a servant is not easy. Are you like this every day?" "More or less. I'll get used to it." Xiao Chen nodded and ate the noodles indifferently. To be honest, the noodles tasted good, especially the spicy chili. Seeing that Xiao Chen and the others were enjoying the noodles, Lu Zhenming also took a bite. As soon as he ate it, he was so spicy that he shouted, "Damn, why is it so spicy?" Lu Zhenming didn't like chili. The soup of the noodles was not very red, but he didn't expect it to be so spicy. It was so spicy. "Little Lu, it seems that you and Cousin Menjing have different taste. Then let's not eat together in the future." "Cousin Menjing and I both like Sichuan cuisine," Jean Bebe said. I like it too. I like it a lot. I like it a lot." Lu Zhenming quickly grinned. "I like chili the most. Don't you know? I often eat steamed buns with chili." "Really? That's great." Jean Bebe threw all the chili in her bowl into Lu Zhenming's bowl. Then she threw all the chili that was floating on the edge of Cheng Menjing's bowl into Lu Zhenming's bowl. Cheng Menjing had only eaten the spinach on the noodles and hadn't touched the noodles yet. So she didn't touch the chili at all. Lu Zhenming didn't mind it and Jean Bebe didn't care about it either. Instantly, there were more than 10 chili in Lu Zhenming's bowl. Well, Lu Zhenming was dumbfounded. He felt like slapping himself in the face. Why did he brag so much? Did he make a mistake? However, he couldn't say that he didn't want to eat it. He could only say, "I'll eat it slowly. Little Lu, you won't dislike Cousin Menjing and me, will you? Why don't you eat it?" Although Jean Bebe said so, in fact, neither she nor Cheng Menjing had touched the chili. "Of course not. I'm more than happy to eat it. Why would I dislike it? I'll eat it. I'll eat it now." Lu Zhenming took a deep breath and encouraged himself. It was the chili that Cheng Menjing had eaten before. The goddess had eaten it before. It must be delicious with the help of love. Although he knew that Cheng Menjing had never touched the chili with her chopsticks. Wow! Lu Zhenming's face turned green immediately after he ate a chili. However, he had to pretend that it was delicious. Yes, it's delicious. The chili is delicious. Eat more if you like it," Jean Bebe said with a smile. "Yes, I'm eating it," Lu Zhenming said. After a few more bites, Lu Zhenming couldn't stand it anymore. He felt that he was burning and smoking. He hurried to say, "It's getting late. There's a match in the evening. I'd better go get my car serviced." "Oh, all right. What a waste of the chili," Jean Bebe said regretfully. "How about I pack it up for you? You can eat it while watching the match. Match with chili. You'll be happy for the whole night." "Well, the noodles must be soft at night. They won't taste good. Forget it." Lu Zhenming almost cried. Match with chili? Happy for the whole night? He was going to cry all night. Then forget it. Cousin Minjing hates people who waste food, Jean Bebe said as she handed the car key to Lu Jinming. Okay, pack it up. Lu Jinming gnashed his teeth and said, Little Lu, you are truly a model of thrift. Jean Bebe ran to take out a food bag and poured Lu Jinming's noodles into it. I'll take care of it for you tonight. Thank you. Lu Jinming took a deep breath and gave his car key to Jean Bebe. Then he quickly disappeared. Bebe, he won't die from the spiciness, will he? Qing Minjing was a little worried. Although she didn't like Lu Jinming, she didn't want him to die. Don't worry. He won't die, Jean Bebe said. All right. Qing Minjing finished the noodles and said to Xiao Qin, Bebe and I will go back first. Okay. See you tonight. Xiao Qin nodded. He had to fry the dough sticks until the afternoon. There was still a lot of business to do. After Qing Minjing and Jean Bebe left, Xiao Qin went to sell the dough sticks and Tang Tang came to eat the noodles. When she finished the noodles, it was time for lunch again. Hey, are you going to take part in the car race tonight? Tang Tang had overheard the conversation. Yes, I'll go and have a look. Anyway, I can make money, Xiao Qin nodded and said. Then be careful. Forget it if it's dangerous, Tang Tang reminded him. Don't worry. I'm not a kid, Xiao Qin said with a smile. Tang Tang didn't say anything else. She didn't say that she was going to go in the evening. On the one hand, she had to open the stall until the evening. On the other hand, since Qing Minjing and Jean Bebe were going, it was inappropriate for her to join them. In the afternoon, Xiao Qin said goodbye to Tang Tang and went back to prepare for the car race. The race at night was like a hongmen banquet, but Xiao Qin had to go. Sometimes, guesses were just guesses. Only when they saw it would they be sure. Coincidentally, when Xiao Qin was on his way home, he saw Lu Jinming, who had come to deliver the car, at the entrance of the neighborhood by the Lead Hua River. Young Master Xiao, I've maintained the car. How is it? When are we leaving? I'll give them a call. Xiao Qin nodded and dialed Qing Minjing's number. He told her that he and Lu Jinming were waiting at the gate of the residential area. This time they arrived quickly. In less than 10 minutes, Lu Jinming's Land Rover appeared in front of them. Lu Jinming gave the car key to Xiao Qin and was about to drive the Land Rover. Unexpectedly, Jean Bebe and Qing Minjing got out of the car directly. Jean Bebe said, I'm going to take the car of the rich Jean Bebe. Lu Jinming was a little speechless. He had thought that Qing Minjing wouldn't change cars so he could talk to them in the car. He didn't expect that they would get out of the car as soon as they arrived. If he had known this, he wouldn't have given the car key to Xiao Qin. After he got into the Land Rover gloomily, Lu Jinming smelled the stink of food. His car had always been well maintained. He would never put anything that smelled in the car. He did not expect that his car would end up like this after Jean Bebe drove it for one afternoon. He searched the car in a hurry, only to find a plastic bag in the trunk. He was so angry that he was about to throw it out, when he suddenly remembered that it was the bag that he had promised to pack. If he threw it out, wouldn't it be a waste? Would Qing Minjing not like him? Helpless, Lu Jinming could only put it back. He got into his car and followed Xiao Qin's. After Xiao Qin got into the car, he sensed that Jean Bebe's Panamera was somewhat different from before. It must be the result of careful computer adjustment in a professional car modification shop. He did not expect that Lu Jinming would be so attentive. However, it might be more useful for others, but for Xiao Qin, who was at level 4 of the Qi refinement stage, it was almost a piece of cake for him to win the competition. Xiao Qin could not be more familiar with the road from here to Fighting Dragon Mountain. When he was the young master of the Xiao family, in order to make himself more playful, Xiao Qin often participated in such activities. However, most of the time he went to watch the competition. He only participated in the competition once or twice. However, it was the first time for both Qing Minjing and Jean Bebe, so they were a bit curious, especially Jean Bebe. She had wanted to go for a long time, but no one took her there. She was not interested in ordinary boys, and Qing Minjing would definitely not accompany her. Therefore she was very excited to go this time. Fighting Dragon Mountain was no longer within the boundaries of Songning City. Like Songlong Mountain, this mountain was also a nearby mountain, but it belonged to Songshan City, which was next to the city. It was said that Fighting Dragon Mountain used to be a small tourist attraction, but because the contractor could not make ends meet, it was closed a few years ago. The reason was that there were too many mountains nearby. Shuangyin Mountain, which was developed later, was more beautiful than Fighting Dragon Mountain. Even Songlong Mountain, which was developed later, would be better than Fighting Dragon Mountain after it was built. The resort was newly built, and the accommodation and dining environment were good. Naturally, no one went to Fighting Dragon Mountain anymore, and the tourist attraction of Fighting Dragon Mountain had to be closed. Chapter 144. Although the scenic spot was closed, the winding mountain road still existed, although it had been in disrepair for a long time. Some of the guardrails were gone, and the road was not in good condition. However, this road had no other purpose except to lead to the top of Fighting Dragon Mountain. The businesses that operated here had all left. Who would spend money to repair the road? But even so, a nearby underworld force took a fancy to this place and developed it into a racetrack to run underground racing. Not to mention, the Fighting Dragon Mountain that no one cared about before was now bustling with noise and traffic on the weekends. One after the other, Xiao Chen and Lu Zhiming's car drove to the open space in front of the Bolong Mountain racetrack. The place was already filled with all kinds of cars, and the grades of the cars were also different. From the cheapest Alto to the top of the world-famous sports cars, there was everything. Next to the cars on the open space, there were also small groups of people chatting, drinking, and flirting with girls. Most of them were rich playboys from rich families. Xiao Chen used to be one of them. Although he didn't have a good impression of this playboy and playboy before, he had to associate himself with them. Xiao Chen parked his car. A Porsche Panamera and a Land Rover. Although they were luxury cars, they were not so eye-catching here because there were many more expensive cars. However, the golden Panamera attracted a lot of attention, and they all wanted to have a look. Xiao Chen, Cheng Menjing and Jean Beibei got out of the car. Cheng Menjing and Jean Beibei's beauty immediately attracted the attention of many playboys, and they all came over. "There are two pretty girls over there," Fapishe said. "They are so beautiful." "Who is that man?" Fapishbi said. "Don't you know him? Isn't that Xiao Chen? He is the young master of the Xiao family of the 9 big families, but he has been kicked out of the Xiao family." Fapishe said. "Then why did he bring 2 such beautiful girls with him?" Fapishbi said. "A skinny camel is still bigger than a horse." Fapishe said. "Shall we go over and humiliate him? I didn't dare to step on you in the past, but now I feel quite superior." Hedonistic Second said. "That's fine too. You can also get the 2 pretty girls by his side." Hedonist First said. "Are you 2 idiots? Didn't you see what was pasted on the carriage?" Hedonist Third said. "What word?" Hedonist First asked. "Tycoon Jean Beibei's car." Hedonist C said. "Jean Beibei? Who was it?" Foppish Tyrant 2 asked. Hedonist First's expression changed upon hearing this. "She's the Jean clan's little demoness? You just found out? Didn't you almost die?" Foppish Third snorted. "Motherf asterisk her so scary, stay away from them." Hedonist First was so scared that he peed his pants. The Jean family had 2 ruthless people, the Golden Fur Lion King and Jean Beibei. Xiao Chen took out his phone and dialed Qin Jinping's number. "Little Pengzi, where are you?" "Here we are. Hurry up and pick me up. If you don't come in 10 minutes, I'll leave." Motherf asterisk her, this Xiao Chen has been kicked out of the Xiao family, but he's still so arrogant? Why is his underling coming to pick him up when he calls? Hedonist Second asked curiously. "Who knows? I've already said that a starving camel is still bigger than a horse." Hedonist First said. "Look who it is, he's actually his underling." Hedonist Third was also a little curious. After a while, he saw Qin Jinping running toward him while panting. He was really afraid that Xiao Chen would turn around and leave. However, he was afraid that Xiao Chen would borrow his car, so he didn't drive here. Instead, he hitched a ride with Chao Yuliang. Now that Chao Yuliang had gone to arrange the matter against Xiao Chen, he couldn't find Chao Yuliang, so he could only run here. If he wasn't a martial artist, he would be exhausted from running down the winding mountain road. When Qin Jinping saw Xiao Chen in the distance, he immediately shouted, "Xiao Chen, I'm here." The 3 fops were instantly dumbfounded. Why is this Qin Jinping still Xiao Chen's underling? Didn't I hear that he's already with Chao Yuliang? Or could it be that Xiao Chen had turned things around again? It's really hard to explain the affairs of the aristocratic families. Luckily, they didn't go looking for trouble just now. Otherwise, even without Jean Beibei, Qin Jinping could still beat them to death. "Not bad, we're here in 9 minutes. Little Peng, you're still as punctual as before." Xiao Chen nodded his head in satisfaction. "Ah, Xiao Chen is here to race. Of course, I have to come to welcome him. Don't worry, it's all set up. 200,000 deposit. If I win, I'll get 400,000. If I lose, I'll lose 200,000. As usual, best of 5. Qin Jinping introduced. In fact, it wasn't that easy to win 200,000 in a race. Best of 5 meant that you had to race at least 3 times, and you had to win all 3 times in order to get 200,000 from your opponent. The underground racetrack didn't take any commission from the racers' bets. What they earned was the peripheral bets. "Yes." Xiao Chen nodded his head. "Who's my opponent?" I don't know yet. But Brother Liang said to try to persuade the racetrack to arrange new racers for you, so that your chances of winning will be higher. Qin Jinping said, of course it doesn't matter even if he's an old racer. After all, Xiao Qin is the racing god. Aha, that's right. I won in my first race. Xiao Qin laughed after listening. I used to think that 200,000 was too little. It was meaningless to compete in person. Otherwise, I would have become a legend long ago, Xiao Qin said. And that means I'll become a legend of death. Do you really think I'm stupid? That's right. When Qin Jinping saw Xiao Qin's arrogant attitude, he was relieved. He was afraid that Xiao Qin would shrink back after coming. Now it seemed that there was no problem. This Xiao Qin is still the same as before, arrogant and proud. Now he has become greedy. Xiao Qin, don't worry. I've talked to Brother Liang. You'll be the first to race. That's good. I don't have that much time. If I win the race here, I can go back to the morning market to set up my stall. Xiao Qin nodded. Then I'll make the arrangements. By the way, Xiao Qin, which car will you be using? Qin Jinping asked. This Panamera. Xiao Qin pointed to Jean Beibei's car and said. No problem. Qin Jinping heaved a sigh of relief. This Panamera was personally remodeled by him. Although he spent a lot of money, most of the modifications were flashy and impractical. In terms of overall performance, it was a notch lower than a professional sports car. It would be a wonder if Xiao Qin could win a race with this car. Moreover, the car was Jean Beibei's. If Xiao Qin died, no one else could be blamed. Qin Jinping was not afraid of others, but he was afraid that the Jean family would be unhappy. After all, the Xiao family didn't care about Xiao Qin anymore, neither did the Qing family. Only the Jean family sent out an inexplicable notice. If Xiao Qin died, the Jean family would be the only one who could stand up for him. Now, if Xiao Qin died in Jean Beibei's car, who would the Jean family blame? He nodded and went to inform Chao Yuliang happily. On the other side, Lu Zhiming didn't know Xiao Qin's driving skills in the past. He thought that Xiao Qin was really awesome. His family was in the underworld, so his level was not very high. Lu Zhiming had never been to an underground racetrack before. This was his first time. On the other hand, Qing Menjing frowned. Even she could tell that there seemed to be a problem with this, yet Xiao Qin still foolishly agreed to it. She didn't know if he was really stupid or what. Sometimes he looked quite smart, but sometimes he was just a fool. When he lost money, he would cry. At this time, Qing Menjing's phone rang. She looked at the caller ID and found it was Xin Jingxian. Hello, Jingxian. Qing Menjing answered the phone. Menjing, is there anyone around you? Xin Jingxian deliberately lowered her voice on the other side of the phone. No. Tell me. Qing Menjing moved aside to avoid Lu Zhiming. In fact, there was a hubbub of voices nearby. It was so noisy that they couldn't hear what was said on the phone. Menjing, I heard that Xiao Qin is coming to participate in the race? Is there such a thing? Qin Jingxian asked. Yeah, how did you know? You're here too? Qing Menjing was a little curious. And I came with Qin Jinping, Xin Jingxian said. Can you persuade Xiao Qin to give up the race? What? Qing Menjing asked. This is the case. They helped Xiao Qin sign up for the race. In fact, it was a trap set up by him and Chao Yuliang. The driver who will compete with Xiao Qin was invited by them. His name is Li Shanpao. This person often participates in some international underground races. His participation rate is very high. You can know him just by asking around. Xin Jingxian said anxiously, so Xiao Qin can't win. It's not a big deal to lose money, but don't lose your life. This Li Shanpao is best at putting his opponents to death in racing competitions. Xin Jingxian didn't know why she called Qing Menjing. It was reasonable to say that she and Qin Jinping were married, so she should stand on the side of Qin Jinping in the future. However, maybe she didn't like Qin Jinping, or maybe it was because she was kind and didn't want anything to happen to Xiao Qin. What? Qing Menjing suddenly froze. She felt that there was a problem before, but she only thought that Chao Yuliang and Qin Jinping wanted to cheat Xiao Qin of his money. They used gambler's psychology to make Xiao Qin lose money, but she didn't think that there was a possibility of killing Xiao Qin. After a while, Qing Menjing said, I got it. Xiao Qin, come with me for a moment. After hanging up the phone, Qing Menjing glared at Xiao Qin angrily. However, it was inappropriate to say something in front of Lu Zhiming. She had to remind Xiao Qin alone in case he died without knowing how he died. However, after taking 2 steps, Qing Menjing saw that Lu Zhiming was looking at her and wanted to follow her. She frowned and winked at Jean Beibei. Hey little Lu, where are you going? Jean Beibei stopped Lu Zhiming immediately. I'm going to see what they're talking about. Lu Zhiming didn't hide anything. Anyway, he had decided to be Cheng Menjing's gum and stick to her wherever she went. Chapter 145. Are you stupid? Jin Beibei said. Huh? How am I stupid? Lu Zhenming was stunned. Cousin Menjing went to scold my cousin-in-law. If you want to be scolded together, go ahead. Jin Beibei said. Huh? Why did she scold me? Lu Zhenming didn't understand. She's on her period and she's in a bad mood. Now that she's in such a noisy place, it's impossible for cousin Menjing to be happy. Jin Beibei said. But she can't scold me, can she? She can't scold you, can she? Then she can only scold my cousin-in-law. After all, he's a servant. I see. Lu Zhenming was greatly enlightened. He looked at Jin Beibei gratefully. Thank you. If he was scolded by Cheng Menjing for no reason, Lu Zhenming's mood would definitely hit rock bottom. He would definitely think that Cheng Menjing was no longer interested in him. You're welcome. Jin Beibei said. Actually, instead of giving money to my cousin-in-law, why don't you give some money to me? I can help you find information too. Did you make up my nickname? Huh? What nickname? Lu Zhenming asked. That's Spy Shu 007. Ah no, Spy Bei 007. Jin Beibei hurriedly corrected herself. Just now, she accidentally mentioned the nickname of her favorite character in the TV series. In the School Beauties TV, her favorite character was Yushu. Yushu called herself Spy Shu 007, so Jin Beibei called herself Spy Bei 007 as well. Oh, that works too. But can I owe it to you first? I already owe Xiaoqin 200,000. Lu Zhenming hurriedly said. I'll give you the money when I have it. Don't forget that you still owe me 100,000. Jin Beibei said. Ah yes, I can't forget. Lu Zhenming thought to himself. As long as he could catch up with Cheng Menjing, he was willing to spend more money. Where else could he find such a good goddess? She was beautiful and had a good family background. If he could win her heart, his father might even give him tens of millions. Alright, I'll help you. But don't offend my cousin-in-law. After all, he's also a servant. If he speaks ill of you, you'll be dead. Jin Beibei said. I understand. Lu Zhenming quickly nodded. By the way, can you not call him cousin-in-law? It sounds so awkward to me. You can't change your habit, Jin Beibei said. Alright, if you are so troublesome, don't come to me for help. Well, it's fine. You can call him whatever you want, Lu Zhenming said hurriedly. While Jin Beibei and Lu Zhenming were wasting time talking nonsense, Cheng Menjing brought Xiaoqin to an empty corner. What's wrong? Xiaoqin looked at the young lady who was staring at him angrily and felt a little guilty. Hey, do you know that Chao Yuliang and Chen Jinpeng are working together to set you up? Cheng Menjing said resentfully. What are you thinking? Can you believe what they say? My driving skills are not bad. You and Beibei know that too. Xiaoqin shrugged. It's not about your driving skills. Cheng Menjing immediately became anxious. Do you know who Chao Yuliang and Chen Jinpeng invited? They invited a racer from an international illegal car race. His name is Li Shanpao. I heard that he's very good and specializes in killing his opponents in the middle of the race. Are you courting death? Li Shanpao? Although Xiaoqin had never heard of this name, he suddenly understood. As expected, Chao Yuliang must be that guy. Has he been trying to kill me all along? But why? Is it because of Cheng Menjing? Xiaoqin knew that Chao Yuliang liked Cheng Menjing. However, he was Cheng Menjing's fiancé in the past. It was still reasonable for Chao Yuliang to kill him. Now that he was no longer her fiancé, was there still a need for him to do so? Okay, don't worry about it. Don't go to the race. Do you hear me? Cheng Menjing glared at Xiaoqin. I don't want my servant to die without food. It's okay. Don't worry. I'll be fine. Xiaoqin smiled. If it were an ordinary person in the past, then Xiaoqin would definitely retreat. But now he was a powerful cultivator at the 4th level of the Qi refinement stage. What was there to be afraid of? Kill me in the race? I can still kill him. Who isn't good at it? Once the cultivators appeared, who could compete with them? You. Cheng Menjing was stunned by Xiaoqin's words. Are you sick? Do you want to die? If you die in my hands, how can I face Uncle Xiaofeng in the future? I really won't die. Xiaoqin smiled. It's not certain who will die. Menjing, you should believe me. When have I ever lied to you? Oomph. You don't know how many things I don't know about you. Cheng Menjing snorted coldly. Okay, I've already agreed. Getting cold feet isn't my style. Besides, how do you know about Li Shanpao? Xiaoqin asked. Of course, Jing Shen called me and told me. Let me tell you. Luckily Jingxian has a good heart. Otherwise you wouldn't even know how you died. Qing Minjing said angrily. I got it. Let's go back. The race is about to start. Xiaoqin didn't explain much. Some things couldn't be explained even if he explained. What's more, in addition to investigating the real culprit behind the scenes, Xiaoqin was really short of money. Tonight he had to buy medicine again. God knows how much this new medicine would cost. Whether the 175 million yuan in his hands would be enough was another question. You. Looking at Xiaoqin turning around and leaving, Miss stomped her feet angrily. You. Go to hell. I'm really nosy. At this time, an Audi A6L drove to the place where Xiaoqin parked before. Soon the car stopped and Chao Yuliang, Qin Jinpeng and Xin Jingxian came out from inside. Chao Yuliang's face still had some injuries from being beaten up by Lu Jinming. At a glance, he saw Lu Jinming not far away and frowned. He already knew who this person was. The young master of the Lu family, Lu Jinming. However, Chao Yuliang's face was extremely gloomy because he had just received a call from the Chao family, telling him that the martial arts dojo that the Chao family had just invested in was destroyed by the Chao family. The people who destroyed the dojo were all martial artists. After destroying it, they even clamored that it was their young master, Lu Jinming's idea. Therefore at this moment when he saw Lu Jinming, if it wasn't for his high tolerance, Chao Yuliang would have gone up to beat him up directly. Is there something wrong with this guy? Has he always been going against me? Did I provoke him? However, after thinking about it carefully, Chao Yuliang also thought about it. This Lu Jinming also pursued Qing Menjing. Could it be because of Qing Menjing? Thinking about it, there was only one reason. Otherwise, what kind of relationship could I have with him? As soon as he thought of this, Chao Yuliang's mood was very bad. Although the Lu family wasn't as good as the Chao family, the family generally wouldn't intervene in the fight between the younger generation as long as no one died. Adversity produced talents. Only with competition could one grow. If the family's children always had it easy, how could they take over the family in the future? Isn't this young Master Lu? Hehe, very good, very good. I, Chao Yuliang, have never suffered such a loss since I was young. I'll remember you. As soon as Chao Yuliang came up, he walked in front of Lu Jinming and said in a gloomy tone. This was also his character on the surface. He was the same as the previous Xiaoqin, arrogant and insolent. He couldn't hide anything and had to be quick with his words. Who are you? Lu Jinming took a closer look and immediately recognized the person in front of him. He reached out and slapped him. With a crisp pa sound, half of Chao Yuliang's face swelled up again. It's you, kid. What? You want to do bad things to Qing Menjing again? I'm telling you, don't act tough in front of me. If you want to talk about acting tough, I'm your ancestor. You're still too inexperienced to play dirty with me. If you know what's good for you, hurry up and F***ck off. Don't be an eyesore here. Chao Yuliang was about to explode. He almost revealed his peak level 3 martial artist inner force. However, Xiaoqin and Qing Menjing were there. He naturally couldn't expose his strength. He could only endure it. Lu Jinming, you remember me? I'm the Chao family's Chao Yuliang. Chao family? Chao Yuliang? This time, Lu Jinming finally remembered who the kid in front of him was. He naturally knew about the Chao family. It was also one of the 4 big and 5 small families in Songning City. And this person was actually a child of the Chao family? Today you let people sweep my family's martial arts school. Very well, very well. We have the chance to fight. Chao Yuliang glared at Lu Jinming fiercely. Are you pretending? Still pretending not to know me? You don't know me but you let people sweep my Chao family's martial arts school? Who are you trying to fool? The martial arts school belongs to a dumb *SS like you. Although Lu Jinming had heard of Chao Yuliang, he wasn't afraid of him at the moment. Even if the Lu family was weak, they were still involved in the underworld. Although their level was low, their strength wasn't weak. Between the families, as long as there wasn't a big conflict, who would risk their lives like Golden Fur Lion King? Very well. Chao Yuliang was really angry today. This Lu Jinming seemed to be determined to go against him. If that's the case, then let's see who can win the beauty. Up to you. Lu Jinming thought to himself. Do you have such superior conditions? I have Xiaoqin to inform me and I have the spy Bei 007. What do you have? Brother Liang? Qin Jinpeng quickly tugged at Chao Yuliang's sleeves when he saw that the two of them were at loggerheads. He signaled to Chao Yuliang not to be impulsive and forget about the important matter at hand. I don't want to talk to a lowly person like you. Chao Yuliang took a deep breath and turned to Xiaoqin. He nodded and said, Xiao Chen, it's all arranged. It's a newcomer who will compete with you. He has never competed in Fighting Dragon Mountain. If you win the competition, remember my kindness in the future. We used to compete, but now the competition doesn't exist anymore. I will trouble you to take care of Cheng Menjiang's matter. Regardless of whether Chao Yuliang was sincere or not, at least he could see that Lu Jinming fawned on Xiao Chen. It seemed that he wanted Xiao Chen to help him pursue Cheng Menjiang. Otherwise, Chao Yuliang really couldn't think of why Lu Jinming would help Xiao Chen again and again. Chapter 146. No problem. I'll help whoever pays me. Xiao Chen pretended to be a money grubber. Cheng Menjiang was almost driven mad in the back. Is this guy an idiot? You'll help them pursue me if they pay you? Do you have any shame at all? You used to be my fiancé, all right? Was there such a shameless thing in the world? Let's go to the stadium now. The first match is ours. Chao Yuliang said, just drive to the check-in area. The match is about to begin. You don't need to get out of the car. Okay. Beibei, you can take Lu Jinming's car later, Xiao Chen said to Jean Beibei. All right. Jean Beibei knew what was important and what was not. Although she wanted to join in the fun, watching the live broadcast was equally exciting. She was afraid that she would distract Xiao Chen if she got in the car. Shen Jingxian looked at Cheng Menjiang and did not say anything. Cheng Menjiang gave her a helpless look and said in a low voice, some people don't like me. He won't believe me even if I tell him. Why don't you talk to him? Me. Shen Jingxian smiled bitterly and shook her head. Based on the few times she had spent with Xiao Chen, she did not think that Xiao Chen was an idiot. Not only was he not an idiot, he was also very assertive. If Xiao Chen had not pursued her brainlessly, it would have been difficult for her to connect the Xiao Chen from that night with the Xiao Chen in the past. They were like two different people. Therefore, Shen Jingxian did not think that Xiao Chen would listen to her just because he liked her in the past. On the contrary, if Xiao Chen really did not care about Cheng Menjiang, he would not have worked as her servant. At this moment, Xiao Chen had gotten into the Panamera, and Jean Beibei had gotten into Lu Jinming's car. Shen Jingxian waved her hand at Cheng Menjiang and said, I'm going. You, think of something else. Where can I think of something? Cheng Menjiang stamped her feet anxiously. Seeing that Xiao Chen had started the car, Cheng Menjiang was anxious. She walked over, opened the door of the Panamera and got in. What are you doing in the car? Xiao Chen was stunned when he saw his mistress buckling her seatbelt after getting into the car. Hurry up and start the car. Cheng Menjiang said fiercely. Xiao Chen was stunned, and an indescribable feeling of gratitude welled up in his heart. Although my mistress is usually fierce to me, she cares about me most at the critical moment. She is really a good person. Why didn't I cherish her before? Xiao Chen was a little regretful. At this critical moment, Cheng Menjiang had no way to persuade Xiao Chen. She could only get into the car by herself. In this way, even if Chao Yuliang had any evil thoughts, he had to put them away. At most, Xiao Chen would lose the competition, but he would never let Li Shanpao kill Xiao Chen. Naturally, Xiao Chen understood Cheng Menjiang's idea very soon. He did not refuse her kindness. With the cultivation of level 4 Qi refining stage, it shouldn't be a problem to protect a person with all his strength. It was just that he didn't know if there would be a problem. After starting the car, Xiao Chen followed Lu Jinming's Land Rover. In the rearview mirror, Chao Yuliang saw that Cheng Menjiang actually got into Cheng Menjiang's car. His face suddenly turned gloomy. What was Cheng Menjiang doing in the car? Could it be that she had never participated in a car race before and was curious to play? Only Shen Jingshuan's eyes flashed a trace of undetectable strangeness on her calm face. She understood what Cheng Menjiang wanted to do, but Shen Jingxian really couldn't figure out. Since when did Xiao Chen occupy such an important position in Cheng Menjiang's heart? She actually put herself in danger? Or was she sure that Chao Yuliang would be afraid because of her? However, looking at Chao Yuliang's face, it should be so. Qin Jinping was also a little stunned. Just when he wanted to say something, he was stopped by Chao Yuliang. Jinping, drive. This time, Chao Yuliang sat in the front passenger seat and let Qin Jinping drive. Oh, okay. Qin Jinping nodded, started the car, and drove in the direction of the racetrack. Several cars came to the vicinity of the Bolong Mountain racetrack. The race was divided into 3 rounds. The first round was a speed race. The racetrack was a lap around the bottom of Bolong Mountain. It was similar to the F1 racetrack. Although it was a little curved, it was straight and flat without many rugged roads. This was actually a competition of skills when turning. The one who didn't slow down would have a greater chance of winning in the end. Xiao Chen parked his car at the starting point of the racetrack, while Lu Jinming and Chao Yuliang's cars were parked in the parking lot of the auditorium. Jin Beibei, why did Goddess Minjing get in Xiao Chen's car? Lu Jinming had wanted to watch the race with Cheng Minjing, but unexpectedly, Cheng Minjing got in his car. I don't know. Maybe it's because she has never participated in a racing competition before. Maybe she decided to take a look on a whim? Jin Beibei was also a little puzzled as to why Cheng Minjing would suddenly participate in a race with Xiao Chen. Oh, I see. Nothing bad will happen to her, right? He was not worried that something would happen to Xiao Chen and Cheng Minjing. If something could happen between them, it would have happened in the villa. Why did they have to do it in the car? Besides, if they wanted to have car sex in a race, they would definitely die early. Didn't you think that my cousin-in-law's driving skills were good and that he would definitely win? Don't you have confidence in yourself? Jin Beibei asked. That's impossible. Lu Jinming shook his head in a hurry. Fine. Let's just watch the race. Take a seat first. I'll go get some water. Chao Yuliang took a deep breath and said to Qin Jinping and Xin Jingxian, who were already sitting in the auditorium. Then he stood up and walked to the parking lot. He found a place where nobody was around and dialed a number. Mr. Chao, what can I do for you? I've made a plan. Just watch my performance in the race. The racer Li Shanpao's voice came from the phone. Mr. Li, forget about the first race. Postpone the plan. Chao Yuliang said, just focus on the first race. Don't touch him. It won't be good if something goes wrong in the first race. Oh, okay. I got it. Li Shanpao didn't question him. After all, Chao Yuliang was the one who paid for the race. He would do whatever he was told to do. It's not easy to cause a car accident on the track of the first race. If I have to cause a car accident, it will be too obvious that it was caused by someone. I don't want to get into trouble. Okay. Wait for my news, Chao Yuliang said with a nod. After hanging up the phone, Chao Yuliang heaved a sigh of relief. The person he wanted to kill was Xiao Chen, not Cheng Minjing. If Cheng Minjing died, then wouldn't he have put up such a show for nothing? However, since there was a change in the plan, he had to inform the person in charge of the racetrack and continue to arrange for the next race. He had thought that Xiao Chen would die in the first race. Walking to the first VIP room not far away, Chao Yuliang said, Brother Xiao Chen, it's me. There's a change in the situation. The person in charge of the racetrack was called Huang Yang, nicknamed Huang Xiaochun. He was a small leader of a gang in Songshan. Although he couldn't control the affairs of Songshan, he didn't dare to be arrogant in front of Chao Yuliang. He quickly released the girl in his arms and stood up. He smiled at Chao Yuliang and said, So it's young Master Chao. What's wrong? Isn't it the one who killed your opponent in the race? Don't mention it. The lady I'm pursuing is in the car. I can only give up this race. Chao Yuliang shook his head and didn't hide it. If he wanted to do something to the racetrack, he had to go through Huang Xiaochun. Haha, young Master Chao, even heroes have a weakness for the charms of a beauty. But as a man, I really like this little sister of mine. Maybe I'll marry her. Huang Xiaochun laughed and said to the girl from before, Lei Lei, aren't you going to greet your teammate? Hello, young Master Chao. The girl called Lei Lei lowered her head and carefully greeted Chao Yuliang. Chao Yuliang didn't mind. He nodded and said, All right, Brother Xiaochun, I'll go back first. We'll talk about the next race later. No problem. Huang Xiaochun nodded. On the other side of the racetrack, the music for the preparation started. The race was about to begin. Contestants for the first race, Song TTT 777 and Song 741741. Both racers, please get ready. Along with the music, the commentator's voice came from the speakers. This was a necessary procedure before the race. Contestants, please get in position. What the hell is this car number? Cheng Minjing frowned. This was obviously a fake car number. How could there be a car with a song number starting with 7? How infuriating. Xiao Chen glanced at the car number and read, Infuriate yourself, infuriate yourself. Hehe, it's hard to say who will be infuriated. If you get in the car, Chao Yuliang will be the first to die. You know? When Cheng Minjing heard Xiao Chen's words, she rolled her eyes and said, You have to obey my orders from now on. Take care of me, treat me well, be a qualified servant, and treat me like my savior. It's always been like this. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. It has to be better. Cheng Minjing said. Hehe, okay. Xiao Chen nodded. The opponent's car was relatively rare. It was a modified Mitsubishi car. However, the people who came to race actually knew that the brand of the car wasn't that important in this race. The most important thing was the modification. who knew how to modify it. Even a car that cost tens of thousands of yuan could be driven like a plane. Looking at the driver of the car, that person didn't look at Xiao Qin, but focused on preparing. This was the usual reaction of a rookie. Generally, a rookie would be so nervous. However, Xiao Qin knew that this was all on the surface. This Li Shanpao deliberately pretended to be like this. In fact, this person was a professional racer. However, Xiao Qin didn't expose him. He just smiled at him indifferently. Li Shanpao seemed to be overwhelmed by Xiao Qian's smile. He smiled shyly. If one didn't know better, they would think that he was a rookie. Chapter 147. Qing Minjing was a little angry. She opened the car window and snorted at Li Shanpao. Humph! I know you. Aren't you called Li Shanpao? A professional racer came here to compete. Don't you feel ashamed? Li Shanpao was slightly stunned. A touch of suspicion flashed through his eyes. He frowned casually and lowered his head. He didn't look at Xiao Qin anymore, as if it had nothing to do with him no matter what they did. In fact, Qing Minjing was not acting on impulse. The meaning of her words was very simple. She was warning Li Shanpao that she had already seen through him. If anything went wrong in the race, the Qing family was not just for show. Xiao Qin shook his head. He knew that the first miss meant well, so he didn't remind her. In fact, although the Qing family seemed to be very big and powerful, it was only limited to Songning City. At most, it had a lot of influence in the province, but when it came to the Dixia Kingdom and the entire international society, it didn't have much influence. This Li Shanpao often participated in international illegal car races, and the Qing family's influence on him was minimal. Moreover, he was hired by Qiao Yuliang. If he was afraid of other aristocratic families, he wouldn't have come. Hey, I'm talking to you. Didn't you hear me? Seeing that Li Shanpao ignored her, Qing Minjing was a little angry. Little girl, don't talk nonsense. Trouble comes from the mouth. Li Shanpao was also a ruthless person. No one who participated in illegal car races was easy to deal with. Lu Zhiming was bored sitting there, so he decided to come over with Jin Beibei to see Qing Minjing. Anyway, the race hadn't officially started yet. However, as soon as he walked to the car, he heard Li Shanpao threatening Qing Minjing in the car. Lu Zhiming was angry at once. He directly rushed over and knocked on the car door with his hand. Little bastard, get out of the car. Or are you scolding? Are you pretending? Do you know who likes her? Li Shanpao didn't expect that his casual threat would attract such a guy. He frowned and was about to close the car window. However, they did not expect Lu Zhiming to reach out and block the rising window. Li Shanpao sneered in his heart. You dare to use your hands to block the electric window? My car window doesn't have an anti-pinching function. Just you wait to cry. However, what he didn't expect was that with the sound of gears dislocating, the rising window was directly pressed down by Lu Zhiming. He was a master of inner force. Although he had not reached the level of a martial artist, the strength of the car window could not do anything to him. You dare to clamp me? Get out of my car. Lu Zhiming yanked open the car door and pulled Li Shanpao out. He kicked Li Shanpao a few times and made him fall to the ground. Qiao Yuliang had just left Huang Xiaochun's place when he saw Lu Zhiming beating up his racer. He immediately became anxious. He hurriedly returned and said, "This is bad, big bro Xiaochun. Someone is causing trouble in the garage and is beating up my driver." What? Someone dares to cause trouble in my Huang Xiaochun's garage? I'll go and see. Huang Xiaochun received benefits from Qiao Yuliang, so he was also very active. He followed Qiao Yuliang and ran out. However, when he saw who was beating up his driver, he suddenly frowned. Although Lu Zhiming had never come to Fighting Dragon Mountain to play, he was the leader of the small racetrack here. Huang Xiaochun had long since obtained the information of the famous young masters in the area. He knew exactly what kind of person Lu Zhiming was. This was the young master of the Lu family gang in Songning City. The Lu family gang and the gang that he belonged to also had a cooperative relationship, so Huang Xiaochun really didn't dare to do anything to Lu Zhiming. He could only run over and persuade, "Young Master Lu, please calm down. If you beat up this person, then the race can't continue, right?" Lu Zhiming turned his head and looked at Huang Xiaochun. "Who are you?" "I'm the person in charge here, Huang Xiaochun. Young Master Lu, please give me some face." Huang Xiaochun didn't dare to force it, even though Qiao Yuliang was watching over there. "Okay, young Master Lu, that's enough." Xiaochun spoke at this time. Even if this person was beaten to death, Qiao Yuliang would still arrange for other racers. It didn't make much sense. "Okay, I'll listen to Xiaochun." Lu Zhiming nodded and stopped. He pointed to Li Shanpao on the ground and said, Kid, I'm telling you, if you continue to act pretentious in front of me, I'll let you go out lying down. After that, Lu Jinming turned around and returned to the auditorium, because the preparatory music for the race was already playing in the stadium. The race was about to begin. Lu Jinming deliberately made himself look cool in order to leave a good impression on Cheng Menjing. If he went to ask for credit after beating up someone, it would be like what Jin Beibei said. Cheng Menjing hated such people the most. Are you all right? Seeing that Lu Jinming had left, Chao Yuliang glanced at Li Shanpao. I'm sorry. That person is our friend. He's a little hot-tempered. He's a hot-tempered king. Don't take it to heart. Chao Yuliang's words seemed to have nothing to do with Li Shanpao, and he was just concerned about him as a fellow racer. However, he was also testing whether Li Shanpao could race. I'm all right. In fact, Li Shanpao was also a master of inner strength. However, he was a little stunned after being beaten by Lu Jinming. They were all superficial wounds which would not affect his racing. I'm sorry. I'm leaving now. Chao Yuliang nodded to him and then said to Xiaoqin, Xiaoqin, come on. Their racer is injured. If you lose again, it will be too embarrassing. Haha, of course. Xiaoqin laughed and said, don't worry. I'm sure I'll win. Although Xiaoqin said so, he sneered in his heart. Chao Yuliang was really good at finding opportunities. Li Shanpao was injured. If something happened to Xiaoqin, he could only blame himself for being too weak. After Chao Yuliang and Huang Xiaoqin left, the race was about to begin. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The sound of the countdown of the race came from the loudspeaker in the stadium. At the same time the number 1 was shouted, the referee also waved the small flag in his hand. Li Shanpao quickly shifted gears and stepped on the accelerator. The Mitsubishi was like a sharp sword. Boom, it rushed out. Looking at Xiaoqian's side, he hadn't started his car yet. Hey, what are you doing? Cheng Menjing was a little anxious. Xiaoqin, why don't you drive? I'm preparing. Xiaoqin smiled and said, it's not fat to be fat first. The fat later will overwhelm the calm. What nonsense are you talking about? If you don't drive, just admit defeat. Cheng Menjing thought that Xiaoqin was afraid, but he insisted on participating in the race because he wanted to save face. Xiaoqin started the car, and the Panamera also quickly sped out. However, the Mitsubishi was in front. It had already driven for a few hundred meters. It was obvious that there was a gap between it and Xiaoqin. Although this racetrack wasn't as dangerous as the mountain road, because the Fighting Dragon Mountain wasn't a regular shape, the road below naturally had bends and curves. It was very fast. Therefore, even if Li Shanpao's driving skills were good, he didn't dare to keep stepping on the accelerator. That was purely courting death. But even so, the speed of the Mitsubishi was maintained at 170 to 80 miles per hour. On this road that wasn't a professional racetrack, it was already very rare. However, although Li Shanpao's speed was fast, Xiaoqian's speed was faster. Xiaoqian's foot hadn't stepped on the brake since he started the car. In the small bends, Xiaoqin relied on his precise operation skills to pass the corners smoothly. In the big bends, Xiaoqin pulled the handbrake and performed a small drift with the steering wheel. Therefore, in the blink of an eye, the Panamera caught up with the Mitsubishi. For his own driving skills, Xiaoqin didn't mind exposing them. This had nothing to do with strength. If he revealed it, he wouldn't be hated by others. A prodigal young master, even if he drove a car like a spaceship, if he didn't have martial strength, he could only be defined as a loafer in the aristocratic families. Cheng Menjing was scared by Xiaoqin. She didn't expect Xiaoqian's speed to be so fast. When he was passing the corners, the car had a feeling that it was flying. Why are you so fast? Are you courting death? Cheng Menjing was anxious. It's nothing. Xiaoqin shook his head because he could see that the Mitsubishi in front was also a master. Li Shanpao saw the performance of Xiaoqian's Panamera from the rearview mirror, and he was shocked. Previously, he didn't put Xiaoqin in his eyes at all, so he didn't use too many skills when he was driving. In fact, he could do what Xiaoqin did. However, that was in some international professional competitions. He would only concentrate on such precise drifting calculations. This time he didn't take it seriously. He didn't study the track beforehand. Therefore, if he were to drift like this with Xiaoqin, it would undoubtedly be very dangerous. It was equivalent to courting death. Li Shanpao regretted it a little. When Chao Yuliang looked for him, he didn't take it seriously. A dignified international underground racing champion came to a small place like Bolong Mountain to race. How could he take it seriously? He could win easily. However, Li Shanpao didn't expect that Xiaoqin was also a master. This person's control of the Panamera had reached the realm of being one with the car. This was the highest realm in a racing competition. Although Li Shanpao's Mitsubishi was also modified, it wasn't Li Shanpao's car. It was a car that he randomly found in Chao Yuliang's garage. He felt that it was a waste of a car to use his own car in this kind of competition. Motherf *Ker, I underestimated my opponent. Li Shanpao cursed in his heart. Although in this competition, according to Chao Yuliang's intention, he wouldn't make a move on Xiao Chen for the time being. However, if he lost, it would be a disgrace in Li Shanpao's racing career. Without a choice, Li Shanpao could only keep accelerating and accelerating. Although the Mitsubishi was a modified car, it was Li Shanpao's first day driving it. He was unfamiliar with the track. How could he perform to the fullest? Not long after, Xiao Chen's Panamera passed him with a swoosh. TSK what? It's just eso. It's not as good as my driver. Cheng Menjing looked at the Mitsubishi behind her with contempt. She had trained when she was a child. Although she wasn't a martial artist, her adaptability was still very strong. Therefore she was used to it. She didn't feel that the speed was too fast. She even felt that it was very exciting. Chapter 148. See? I told you he could win. Xiao Chen nodded. You didn't lie to me. Otherwise I would have taught you a lesson. Cheng Menjing nodded. Hurry up. Hurry up. Li Shanpao was a little anxious. He had really misjudged him. How could this guy be a foppish young master? Even the racers in international competitions were not as good as him. However, in Li Shanpao's opinion, Xiao Chen had the advantage of the car and the racetrack, which were familiar to him. It was reasonable for him to perform so well. In fact, Xiao Chen had not performed well at all. He could have gone faster, but he was afraid that Cheng Menjing would not have been able to take it. What's the point of having a good car? Li Shanpao gnashed his teeth in anger. He held the steering wheel tightly, but there was nothing he could do. His car was not as good as Qin Haodong's, and he was not as familiar with the racetrack as Qin Haodong's. The expert knew the ropes while the layman just enjoyed the show. In fact, in this underground racetrack, no one, including Huang Xiaochun himself, knew much about racing. They were all laymen and they just enjoyed the show. Moreover, Xiao Chen and Li Shanpao had gone far away. The live stream could not see their situation at all. After all, this was not a professional racetrack, and it was impossible to broadcast it live or take aerial shots. The only way to judge the racing was that there were two virtual car patterns on the big screen, one in red and the other in blue, which were two GPS systems installed on Xiao Chen's and Li Shanpao's cars respectively. Through these GPS systems, the audience could judge the outcome of the race. Therefore, whether Xiao Chen had drifted or not, the audience could not see it at all. The only thing they could see was that he had overtaken Li Shanpao. Wow, my cousin-in-law is so awesome. He has overtaken me successfully. Looking at the screen of the live stream, Jean Bebe waved her hands and shouted. Chao Yuliang did not pay much attention to it. He thought that Li Shanpao had received his order to deliberately go easy on Xiao Chen in the first round in order to cultivate Xiao Chen's arrogance, so that he could defeat Xiao Chen in the next race. Yeah, I knew it. I helped him apply for a newcomer. With Xiao Chen's driving skills, he will definitely win. Chao Yuliang said lightly. Well, I'm a little hungry. I'll go buy something to eat. Lu Zhiming didn't find it interesting, and he and Jean Bebe didn't have anything in common. Therefore, he wanted to go to the dining car to buy something. Huang Xiaochun also ran a lot of other businesses in the racetrack. In addition to gambling, he also sold drinks, food, cigarettes, and alcohol, which brought him a lot of money. Little Lu, don't you still have a board? Jean Bebe reminded him. Yes. Lu Zhiming slapped the back of his head and nodded with a pained expression. I'll go get it now. Lu Zhiming walked to his car and took the board noodles that he hadn't finished in the morning. He was about to eat it. Chao Yuliang glanced at him and was instantly amused. Lu Zhiming, your hobby is really special. The noodles are all stuck together and you still want to eat it? What? I like this kind of food. I won't eat it if it's not sticky. After saying that, Lu Zhiming ate it with big mouthfuls. I like to eat it. What are you going to do about it? Chao Yuliang wanted to say something sarcastic to Lu Zhiming, but Chao Yuliang couldn't do anything about this guy's ignorance. He could only shut up. The board noodles were cold. Although it tasted bad, it wasn't as spicy as before. Plus, Lu Zhiming was really hungry, so he finished it in a few bites and burped. Delicious? At the racetrack, what Chao Yuliang didn't know was that Li Shanpao was furious. No matter how hard he sped up, he couldn't catch up with Xiao Chen. He had no choice but to drift at the corners. However, in his situation he would be digging his own grave if he went on like this. He wouldn't die if he didn't dig his own grave. As expected, when he was making a sharp turn, Li Shanpao didn't see clearly and miscalculated. He had to brake and turn the steering wheel. Even so, his Mitsubishi still crashed into the fence on the roadside and crashed into the field next to it. Although he was fine, his car was stuck in the mud of the field. It was impossible for him to get out in a short time. *CK. Li Shanpao was a little discouraged when he realized that he had no hope of catching up. This was a humiliation for him. Fortunately, few people in this race knew him. Moreover, he could totally tell Chao Yuliang that he lost because his car was not good enough. Thinking of this, Li Shanpao felt a little better. He got out of the car and pushed it hard, intending to push it back to the road. Why did the car with the license plate number 741741 stop? Jean Bebe pointed at the big screen curiously. Maybe there's something wrong with the car. Chao Yuliang thought that Li Shanpao deliberately gave in to Xiao Chen, so he didn't care about it at all. Oh, then my cousin-in-law won. Jean Bebe nodded after listening. When Xiao Chen ran a lap and crossed the finish line, the Mitsubishi behind him was still nowhere to be seen. However, there was no doubt that this race was Xiao Chen's victory. Although this was Xiao Chen's racetrack and Chao Yuliang had informed him beforehand, Xiao Chen's victory was his victory. No one could lie through their eyes. Panasonic TTT 777 won this race. The voice of Xiao Chen's victory came from the loudspeaker. See, I said he could win, didn't I? Xiao Chen said. Humph, that Li Shanpao is too weak. Cheng Minjing said, he can't even drive his own car well. He drove into the mud. How could such a racer be famous internationally? High participation rate? Why didn't he die? Chao Yuliang must be bragging. That's right. That's why I said there's no need to be afraid. Xiao Chen said with a smile. In fact, Xiao Chen knew that if it wasn't for his constant drifting that made Li Shanpao anxious, he wouldn't have been in such a hurry to catch up with him and accidentally drove into the quagmire. Jean Bebe ran over and congratulated him. Wow, my cousin-in-law is so awesome. He really is a transformer or an Autobot. In fact, I have to thank Lu Jinming. If he hadn't modified the car with a mechanical handbrake, it would have been difficult for me to drift. Xiao Chen pushed Lu Jinming out. This car has been modified very well. Young Master Lu is the greatest contributor. The Panameras handbrake was an electronic handbrake. It was barely possible for it to drift. Most professional racers would modify a mechanical handbrake, which was common sense for racers. Lu Jinming had found a professional modification factory to modify the car. In fact, he didn't even know what part of the car he modified. All he cared about was paying for it. Hearing Xiao Chen's compliment, Lu Jinming was immediately overjoyed. He thought that Xiao Chen was intentionally praising him in front of Cheng Minjing. He was very happy. Isn't this what I should do? Looking at Xiao Chen's arrogant face, Chao Yuliang sneered in his heart. I let you win once and you really think you are awesome? However, he said on the surface, Xiao Chen, shouldn't you thank me this time? If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have been able to race here. That's true. When I completely win this race, I will definitely thank your 8 generations of ancestors. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. Chao Yuliang's face was stiff. Why does Xiao Chen's words sound so awkward? Thank 8 generations of ancestors? At this time, Li Shanpao's Mitsubishi car arrived late. The car was full of scratches and mud. It was as embarrassing as one could imagine. Originally, Li Shanpao wanted to say that he deliberately gave in to Xiao Chen, but the scratches and mud on the car were too obvious. He couldn't deny it even if he wanted to. Seeing Li Shanpao's car, Chao Yuliang was slightly stunned. What's going on? Could it be that he drove into a ditch? However, although there were doubts in his heart, Chao Yuliang didn't ask on the surface. He chatted with Xiao Chen for a while and left. After finding a place with no one, he dialed Li Shanpao's phone. Young Master Chao, the opponent's car has been professionally modified and tuned. It is very suitable for this kind of track and drifting. My car isn't good. It's not an opponent at all. Its flexibility and control are not as strong as the opponent's. I accidentally drifted into the ditch on the side. Li Shanpao said. What? You didn't deliberately give in to him? Chao Yuliang was slightly stunned. I didn't kill him, but I didn't have to give in to him, right? Li Shanpao smiled bitterly. The opponent's car is really good. However, Li Shanpao also pushed the blame to Xiao Chen's car. He didn't say that Xiao Chen won because of his good skills. As expected. I got it. What are you going to do in the next round? Chao Yuliang was very upset. Motherf asterisk her, it's Lu Jinming again. This car was modified by Lu Jinming for Xiao Chen. Were you sent by the heavens to deliberately oppose me? Why do you always target me? What? I have asked my junior Lin Chao to drive my personal car over. I will use my car to compete with him, Li Shanpao said. That's good. Chao Yuliang nodded and said, in the next round you will be racing on the mountain road. It should be easier to kill Xiao Chen. I understand, Li Shanpao said. Soon Li Shanpao's personal car was sent back. This car was a Ford GT500. In the circle of aristocrats, it wasn't a very popular car. Many people hadn't even heard of it. However, Li Shanpao loved this car very much. This Ford GT500 was also modified to the extreme by him. The contestants for the second race, Song TTT 777 and Song 741741, please get ready. The venue for the second race will be changed to the mountain section. Along with the sound of the music, the commentator's voice could be heard from the speakers. Xiao Chen raised his head and took a look at the winding mountain path that circled around the Fighting Dragon Mountain. He took a deep breath. This racetrack was different from the previous racetrack. This was a really dangerous place. Although there was a guardrail on the side of the mountain road, in fact, with the speed of the car, the guardrail was almost completely useless. For this race I will do it myself. Xiao Chen looked at Cheng Menjing in the front passenger seat. It's too dangerous. You should get off. Chapter 149. Humph! How dare you look down on me? Let me tell you, I'm much braver than you are. Cheng Menjing snorted and said, start the car now. All right. Seeing Cheng Menjing's reaction, Xiao Chen knew that it was useless to persuade her, so he could only start the car. Li Shanpao changed to the Ford GT500 and drove to the starting point of the Panshan racetrack. Seeing that Cheng Menjing did not get out of the car, Chao Yuliang was slightly stunned. Then he said to Jin Beibei, ask Menjing to get out of the car. The Panshan racetrack is different from the racetrack below. It's easy to get carsick if the car is too fast. Those who are not used to racing will not be able to stand it. Is that so? Jin Beibei was not interested. Cheng Menjing and Xiao Chen were both in the car, and Lu Jinming was the only one left. She did not even have anyone to talk to. After thinking for a while, she called Cheng Menjing. What's up, Beibei? Cheng Menjing picked up the phone. Are you still in my cousin-in-law's car? Are you coming down to accompany me? Asked Jin Beibei. No, I'm fine here, said Cheng Menjing. But Chao Yuliang said that the Panshan racetrack is different from the regular racetrack. It's easy to get carsick, said Jin Beibei. Did Chao Yuliang ask you to call me? Asked Cheng Menjing. Yes, said Jin Beibei. Then I can't go down. All right. That's all, Beibei. After saying that, Cheng Menjing hung up the phone first, because the race was about to begin. Holding the phone, Jin Beibei was slightly stunned. She looked at Chao Yuliang's expectant eyes, deep in thought. How is it, Beibei? Is Menjing coming down? Asked Chao Yuliang in a hurry after she finished the call. No, cousin Menjing might like to pursue the feeling of speed. She has fallen in love with racing. Jin Beibei said. Ah. After hearing Jin Beibei's words, Chao Yuliang's eyebrows furrowed tightly. He was ready to kill Xiao Chen in this game, but he didn't expect that Cheng Menjing was still in Xiao Chen's car. How was he supposed to make a move? Although he really wanted to pull Cheng Menjing down personally, he couldn't do that. It was impossible for Cheng Menjing to listen to him. Moreover, if he did so, wouldn't he expose his purpose? Thinking of this, he had no choice but to send a message to Li Shanpao, cancel the plan. You just have to win this match. Okay. Not long after, Li Shanpao replied. For Li Shanpao, he would do whatever Chao Yuliang asked him to do. After all, he was his employer. It didn't matter if he still got the commission for each game. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The sound of the countdown for the second match came from the loudspeaker in the stadium. At the same time the number 1 was shouted, the referee also waved the small flag in his hand. Li Shanpao changed to his own car this time. His driving proficiency and compatibility were much better than the Mitsubishi before. He started the car quickly and rushed out. Since he didn't need to kill Xiao Chen, his purpose was to win. He didn't need to be distracted to plan an accident to kill Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen started the car and followed closely. Although Xiao Chen's speed wasn't slow, he didn't overtake the car. Because the winding mountain road was full of turns and the road was narrow, it was very difficult to overtake the car. Besides, the eldest miss was in the car. Xiao Chen didn't want to take the risk at the beginning. However, what Xiao Qin did not expect was that while he was not anxious, the young mistress beside him was anxious instead. Xiao Qin, why don't you overtake the car? Qing Minjing saw Xiao Qin following behind Li Shanpao unhurriedly. She was a little unhappy. Hurry up and overtake him. The track is not very spacious. If I overtake him, I'm afraid that the car will get scratched. After all, it's Jean Bei's car, Xiao Qin said. If Jean Bei gets scratched, she doesn't have to pay for it. You don't have to pay for it. I order you to overtake him now. Qing Minjing snorted. Fine. In fact, it was not that Xiao Qin didn't want to overtake him, but the turns ahead were not very good areas for overtaking. If it were him, he wouldn't be hurt if his car was hit by the car. However, the eldest miss was in the car and he didn't want to take the risk. However, when Qing Minjing was talking, Xiao Qin found that there was a relatively spacious winding mountain road ahead, which was perfect for overtaking. Now that he had found the opportunity, Xiao Qin directly sped up and quickly caught up to Li Shanpao's car. At first, when Li Shanpao saw that Xiao Qin didn't catch up with him, he thought that his car's performance was better than Xiao Qian's. However, he didn't expect that Xiao Qin would suddenly speed up and catch up to him. Why is he so difficult to deal with? At this moment, Li Shanpao didn't think that Xiao Qin only had a good car. In the first race, because the track was not too dangerous and the car's performance was good, the chances of winning would be higher. Because the so-called drifting could basically be done by any racer. Ordinary tracks didn't require too advanced skills. Therefore, whoever had a good car had a better chance of winning. However, the winding mountain road was different. Below the winding mountain road was a steep cliff. First of all, there was infinite psychological pressure. Secondly, if the drift was not right or the angle was not right, the car might crash and the driver would die. At this time, it was a test of the driver's courage and skills. Hence, at the beginning, Li Shanpao didn't think much of Xiao Qin. He saw that Xiao Qin wasn't driving fast and didn't try to overtake him, so he guessed that Xiao Qin's car was good, but his skills weren't up to par. However, he didn't expect that Xiao Qin was going to overtake him when the next winding mountain road was coming. The curve in the winding mountain road was the best place to overtake. Because it was a curve, the road would inevitably widen. Xiao Qin flashed the car's high beam lights twice, then suddenly accelerated and rushed forward. This almost suicidal way of driving shocked Li Shanpao. Isn't he afraid of death? If he crashed into him, Xiao Qin wouldn't be fine, and neither would Li Shanpao. In an instant, Li Shanpao's expression changed. Originally, he didn't want to let Xiao Qin pass. He wanted to drive in front on the S-shaped road. This would eliminate the possibility of Xiao Qin overtaking him. However, Xiao Qin wasn't playing with skills, he was playing with his life. If it was a professional race, it was rare to see Xiao Qin's suicidal way of driving. After all, everyone was a professional racer. The race was about money, not life. However, it was hard to say why Xiao Qin, a hedonistic young master, would race. Was he looking for excitement? Was he competitive? All of these were possible. Li Shanpao didn't dare to bet on whether Xiao Qin really dared to crash into him. At least, it was the first time Li Shanpao saw someone who dared to speed up at the winding mountain road. Who would speed up here? Was there something wrong with him? However, Xiao Qin sped up. Therefore, Li Shanpao subconsciously moved the car to the side to give Xiao Qin enough space to overtake. Anyway, Li Shanpao didn't think that Xiao Qin could successfully overtake him in this situation. After all, there was a big curve in front. It was not a problem for him to overtake others and drift, but if he suddenly increased his speed to more than 200 miles per hour, it would be a fatal accident. Although Qing Minjing was used to Xiao Qian's speed, she wasn't used to such a dangerous way of driving. Seeing that there was a sharp curve in front, Xiao Qin suddenly accelerated. What was he trying to do? When Xiao Qin saw Li Shanpao move aside, the corner of his mouth slightly raised. The more famous a racer was, the more afraid he was of death. Xiao Qin was just creating an illusion that he was desperate. Even if Li Shanpao didn't dodge with Xiao Qian's skills, it was impossible for the car to crash and he would die. At most, he would fail to overtake. However, the miss hadn't finished, yet. Panamera had quickly overtaken Li Shanpao and completed a beautiful drift at the curve. The perfect combination of speed and skills. Just a little bit more and Xiao Qian's car would crash and he would die, but he didn't. This wasn't Xiao Qian's good luck, but Xiao Qian's keen mind and mental strength had already calculated the distance. There would be no problem at all. It wasn't easy for him to become an awesome cultivator. If he didn't use his ability now, when would he use it? Watching Xiao Qin drift successfully with a whoosh, and continue to move forward, Li Shanpao's eyes widened. It can't be right? Did this kid retire from the international competition? His skills were not below Li Shanpao at all. If this went on, he would lose the race again. The opponent was racing with no regard for their lives. In terms of momentum, Li Shanpao was already at a disadvantage. How could he win? Taking a deep breath, Li Shanpao used the car phone to call his junior brother Lin Xiao. Most of the time, the two of them worked together to frame others in the race. Senior brother Li, are you going to make your move? I'm ready to throw the stun grenade at any time. Lin Xiao's voice sounded from the phone. This was the method that Li Shanpao and Lin Xiao used to get rid of Xiaoqin. Throwing a stun grenade on the winding mountain road was tantamount to putting the opponent to death. When the time came, he wouldn't be able to see anything. It would be very easy for him to rush out of the winding mountain road and fall off the cliff. It was inevitable that his car would crash and he would die. The stun grenade could instantly blind the opponent. Moreover, there wouldn't be too much evidence left after the incident. If the opponent was knocked off the cliff or sprayed lubricant on the road, it would be easier to leave a trace. As for the residue of the stun grenade, it would quickly be blown away by the wind. Even if someone passed by after the incident, there wouldn't be anything left. Moreover, the car accidents here were handled by themselves in a low-profile manner. No one would report it to the police, and there wasn't any professional investigation. It was impossible to be discovered. There's no need for that. Li Shanpao didn't plan to get rid of Xiaoqin in this race because of Chao Yuliang's orders. However, he wouldn't let Xiaoqin win, so he said, "In a while, use your chi to blast the rock and break his fuel tank. Pay attention to the angle and don't damage anything else." "Okay, I understand." Lin Xiao nodded. Breaking someone else's fuel tank was Lin Xiao's strength. He and Li Shanpao had worked together several times. When he made his move, he could completely make the car leak without affecting anything else. Chapter 150. Li Shanpao hung up the phone and felt relieved. As for Xiaoqin, no, I don't want to die. I'm not married yet. Damn you, Xiaoqin. I'm ruined in your hands. I still have to marry you in the end. Qing Minjing closed her eyes and didn't dare to look anymore. She didn't think that Xiaoqin would be able to pass the big bend smoothly. He was too fast and couldn't control the direction at all. You're not married. You can't blame me. It's the Qing family who wants to break off the engagement, right? Xiaoqin looked at Qing Minjing, who was yelling, and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. We overtook them? Qing Minjing opened her eyes, and when she saw that she was not dead, she immediately felt a little happy. She took a deep breath and snorted, "Luckily the engagement was broken off. Otherwise I would have been scared to death by you all day long." Hee hee. Xiaoqin chuckled. Suddenly, his keen divine sense and mental strength sensed that someone seemed to be staring at him. This person should not be Li Shanpao but someone hiding somewhere on the mountain road, but Xiaoqin could not determine where exactly because the car was too fast. Elder Heaven Ancestor, Yang Qi said, "Someone seems to be targeting me." Xiaoqin did not dare to neglect and hurriedly consulted the Elder Heaven Ancestor. Generally speaking, the Elder Heaven Ancestor's spiritual sense and spiritual perception were stronger than Xiaoqin's. "Yes, I've dealt with it." As soon as the Elder Heaven Ancestor's voice trailed off, a clang was heard. Xiaoqin's Panamera suddenly shook twice. Fortunately, Xiaoqin's reaction was fast enough, and the car did not deviate from the track and collide with the mountain. "Why didn't you say so earlier?" Xiaoqin was stunned and said, "What happened?" "Your fuel tank was hit by a rock," the Elder Heaven Ancestor said. "Then what should we do?" Xiaoqin was shocked. If the car's fuel tank leaked, it would keep leaking. They were not even halfway through the race. If they ran out of fuel, wouldn't they lose the race? "Don't you have essence chi? Did you break through the 4th level for nothing?" Elder Sky asked. "Yeah." Xiaoqin suddenly woke up. His yuan chi could be converted into all kinds of energy. At this moment he could directly convert it into the car's gasoline power. Therefore, even if the car ran out of gas, it could still be driven. Thinking of this, Xiaoqin heaved a sigh of relief, but he was a little distressed about his vitality. However, Xiaoqin was a little puzzled at the moment. From the looks of it, his opponent only wanted him to lose the match, which was why he leaked the fuel tank. Otherwise, if the rock hit the windshield, it would not be as simple as losing the game. Of course, the premise was that Xiaoqin was an ordinary person. In other words, if a gun was used to shoot the fuel tank instead of a rock, the car might explode. It would not be as simple as losing. Therefore, the other party did not intend to kill him at the moment. Could it be because Qing Minjing was in the car? Xiaoqin could only make such an inference. There was really no other reason. Xiao Chen, what happened to us? The car shook. Cheng Minjing was subconsciously a little nervous. Did we hit something? Nothing. Xiao Chen did not say anything about the oil leak. That would make Cheng Minjing worry. However, Xiao Chen's car was different from before. It started to take the S route. Damn. Li Shanpao walked and wanted to catch up with Xiao Chen, but he suddenly realized that this kid was not doing a good thing. If there was an oil leak, then there was an oil leak. He actually swayed on the road. In this way, the leaked oil was scattered everywhere, so Li Shanpao did not dare to drift at all. The car's tires rolled on the oil. It was fine if he did not drift because the car's tires were special anti-skid. It was impossible to lose control on this kind of road. However, if he drifted on it, it would be hard to say. Maybe the car would slide a little further and fall. Li Shanpao could only drive honestly. He thought that Xiao Chen would soon run out of oil, and he couldn't persist to the top of the mountain at all. He secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Xiao Chen's car indeed ran out of oil soon, but Xiao Chen secretly began to inject energy into the car to replace the oil. To Xiao Chen's surprise, the car's engine was running very smoothly and powerfully. Except for Xiao Chen himself, no one could see the difference at all. Moreover, it seemed that the car was more powerful than before. This was also what Xiao Chen could feel. Xiao Chen reached the top of the mountain and crossed the finish line. Li Shanpao was still driving carefully somewhere. Jin Beibei, Lu Jinming, Chao Yuliang, Chen Jinping, and Xin Jingxian had all taken the cable car to the finish line at the top of the mountain and were waiting. Seeing Xiao Chen's car dashing over, Jin Beibei immediately cheered. Oh, my cousin-in-law won again. Jin Beibei danced with joy as if she had won. Haha, of course. I admit that I'm not as good as Xiao Chen in racing. Lu Jinming also walked over. He mainly wanted to see Cheng Menjing. Chao Yuliang frowned. Why did Xiao Chen win again? Did something happen on Li Shanpao's side? Xiao Chen patted Chao Yuliang's shoulder and said with a smile, Young Master Chao, thank you so much. The racer you found for me is really bad. In the first race he drove in the ditch. In the second race he even let me overtake him. What a nice guy. Of course. I told you I just want to help you win some money. Chao Yuliang said, our grudge before was because of Cheng Menjing. But now it's all in the past. I still hope that you can help me pursue Cheng Menjing. No problem. It's not a problem as long as you have money. If you don't, forget it, Xiao Chen said confidently. Cheng Menjing immediately frowned. What did Xiao Chen mean? She used to be his fiancée. Even if she was not now, how could he help someone else pursue his ex-wife? How shameless could he be? I'm so angry. I shouldn't have gotten in the car just now. I should have let you die so that you don't have a conscience. Haha, I definitely have money. This isn't a racing car, but I have money. In the future there will be more opportunities like this. Chao Yuliang also noticed that in the next race, Cheng Minjing would most likely have to follow the car. So, the hope of killing Xiao Chen today was very slim. He said it so that he could trick Xiao Chen into courting death again next time. Otherwise, in the eyes of Chao Yuliang, Xiao Chen was a dead man. He was too lazy to pretend to be courteous with him. Even if he wanted to pursue Cheng Minjing, he didn't need him. After waiting for a while, Li Shanpao's car arrived late. However, after he stopped the car, he saw that Xiao Chen had already reached the finish line. He was suddenly shocked. He pointed at Xiao Chen's car and shouted, Impossible! Impossible! How did you reach the finish line earlier than me? Earlier, although Li Shanpao didn't see Xiao Chen on the way, he thought that Xiao Chen had accidentally driven the car into the ditch. Because the gasoline in the tank had leaked only for a short distance before it was completely gone. There was no more gasoline left for the rest of the road. Therefore, Li Shanpao didn't think that Xiao Chen could drive the car to the finish line at all. Hearing Li Shanpao's exclamation, everyone looked at Xiao Chen's Panamera subconsciously. As expected, they found a big hole near the fuel tank. There were traces of gasoline flowing out, but it had been completely drained. Ah, my rich Jin Beibei's car. Jin Beibei looked at her car sadly. It's so miserable. Qin Jinping, it's all your fault. You asked my cousin-in-law to race with you and damaged my car, didn't you? Pay for it. Well, Qin Jinping was dazed for a moment. Does it have anything to do with me? However, he was a bit scared of Jin Beibei right now. Subconsciously, he took a few steps back and said, I bought 2 cars from Porsche. They gave me a voucher of 100,000 yuan. I'll give it to you later. You can go and repair the car. Qin Jinping thought that since he had given the 2 cars to Jin Beibei anyway, it was useless for him to keep the voucher. So, he might as well give it to her. Looking at the big hole on the car, Jin Beibei said, Fine. I'll reluctantly forgive you. But 100,000 yuan is not enough to repair the car, is it? Alright, Jean Bebe. How much did you spend to repair the car? You can ask Pingzi to reimburse you with the receipt. Chow Yuliang waved his hands. He squatted and looked at the fuel tank of the Panamera in confusion too. How did the car get there when it ran out of gas? Fine. Jean Bebe finally calmed down. Young Master Lu, thank you so much for modifying an auxiliary fuel tank for me. Otherwise, I really would have run out of gas. Xiao Qin said to Lu Jinming gratefully. Huh. Lu Jinming was slightly dazed. However, he did not know where exactly the modification factory had been made. He did not know that Lu Jinming really thought that it was him who had modified the car. So he smiled complacently and said, "Of course. We are so close." Ah. After hearing what Xiao Chen and Lu Jinming said, Li Shanpao suddenly understood. He felt that he had been tricked. In the modification factory, some cars would be modified with an auxiliary fuel tank in order to increase the driving distance. However, this way would increase the weight of the car. Also, if the location of the auxiliary fuel tank was not chosen well, it would be more troublesome when the car crashed. So, he did not think of this before. Only now did he understand that there was an auxiliary fuel tank. No wonder he could drive here without any pressure. Chow Yuliang's face was a little pale. Although he could not kill Xiao Qin today, he had secretly asked someone to bet a lot of money on Li Shanpao. If Li Shanpao lost now, he would lose everything. Damn it, it's Lu Jinming again. If it wasn't for this guy, Xiao Qin would have died a long time ago. This guy was really his nemesis. Chow Yuliang was so angry that he gnashed his teeth. There is only one game left. If I win, I can go home and sleep. Xiao Qin said with a smile. What's the next game? According to the rules, it's going against the Panshan Road, which means returning to the foot of the Panshan Road from the top of the Panshan Road. But Xiao Qin, your car is broken. Can you still compete? Why don't you give up today and try another day? Chow Yuliang suggested. Chapter 151. Chow Yuliang could not hurt Xiao Qin today. Moreover, Xiao Qin had been lucky many times. He was afraid that in the next race, something would go wrong with the car modified by Lu Jinming. If Xiao Qin won again, he would suffer a great loss. How can I change it to another day? Then I won in vain today, didn't I? Why don't you tell the racetrack that I won and give me the prize money? Xiao Qin glanced at Chow Yuliang and asked. At the same time, Xiao Qin sneered in his heart. Was Chow Yuliang anxious because Qing Minjing was always in the car and had no chance to hurt him? But he was not so stingy, was he? Was he not going to continue the race just for 400,000 yuan? Xiao Qin did not know that this guy had also made a bet in private. But even if he knew, he would be happy. Oh, how is that possible? The racetrack isn't owned by my family, they all have their own rules. Chow Yuliang's expression froze. If Xiao Qin won, then wouldn't his money go down the drain? But now there was still a chance to turn the tables. So he said, since Xiao Qin wants to continue the race, let's continue. But can you still drive this car? It's okay. Why can't I? Didn't I drive well just now? Xiao Qin said with a faint smile. In the second race, the driver of TTT 777 wins again. The voice of Xiao Qin's victory came from the loudspeaker. In the third race, Reverse Mountain Road. 2 players, please get ready. Okay, that's enough. I'm going to the race. Wait for my victory. Xiao Qin waved his hand and got in the car. Qing Minjing followed him and got in the car. Jean Bebe ran to Qing Minjing and said, Cousin Minjing, let's switch. How about I accompany my cousin-in-law in this race? No. Qing Minjing said firmly. What? Do you like my cousin-in-law? Jean Bebe asked in a low voice. Don't worry about it. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. Of course, Qing Minjing wouldn't exchange with Jean Bebe. Chow Yuliang was afraid of her and didn't dare to kill her. However, he couldn't do it with Jean Bebe. Chow Yuliang didn't like Jean Bebe. Besides, Qin Jinping hated Jean Bebe so much. If Jean Bebe was in the car, Xiao Qin would be killed faster. The two of them would definitely be happy that Jean Bebe died together. Okay. Seeing that Qing Minjing was so determined, Jean Bebe left gloomily, although she didn't understand the reason. Li Shanpao took a look at Chow Yuliang and saw Chow Yuliang shake his head. He knew that Chow Yuliang had given up the plan. He also realized that Chow Yuliang seemed to be doing this for Qing Minjing. However, he would still take the commission. Whether Xiao Qin was killed or not did not matter to him. The two cars stopped side by side at the starting line. The voice of the countdown for the third race came from the loudspeaker again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When the number 1 was shouted, the referee waved the small flag in his hand. This time, Xiao Chen didn't wait for Li Shanpao like the previous 2 times. Instead, he rushed out even faster than Li Shanpao. Xiao Chen found that there was no gasoline in the car. When he injected his own pneuma into the car, he could control the car more easily. He was really one with the car because the car was full of Xiao Chen's pneuma. Li Shanpao was not slow either. Seeing that Xiao Chen rushed out faster than him, he was stunned for a moment. However, he hurried to drive the Ford to chase after Xiao Chen. It was easy to go up the mountain but difficult to go down the mountain. This saying was not only for people but also for cars. Because of the inertia of diving down and the high speed of the car, if Li Shanpao was not careful, he might crash the car over the guardrail and die. Therefore, although Li Shanpao was focused on chasing, it was a little difficult for him to catch up. Because he knew that Xiao Chen's driving skills were not bad, and he was willing to risk his life. When going downhill, there were a few dangerous places that even Li Shanpao didn't dare to drift. However, Xiao Chen just drifted over. This was simply a reckless way of driving. Chao Yuliang looked at the big screen with a gloomy face. He didn't think that Xiao Chen's driving skills were good. No matter how good a playboy's driving skills were, how could he be better than these underground racers? He felt that Xiao Chen could win completely because of luck. Moreover, the most important thing was that his car had been modified too well by Lu Jinming. This Lu Jinming was the main culprit. Xin Jingxian didn't speak during these races. Instead, she kept clenching her hands. No one knew if she was worried for Qing Menjing or Xiao Chen. However, when she saw that Chao Yuliang and Chen Jinping really didn't make a move, she was relieved. It seemed that Menjing's decision was right. It was the accident that changed Chao Yuliang and Chen Jinping's plan. At this time, Chao Yuliang's cell phone suddenly rang. Chao Yuliang glanced at the caller ID on the cell phone. His face suddenly changed. He stood up and said to Chen Jinping and the others, "It's a call from my house. I'll go and pick it up." Chen Jinping and the others didn't care after hearing it. In fact, this call wasn't from Chao Yuliang's family, but someone else. His family was just an excuse for him to hide somewhere else to answer the phone. "Boss, hello." Chao Yuliang picked up the phone and said respectfully, "Chao Yuliang, what are you doing? Why isn't Xiao Chen dead yet? Didn't you say that you would kill him in today's race?" On the other side of the phone there was a familiar roar. The owner of this voice brought him great strength and family status, but at the same time, it brought him endless fear. I'm not ready yet." Chao Yuliang replied carefully. "Not ready? Don't give me these useless things. I'm also in the stands. Why aren't you ready? Isn't that Li Shanpao the racer you found?" The voice on the other side of the phone was very gloomy. "I've already taken off my pants and this is what you show me? Boss, don't be angry." Chao Yuliang was shocked. He knew what kind of person his master was. The boss was usually a serious person. If he was joking with you, it meant that he was already extremely angry. He quickly explained, "In the first 2 races Qing Menjing was also in the car, so Boss, you also know that she is a member of the Qing family, so what about the Qing family?" The boss said faintly, "Don't think that I don't know your thoughts. Don't you just want to marry her? Let me tell you, a real man doesn't have to worry about not having a wife. You know what I mean, right?" "I know." Chao Yuliang's throat squirmed twice. In the end, he didn't argue but chose to obey. Because he had to obey. There was no other possibility. "Okay, I want to see the result." After the boss finished, he hung up the phone. Chao Yuliang clenched his hands. His face was hideous and terrible. He panted heavily. He really liked Qing Menjing. It wasn't fake. However, for the supreme strength and family status, he must kill Qing Menjing with his own hands. "Why? Chao Yuliang growled, "Although you gave me Chao Yuliang's strength and helped me get to the top, I will remember what happened today. One day I will settle the score with you." After venting, Chao Yuliang calmed down his mood. He picked up the phone again and dialed Li Shanpao's number. "Young Master Chao, what are your orders?" Li Shanpao was depressed that he couldn't catch up with Xiao Chen. "The plan has begun. Kill them." Chao Yuliang gritted his teeth and said this sentence. Then he hung up the phone. Xiao Chen's guess was right. He was the young man who had been targeting Xiao Chen. He was Chao Yuliang. After putting away the phone, Chao Yuliang raised his head and strode back to the audience. "Qing Menjing is already a thing of the past. However, your death is worth it. The woman that I, Chao Yuliang, have taken a liking to is willing to be sacrificed for me." His psychology was almost distorted. "Brother Liang, what's the matter?" Qin Jinping asked casually when he saw Chao Yuliang come back. "Nothing." My family asked me where I am and when I will go back. Chao Yuliang waved his hand and said casually, let's watch the game. Okay. Qin Jinping was holding back his anger. He originally said that he wanted to kill Xiao Qin, but the result was that Xiao Qin won inexplicably twice. This third time he also had the posture of winning, so he didn't want to watch anymore. However, Xin Jingxian on the side seemed to be very cold to him. Although Xin Jingxian could answer with a smile, this kind of, I ask and you answer, style of chatting wasn't chatting at all. It made people very depressed. Li Shanpao was suppressed by Xiao Qin. Finally, when Chao Yuliang gave the order, he didn't have to hold back anymore. He directly contacted his junior, Lin Chao. Junior Chao, get ready to move. Prepare the flash grenade. Okay. No problem. Lin Chao's voice came over. Li Shanpao wasn't in a hurry to chase at this time. If he was too close to Xiao Qin, he might be affected by the flash grenade. When Xiao Qin couldn't see the road clearly and fell off the cliff, he would go over. As long as Xiao Qin died, then he would be the only winner of this game. No matter how many rounds Xiao Qin had won before, it didn't matter. This was the rule of underground racing. If one side lost and quit the game, the other side would win. Why isn't Li Shanpao chasing anymore? Cheng Menjing looked at the rearview mirror with some doubts. Is he going to give up? I don't think so. Could it be that he wants to do something? Xiao Qin frowned. He felt that if he was a master in the international underground racing competition, he wouldn't be able to stand being humiliated by a newcomer from a small place, let alone Li Shanpao. This person is really wicked. His level isn't good, but he wants to ruin others. Cheng Menjing looked down on Li Shanpao. Xiao Qin nodded and didn't say anything. However, his divine sense and mental strength had been released to sense the movements nearby. He was also afraid that there would be some problems in the last game. Chapter 152. Suddenly Xiao Qin moved, but it was too late. An unknown object was suddenly thrown not far in front of Xiao Qin. Then it suddenly exploded and emitted a dazzling light. Flash bomb. These words flashed in Xiao Qin's mind. In an instant, everything in front of him was white, and he was temporarily blinded. Ah! Cheng Menjing also screamed. She knew very well what would happen if she couldn't see the road on this racetrack. There was a big curve not far in front, and the car would almost certainly rush down. Although Xiao Qin was a little shocked, he wasn't the slightest bit worried. Although everything in front of his eyes was white, don't forget that Xiao Qin had divine sense and spiritual perception. Moreover, his six senses were very sensitive, so his eyes weren't affected at all. It was only a short few seconds before the flash bomb exploded that he saw a vast expanse of whiteness. Once the flash bomb lost its effect, Xiao Qin instantly recovered his vision. This didn't affect him much at all. In fact, when the flash bomb lit up, Xiao Qin began to drift through the curve. The car didn't slow down at all. F***ck. Li Shanpao's junior, Lin Chao, who hit on the cable car and threw the flash bomb, suddenly widened his eyes. Although he was also temporarily blinded, after losing his vision, he realized that Xiao Qin didn't die in the crash. Instead, he continued to move forward. This was strange. Xiao Qin wasn't affected by the flash bomb? If he knew that Xiao Qin could still drift, he would probably be shocked. We didn't die? After a while, Cheng Menjing didn't notice anything wrong. It seemed that the car was still moving at high speed, and her vision gradually returned to normal. Suddenly she was very surprised. Just now, you actually drove over here? And I've memorized the route of the racetrack. It didn't affect me, said Xiao Qin. So that's how it is. You scared me to death. I thought we were going to die. Cheng Menjing let out a sigh of relief and patted her chest. The surprises I've eaten with you today are more than the amount of salt I've eaten since I was a child. In essence? Alright, Xiao Qin admitted that he was evil. He didn't know when he started to have such thoughts about eldest Mississippi. In the past, he only had thoughts about Xin Jingxian. If it was that easy to die, I wouldn't be your servant. Xiao Qin laughed. Of course. Look at whose maid she is. Cheng Menjing said proudly. Lin Chao quickly contacted Li Shanpao. Senior brother, that kid actually didn't die. The flashbang has no effect on him. What? Li Shanpao nearly drove his car into the ravine. The stun grenade was ineffective? Could it be that this kid had titanium dog eyes? It didn't make sense that he wasn't afraid of the flash grenade. It's true. He's still driving. Lin Chao said, what do we do now? Forget it, I'll take care of the rest. Li Shanpao took a deep breath and began to accelerate. Lin Chao's method was nothing more than this. Since it was ineffective, he could only do it himself. On the winding mountain road going down the mountain wasn't easy to walk. Xiao Qin had some advantages because he left first. If Li Shanpao wanted to catch up, he could only use 200% of his potential and advantage. Fortunately, Li Shanpao wasn't a coward. He had already familiarized himself with the track when he was going uphill. At this time, as long as he concentrated, it wouldn't be a problem to maintain the acceleration. In any case, Li Shanpao's modified Ford was better than Xiao Chen's modified Panamera. One was a professional and the other was an amateur. The gap was obvious. Xiao Chen had the advantage of being a cultivator before, not the advantage of the car. So, Li Shanpao quickly increased the speed to more than 200 km per hour. Xiao Chen's car was also within his sight. Vroom vroom, Li Shanpao's car made a roar. He reached out and turned on an electronic switch on the car. In an instant, an aiming star appeared on his windshield. This was an iron nail shooting system that he had specially prepared. It could aim at the tires of the car in front and shoot. As long as the tires of the opponent's car were punctured, the opponent's car would lose control and slide down the cliff. Of course, Lin Chao could also complete this task, but it was more difficult. Because the chassis of the sports car was relatively low, and Lin Chao was in the air, it was possible for him to shoot the fuel tank and throw the flash grenade, but it was a bit difficult to aim at the tires with the iron nails. If he didn't succeed in one shot, it wouldn't be good if he attracted the attention of others. But no one would have thought that there would be such a hidden danger on the opponent's car behind. This was also thanks to the fact that there wasn't a full surveillance system in this kind of place. As long as he went to the winding mountain road behind, no one would notice. However, there was a curve in front, so it wasn't easy to aim. Li Shanpao planned to wait until after this curve to kill Xiao Chen. At this moment, Xiao Chen also saw Li Shanpao catching up, and he understood. So this guy purposely fell behind in order to avoid the flash grenade. Xiao Chen wasn't a clay figurine. Killing Chao Yuliang might be a little stressful, but killing Li Shanpao wasn't stressful at all. This Li Shanpao actually dared to kill him with a flash grenade. If Xiao Chen kept him alive, he would be letting himself down. Especially when he almost killed Missy, it made Xiao Chen very angry. He didn't know why, but when it came to matters involving Cheng Menjing, Xiao Chen would also be very angry. Was it because she was his mistress or because she was once his fiancée? In Xiao Chen's heart, Li Shanpao was already equivalent to a dead person. After Xiao Chen passed the curve, he didn't quickly drive away. Instead, he set up an illusion behind him, changing the shape and distance of the curve behind him. Li Shanpao felt his vision blur. The track seemed to be different from what he had seen before, but he didn't pay much attention to it. He was fully focused on racing, and sometimes he would feel his vision blur. It was a reflex caused by visual fatigue. However, when Li Shanpao was drifting around the curve, he felt that something was wrong. He clearly felt that the wheels on one side seemed to have friction. Then, with a bang, his car tilted, and then the whole car rolled off the cliff. Lin Chao was still on the cable car. He witnessed the scene of Li Shanpao falling off the cliff with his own eyes. This made him very shocked. There wasn't any external interference. How did Li Shanpao suddenly drive the car off the edge of the mountain road? Could it be that he miscalculated the distance of the drift? However, logically speaking, Li Shanpao shouldn't have made such a low-level mistake. He was an international professional racer. How could he make a mistake on such a small track? Thinking of this, Lin Chao had some doubts. Could it be that Xiao Chen had done something? However, he didn't look carefully before. He only saw Xiao Chen successfully pass the flash grenade, and not long after, Li Shanpao fell off the cliff. Could it be that there was something wrong with the residue of the flash grenade? Lin Chao's heart was in a mess. Until the cable car reached the station, he forgot to get off. In the end, he followed the cable car and went around in circles. That, Li Shanpao, fell off? Although Cheng Menjing was from an ancient martial arts family, she would still be afraid when she saw something like a dead person. Although she hated Li Shanpao, seeing him fall off the cliff at this moment, her heart was still subconsciously shocked. No matter what, this was a living life. The flash grenade just now was probably released by him. Xiao Qin said faintly, "Unrighteousness brings about one's own destruction. Who knows if he was affected by it or not?" If that's the case. When Cheng Menjing thought about the flash grenade that almost caused her and Xiao Qin to lose their lives, she suddenly didn't sympathize with Li Shanpao. She was a little angry. Chao Yuliang even wants to kill me? Is he crazy? I'm also a little puzzled. Is this Chao Yuliang's order or Li Shanpao's personal behavior? Xiao Qin was also very puzzled at this moment. From the previous 2 races, Li Shanpao chose to endure. This should be Chao Yuliang's order. But why did Li Shanpao choose to go all out in the 3rd match? Did Chao Yuliang change his mind, or was there another reason? Li Shanpao's personal behavior? Cheng Minjing was a little surprised. Yup. Li Shanpao must have lost in the previous 2 races. He's an internationally famous racer after all. He's definitely upset that he lost to an unknown hedonistic young master in a row. So, I'm in the lead again in the 3rd race. It's possible that he killed me for the sake of his pride, but I'm not too sure, Xiaoqin said. Oh, I didn't expect that, Xiaoqin. You've been my servant for a long time, and you've become as smart as me. You're not as stupid as before. Cheng Minjing didn't expect Xiaoqin to be so smart that he could see so many things clearly. She used to think that Xiaoqin was an egomaniac who considered everything from the center of himself. Haha, one is marked by the company one keeps, Xiaoqin said with a smile. Is it because he has been infected by you and Jean Bebe that he has a dual personality? Cheng Minjing suddenly asked. Oh, then does he have a personality like me? Maybe a little. Xiaoqin smiled bitterly. I'm almost mentally ill. You deserve it. Who told you to play with her all day long? Cheng Minjing snorted. At the moment, Xiaoqin's car was approaching the finish line. Xiaoqin could even see Jean Bebe, Lu Jinming, Chao Yuliang, Chen Jinpeng and Xin Jingxian who were waiting at the finish line in advance. Xiaoqin didn't pay attention to the others. He kept staring at Chao Yuliang. When Chao Yuliang's car appeared in his field of vision, Xiaoqin saw that Chao Yuliang's expression didn't change much. Perhaps it was better to say that Chao Yuliang looked surprised, which made him even more puzzled. Is it really not Chao Yuliang who gave the order? Actually, Chao Yuliang had already been shocked. Xiaoqin's car was fine, but Li Shanpao's car suddenly fell off the cliff. He had already received news about this a long time ago. He had been suppressing his strength for so many years that he could already hide his emotions. Even if it was strange, he would not show it at this time. Chapter 153. Cousin-in-law, did you make it? Your opponent fell into a ditch and died. Jean Bebe ran to him and said happily, Cousin-in-law, you won. Huh? Really? Fell into a ditch? After hearing that, Xiaoqin pretended to be confused and said, Yes, I remember now. I don't know who was playing with a flashlight on the mountain earlier. It was so dazzling that I almost fell into a ditch. I guess that Li Shanpao must have been hit by it. Flashlight? Are you all right? Chao Yuliang interjected calmly. Aha, I have to thank Lu Jinming, young Master Lu. Xiaoqin laughed and patted Lu Jinming's shoulder. He changed the glass of the car to the International Professional Anti-Glare Glass, which can effectively protect us from strong light. Otherwise we would have been dead for sure. I wonder who was so immoral as to play with a flashlight near the mountain road. Oh, maybe it was a kid or something. Chao Yuliang almost burst out cursing on the spot. Lu Jinming, it's you again. Why is it always you? How old dare you? Ah, of course. How could I not do a good job in Xiaoqin's racing? Cost me a lot of money. Besides, Minjing was in the car. How could I joke about my own safety? Lu Jinming seemed to have forgotten that the glass of the car had been modified, but he did not mind making himself look good in front of Cheng Minjing. He immediately burst into laughter. Cheng Minjing looked at Xiaoqin strangely but did not say anything. That was not what Xiaoqin had told her in the car. Also, she had been blinded by the flashlight before. How could she have any anti-glare glass? In the third race, the driver of Song 741741 failed and fell off the cliff. The race is over. The driver of Song TTT 777 is the final winner of this race. The voice of Xiaoqin's victory came from the loudspeaker. In the next race, the drivers of Song TXXXXX and Song ZXXXXX will compete on the track. Please be prepared in advance. Xiaoqin won. The next race had nothing to do with him. He only needed to take the money and leave. Xiaoqin, congratulations. Chao Yuliang had to accept the fact. He had no choice. Li Shanpao was dead. It was impossible for him to deal with Xiaoqin today. Therefore he had to give up temporarily. If there is such a good thing in the future, I will ask Pingzi to find you in advance. No problem. I will never refuse money. Xiaoqin nodded. Xin Jingxian frowned slightly. She looked at Xiaoqin. She could not understand this playboy more and more. She naturally knew what kind of person Li Shanpao was. However, Xiaoqin was able to win 3 races in a row. Xin Jingxian did not think that it was as simple as luck. Or it could be said that it was only because the car was modified by Lu Jinming. Moreover, Xiaoqun was such an arrogant person. Every time after the race he would praise Lu Jinming. This made Shen Jingxian even more curious. Could it be that Xiaoqun really wanted to help Lu Jinming pursue Qing Menjing? Shen Jingxian felt that it was unlikely. How could such a narrow-minded man like Xiaoqun do such a thing? Even in the past, he and Qing Menjing were only engaged in name. However, 80% of the conflict between him and Xiao Yuliang was caused by Qing Menjing. It could be seen that although Xiaoqun was very fickle in pursuing her, he still regarded Qing Menjing as his woman in his heart. Otherwise he would not be so incompatible with Xiao Yuliang. Now, in just a few days Xiaoqun changed his character? Moreover, through the contact between Shen Jingxian and Xiaoqun, Shen Jingxian did not think that Xiaoqun would do such a boring thing. The current Xiaoqun was really different from the previous Xiaoqun. It's getting late. I need to go back and rest. Qing Menjing did not want to stay here any longer because Li Shanpao wanted to kill her and Xiaoqun. She was not in the mood. Jingxian, then I'll go first. I'll ask you out next time. Well, Menjing, go back and have a good rest. You must be tired today. Shen Jingxian smiled and nodded. She was the happiest that Qing Menjing and Xiaoqun were both fine. Qin Jinping went to Huang Xiaoqun and took out a bank card with 400,000 yuan. He handed it to Xiaoqun. Xiaoqun, this is the bank card with 400,000 yuan. The password is 6 zeros. Next time something like this happens, I'll call you again. But you also know that this kind of idiot rookie driver is not common. Okay. Call me if he's an idiot again. Xiaoqun nodded and put away the bank card. Then he got into the Panamera with Jin Beibei and Qing Menjing. After Xiaoqun and Qing Menjing left, Lu Jinming naturally did not need to stay anymore. He turned around and went to the parking lot. Watching him leaving, Xiao Yuliang clenched his fists. Good, very good. Lu Jinming, it seems that you are determined to go against me. Time and time again, the killers that I sent to assassinate Xiaoqun were either killed by you or driven away by your people. You even raided the martial arts club of the Qiao family and beat me up. I, Xiao Yuliang, have never suffered such a great loss in my life. Who said that Lu Jinming, the young master of the underworld, was stupid? In Xiao Yuliang's eyes, Lu Jinming was quite calculative. Otherwise, he would not have been able to go against him again and win with an overwhelming advantage. Cousin-in-law, you were awesome today. Jin Beibei was very excited on the way back. Not bad. Your car is good, said Xiaoqun. By the way, cousin Menjing, why don't you let me sit in cousin-in-law's car? Do you like cousin-in-law now? Jin Beibei was very regretful that she could not sit in the car today. Beibei, stop it. Qing Menjing glared at her and said, do you know how dangerous it was today? Xiao Yuliang wanted to kill Xiaoqun. Li Shanpao is a professional racer in the international underground racing competitions. He is best at killing his opponents in the competitions. If I had not been in the car, Xiao Yuliang would have killed me. But if you had been in the car, you and Xiaoqun would have died sooner. Ah. Jin Beibei was not stupid. She connected the dots and immediately realized what was going on. So, cousin Menjing was trying to save my cousin-in-law. What did you think? Otherwise, why would I like to take his car? It was so fast. I was so scared. My heart almost fell out of my body. Qing Menjing patted her chest subconsciously and said, what about the flashlight in the last race? Asked Jin Beibei. It seemed to be Li Shanpao's accomplice. He threw a flashlight, but I had memorized the route and was not affected, said Xiaoqun. Then why did Li Shanpao fall to his death? Jin Beibei was somewhat confused. I set up a magic trick behind me. Don't forget that I know magic tricks. Xiaoqun said with a smile. But he saw it wrong and fell to his death. At this moment, Xiaoqun did not want to keep it a secret anymore. After all, it was impossible for his mistress and Jin Beibei to harm him. You killed him. Qing Menjing widened her eyes and stared at Xiaoqun in disbelief. She found it hard to imagine that Xiaoqun had killed someone. Although killing was a common thing in the world of warriors, she rarely had the chance to come into contact with such things. He tried to kill me and almost got you and me involved in a clandestine marriage. So, of course, I had to kill him. Xiaoqun shrugged his shoulders. You're my missy after all. As a servant, I have the right to protect you. Is that so? Qing Menjing immediately felt much better. So Xiaoqun did it for her. It made Qing Menjing somewhat happy. The guy was finally paying attention to her. Wow, a clandestine marriage. Cousin Menjing, cousin-in-law, you are so romantic. Jin Beibei waved her hands and shouted as if she had discovered a new continent. Qing Minjing was somewhat speechless. She rolled her eyes at her and said, "You are going to die. Romantic? If you like him, you can marry him next time." It's fine if he is alive, but if he is dead, he won't know anything. I won't marry him. Jean Bebe stuck out her tongue. She suddenly thought of something. Right. Chao Yuliang asked Li Shanpao to kill him? He doesn't like cousin Minjing anymore? In the third race, I suspect that it was Li Shanpao's personal behavior. He is a famous racer in the world after all, but I won 2 races against him and I was still in the lead in the third race. He must have killed me in private for his own sake. Of course I'm not sure, Xiaoqin speculated. After all, Chao Yuliang held himself back for 2 races. There was no need for him to wait until the third race. He shouldn't be short of 400,000. That's true. How strange. Jean Bebe nodded after hearing that. She gnashed her teeth and said, "My poor car has been ruined by them. Damn Qin Jinping and Chao Yuliang. I'll kill them next time." Haven't you killed enough? Isn't this car Qin Jinping's? Xiaoqin said with a smile. It's mine now, Jean Bebe said matter-of-factly. Xiaoqin, seriously speaking, if you were not short of money, you wouldn't have promised Chao Yuliang and Qin Jinping anything in the future. Now that you know that they are up to no good, why did you go and join them? Qing Minjing said solemnly. Xiaoqin smiled bitterly. Why was he not short of money? He was in dire need of money right now. But it was not convenient for him to say that. If Qing Minjing asked him why the herbs he bought were so expensive, how was Xiaoqin going to answer her? Xiaoqin did not intend to talk about the cultivators for now. It's fine. I'm not scared of their petty schemes anyway. They are all at the kindergarten level, Xiaoqin said. I'd like to see what other tricks they have up their sleeves. Hey, what's wrong with you? Qing Minjing was a little unhappy. She raised her eyebrows and said to Xiaoqin, as the saying goes, if you always stand by the river, your shoes will always be wet. What kindergarten level? If it weren't for the fact that your racing skills are not bad, I would have died with you today because of you. Xiaoqin, when are you going to get rid of your bad habit of being so competitive? No girls will like you like this. Xin Jingxian doesn't like your personality either. There. Xiaoqin was immediately speechless. Why was he involved with Xin Jingxian again? Chapter 154. Xiaoqian's affection for Xin Jingxian had been completely sealed in his heart. When Qing Minjing mentioned it and talked about it, Xiaoqin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Okay, I'll try my best to be careful in the future. Humph, you don't listen to me no matter how hard I try to persuade you. You only listen to me when I mention Jingxian. Xiaoqin agreed, but Qing Minjing snorted unhappily. Which one is more important, me or Jingxian? Both are important. Xiaoqin was speechless. However, he was used to the temper of the first mistress. Jean Bebe stayed in the villa tonight. They drove all the way back to the villa. Xiaoqin didn't go in with them. Instead, he said to them, I've run out of medicine. I'll buy some. Okay. Qing Minjing didn't care. She and Jean Bebe had eaten something in the racetrack tonight, so they didn't need to have dinner. She didn't care what Xiaoqin was going to do. Xiaoqin didn't drive again. Driving would consume his primordial qi. Xiaoqin didn't want to waste the primordial qi that he had cultivated painstakingly in this place. Although it didn't consume a lot of primordial qi, he wanted to save as much as possible. When Xiaoqin came to the pharmacy, he took a look. Fortunately, the pharmacy was not closed. It was a little late today. Xiaoqin was really afraid that his cultivation would be delayed for a day. Pushing the door open, Xiaoqin walked in. The young girl Hong Yan was still reading a book. She was very quiet and beautiful. Hearing the sound, she looked up and found it was Xiaoqin. She didn't talk to him but said to the back, Grandpa, that guy is here again. Xiaoqin smiled bitterly. He didn't know how he had offended her. Her attitude was getting worse and colder. Young man, you're here. Grandpa Qin walked out from the back. Seeing Xiaoqin, he nodded to him. You're here again? Is it the same as last time? No, the prescription has been changed again this time. As Xiaoqin spoke, he passed the newly prepared prescription to Grandpa Qin and said, Grandpa, can you help me take a look? How much does it cost this time? Grandpa Qin nodded his head and took the prescription. He briefly looked at the medicinal ingredients and couldn't help but click his tongue in wonder. Young man, are you sure you can use all the medicinal ingredients? The herbs are getting more and more expensive every time. I'm afraid you can't afford it. How much is it this time? Xiaoqin asked. This time, even if I give you a discount, it will still be 5 million. Grandpa Qin said, Moreover, this is already a very low price because you have added a new medicinal herb which is very rare. This kind of medicinal herb costs 2 million. I see. Xiaoqin almost burst into tears on the spot. Cultivation was simply burning money. This is a bottomless pit. I don't even have 5 million on me. I thought I had a lot of money, but I didn't expect it to be a drop in the bucket. That's why I asked you. Are you sure you can use it? If you can't use it, it will be a waste of money. Grandpa Qin said. I only have 1 million on me now. Xiaoqin smiled bitterly and said weakly. Grandpa Qin suddenly laughed after hearing it. You are honest. However, I can sell you one. The next one will cost 5 million. It can't be any less. If I sell the next one, I will be making money. Thank you, Grandpa. Xiaoqin was suddenly surprised and happy. He thought that he couldn't buy it today and it would delay the progress of his cultivation. However, he didn't expect that Grandpa Qin actually agreed to sell him one. Alright, Yan, you swipe his card. I will get the medicine for him. Grandpa Qin said to Hong Yan. Oh. Hong Yan nodded and put down the book in her hand. She took out a POS machine and handed it to Xiaoqin. She said coldly, swipe it. Xiaoqin gave all the money he had to Hong Yan. He was only left with a little change in his pocket. It was really bitter to the extreme. He originally thought that he had some money on hand. Who would have thought that he could only afford to buy a set of medicinal herbs after the other party gave him a discount? After receiving the bag of medicinal herbs that weren't much different from before, Xiaoqin couldn't help but smile bitterly. Nowadays there were more and more rare medicinal herbs and less common ones. If this continued, how could he survive in the future? Grandpa Qin, why did you give him a discount again? Won't we lose out? Hong Yan looked at Grandpa Qin strangely and asked. Miss Yan, I always feel that this person isn't simple. It can be considered as a good karma. Grandpa Qin said, the connections of our Hong Chamber of Commerce are built this way in many cases. But he looks very wretched. No matter how I look at it, he won't be of help to us. Hong Yan had already put on colored glasses to look at Xiaoqin. In the past, didn't the honorary guest of our Hong Chamber of Commerce, President Lin, also come from a humble background? At that time, because of a good karma, the shopkeeper of a shop sold something to him. He was grateful. When our Chamber of Commerce was in trouble later, he helped us. Grandpa Qin said earnestly, as a businessman, this is what we pay attention to. Isn't President Lin a legendary figure? Grandpa Qin, does he really exist? Hong Yan asked curiously. Who knows? However, there might not be an empty hole, right? Grandpa Qin laughed and said, in short, the things recorded in the Chamber of Commerce's log should be true. Okay then. Hong Yan pouted and didn't continue to slander Xiaoqin. Xiaoqin ran home quickly and found that Qing Minjing and Jin Beibei had gone upstairs to rest. So he went back to his room and began to brew medicine. As for dinner, he skipped it. With all the medicinal materials he had bought, Xiaoqin sighed deeply and said to himself, Elder Heaven Ancestor, if this goes on, I will go bankrupt. Next, I really have to sell my blood. I am fast enough to cheat money, but you are even worse than me. Well, this is a good idea. Elder Heaven Ancestor said thoughtfully after hearing that. What? Xiaoqin was suddenly stunned. A good idea? Your blood has been tempered by medicine. After drinking it, it can strengthen your body, heal wounds and so on. So you can also sell your blood to people like Golden-Haired Lion King, Elder Heaven Ancestor said. Forget it. Then I might as well sell the dregs. Xiaoqin felt disgusted thinking about it. He put the medicinal materials into the electric clay pot, set the time and began to brew it. Over there, in a limousine near the underground racetrack, Chao Yuliang sat in it with a livid face. Opposite him was Li Shanpao's junior brother Lin Chao. Mr. Lin Chao, tell me what's going on. That's not what you told me at the beginning. You said that you would definitely kill Xiaoqin, but what about now? You didn't kill Xiaoqin, but he killed himself? How are you going to explain this to me? Chao Yuliang didn't complete the task, so he was naturally in a bad mood. However, he was secretly relieved that Qing Minjing didn't die. Young Master Chao, this is indeed my senior brother's mistake. However, you can't blame us entirely. We could have gotten rid of Xiaoqin in the first match, but you didn't agree. The third match was on the downhill mountain path, which was the most dangerous match. If something went wrong, this. Lin Chao was implying that he was also responsible. Chao Yuliang frowned slightly, but he didn't refute. After all, Lin Chao wasn't his junior brother, and the truth was what Lin Chao said. Now that Li Shanpao was dead, it was meaningless for Chao Yuliang to say this. Forget it. This time you and I are both responsible. I will still give you the money. Chow Yuliang waved his hand. You should leave as soon as possible. Don't let anyone find out. Of course, I have to go back and arrange the follow-up. Lin Chao nodded and said, but young Master Chow, there is something I have to remind you. Senior Brother Li's identity isn't simple. What do you mean? Chow Yuliang was slightly stunned. Isn't he just a professional racer in the underground racetrack? His identity on the surface is a professional racer, but his real identity is also a descendant of an aristocratic family. He's just a collateral relative. Lin Chao said, so, I'm afraid that Senior Brother's family will find trouble with young Master Chow. During this time, young Master Chow shouldn't go out of town. In Songning City, I believe that no one dares to touch young Master Chow. Are you threatening me? Chow Yuliang sneered. Let's not talk about the fact that he was a martial artist at the peak of Stage 3 internal strength. Even if he wasn't afraid of any collateral relatives. That's not it. It's just a kind reminder. Lin Chao waved his hand. Of course, this isn't the most troublesome. The most troublesome thing is that he has a fiancée who is a martial artist. Young Master Chow should know what kind of person a martial artist is, right? I'm afraid that his fiancée will come to take revenge. Chow Yuliang looked at Lin Chao's incessant chatter and finally got a little impatient. I'm just the employer. I paid. Li Shan's problem is ultimately because of Xiao Chen and Lu Jinming who helped him modify the car. You should tell them this. Young Master Chow, don't be unhappy. I'll naturally speak up for you. However, if someone really comes, you can just shirk the responsibility just like just now. Lin Chao hinted. Haha, understood. Chow Yuliang wasn't stupid. He understood the meaning behind Lin Chao's words. His previous unhappiness was instantly swept away. This was a good opportunity to deal with Xiao Chen and Lu Jinming. Previously, Chow Yuliang was afraid that they would come to find trouble. Now he was afraid that they wouldn't come. Then I'll take my leave. Lin Chao cupped his fist. He quickly got out of the RV and disappeared into the night. Chow Yuliang reached out and picked up the phone. He looked at a name on it and didn't press it for a long time. However, before he could make a decision, the phone rang first. Boss. Chow Yuliang took a deep breath and quickly picked up the phone. What are you doing? Why is Xiao Chen still alive? The boss's unhappy voice came from the other side of the phone. Chapter 155. Boss, this was an accident. I didn't want it, but Li Shanpao had a car accident. Chow Yuliang quickly explained, so, Xiao Chen won the race by luck. Car accident? Luck. I think you might be very happy in your heart, right? Qing Minjing didn't die. You are very happy, right? Do you really want this? The boss's voice had a penetrating sarcasm. Chow Yuliang's heart was shocked. He was indeed glad, but he didn't dare to say it out loud. Boss, how is this possible? Everything is based on your plan. It doesn't matter if the woman is sacrificed. Umph. The boss snorted coldly. Who is this driver you invited? He was suppressed by Xiao Chen in 3 consecutive races. An international professional racer is not as good as a prodigal young master? This? Actually, it's because of Lu Jinming from the Lu family. If it weren't for Lu Jinming, Xiao Chen would have died long ago. Chow Yuliang quickly said, Xiao Chen's car was modified by Lu Jinming. If it weren't for his car being so good, he would have died in this race. That Lu Jinming is really hateful. He actually added an auxiliary fuel tank and anti-dazzling sound glass. From what you mean you can't do it so you blame others, right? The boss's tone suddenly became cold. Chow Yuliang, let me tell you. What I give you now, I can also give to others. If you can't do it, I will replace you. Well, since you said that Lu Jinming is so powerful, then he is stronger than you. I will support him to do things for me. It's the same. Don't? Boss, I'm sorry. Please give me another chance. Chow Yuliang was shocked. He was shocked and quickly promised, I will make Xiao Chen die as soon as possible. I'll give you one last chance. Kill Xiao Chen as soon as possible. Otherwise, don't blame me for replacing you. After the boss finished, he hung up the phone. Chow Yuliang's chest heaved as he held the phone in his hand. No. I will not let others replace me. My achievements today are the result of my perseverance and hard work. I can't give it to others. That is an opportunity that belongs to me, Chow Yuliang. Xiao Chen, Lu Jinming, go to hell. After the decoction was done, Xiao Chen drank it all in one gulp. The hot and dry feeling in his body came again. He quickly began to train. However, It was not until 3 o'clock in the morning that the effect of the medicine passed. There was only a layer of black sludge on Xiao Chen's body. He did not break through again. This also made Xiao Chen feel disappointed, but at the same time he felt lucky. Even if he broke through again, it was impossible for him to have money to buy medicine. It was better to use this medicine for a few more days. After taking a shower, Xiao Chen hurriedly ran to the morning market street. Tang Tang must be very worried about his situation. It was already late when he came back from buying medicine yesterday. Tang Tang must have gone to bed, so Xiao Chen did not contact her again. All the way to the old auntie's grocery store, Xiao Chen was surprised to find that Tang Tang did not come to the stall today. However, Xiao Chen did not care at first. He began to pack up the things for the stall. However, when he finished packing, Tang Tang did not come, which made Xiao Chen feel a little strange. For a long time, Tang Tang had never been late. She was one step ahead of Xiao Chen every day. Today, Xiao Chen was ready to open the stall, but Tang Tang did not come. Xiao Chen quickly picked up the phone and dialed Tang Tang's number. At first, no one answered. Xiao Chen was slightly shocked. After a while, Tang Tang's weak voice came from the phone. "Xiao Chen? It's you? Tang Tang, are you okay? What's wrong with you?" Xiao Chen heard that Tang Tang's voice was not quite right. She seemed to be weak, so he asked quickly. "Nothing. I feel weak and uncomfortable. Today, I won't go to the stall. I want to sleep a little longer." "I'm sorry," Tang Tang said in a daze. "Tang Tang, are you sick? I'll go to see you. Where do you live?" Xiao Chen felt something was wrong when he heard Tang Tang's voice. He was a cultivator. Even if he was sick, he could recover quickly if it was not too serious. However, Tang Tang was an ordinary person. If she was sick and not treated in time, she might cause more trouble. "No, it seems that I have a cold. I'll be fine after a rest," Tang Tang said weakly. "You don't have to come. How can I do that?" "Hello." Xiao Chen did not expect Tang Tang to hang up the phone. Frowning slightly, Xiao Chen turned and walked into the grocery store. At this time, the old auntie had just woken up and was ready to open for business. When she saw Xiao Chen coming in, she asked, "Young man, what's wrong? What's the matter?" "Auntie, I want to ask, where is Tang Tang's home? Do you know?" Xiao Chen asked. "She didn't come today. She is sick. I'm going to see her. Her home is just on this street. Then in the last community, building number 3, but I don't know which unit." The old auntie said, "What's wrong? What's wrong with her? Is it serious?" "It should be a cold." Xiao Chen said, "Then I'll go and look for it." "Okay, you can go and ask." The old auntie nodded. Xiao Chen didn't go to the stall. Instead, he walked quickly toward the neighborhood. The community at the end of the street was a very old community. It should have been built decades ago. They were all red brick houses, and the highest one was only 3 stories. Building number 3 was easy to find. It was on the side of the road. Xiao Chen looked at the 3 units in front of him and released his divine sense spiritual power. She was already very familiar with Tang Tang's smell. It had not rained these 2 days. If Tang Tang passed here every day, it would be very easy for Xiao Chen to find her. As for asking others, it was basically impossible. How many people would pay attention to a student who went out early and came back late? Soon Xiao Chen walked to the middle unit. Upstairs, Xiao Chen stopped in front of unit 302. Xiao Chen could be sure that Tang Tang was renting here. Xiao Chen wanted to knock on the door, but he hesitated. Tang Tang was so weak now. Could she get up and open the door for him? "Elder Heaven Ancestor, can a cultivator open the door?" Xiao Chen asked. "Damn, do you really think that a cultivator is omnipotent? They can also pick the lock." Elder Heaven Ancestor's speechless voice sounded. "Then it seems that I can only knock on the door." Xiao Chen stretched out his hand. When he was about to knock on the door, he heard Elder Heaven Ancestor continue to speak. "I really admire you." Elder Heaven Ancestor's voice was somewhat helpless. "Inject your primordial chi and divine sense spiritual power into the door lock. Let the door lock operate according to your imagination. Then you can replace the kinetic energy generated by the key." "Is that okay?" Xiao Chen just asked casually. He did not expect that it would work. This cultivator was really omnipotent. Even a martial artist could not do it. A sense of superiority arose spontaneously. Click. Just a weak primordial chi made the door lock open. Tang Tang was at home, so naturally there was only a small lock. Xiao Chen did not spend much effort. This house was also a typical old-fashioned house. There was no decoration inside. As soon as he entered the door, there was a long corridor. On the right side were a bathroom, a kitchen, and a bedroom. It was a typical old-fashioned house. The whole corridor was dim and had no windows. Xiaoqun could not help but frown. Tang Tang lived in such an environment every day. After closing the door, Xiaoqun walked to the bedroom. The door of the bedroom was not locked or not locked at all. Who's there? The sound of Xiaoqun opening the door might have alerted Tang Tang. The moment Xiaoqun opened the bedroom door, he heard Tang Tang's exclamation. Tang Tang was sitting on the bed and looking at the door in horror. She was only wearing a small vest, and her breasts were so huge that Xiaoqun was a bit surprised. Usually Tang Tang wore relatively loose clothes and it was not obvious. But at this moment, Xiaoqun found that her breasts were several sizes bigger than Jean Bei's. Of course, it was also because Tang Tang was fat in the first place. But according to the ratio, it was indeed shocking. It's you, Xiaoqun? Tang Tang was relieved when she saw Xiaoqun. She had thought it was a thief. Tang Tang usually looked like a tough woman, but she was not a warrior. Now that she was sick, she still showed the weak side of a girl unnaturally. However, when Tang Tang calmed down and saw the direction of Xiaoqun's eyes, an inexplicable feeling rose in her heart. Was she a little shy? Or a little happy? But she was not angry at all. Hey, what are you looking at? You are even looking at me? What a vulgar taste. No matter what Tang Tang thought in her heart, she still put on a disdainful look. Xiaoqun, you can't be so thirsty, can you? You are so bored by Cheng Menjing in the villa that you come to see me? Do you want me to take it off and let you have a closer look? Ahem. Xiaoqun suddenly blushed. Even he did not know why he went to see Tang Tang before. Perhaps he did not know when Tang Tang was not just a buddy anymore. Between men and women, how many friends were there that were just buddies? Nothing. I just saw that you were wearing so little. Will you catch a cold? I am very hot. Tang Tang saw that it was Tang Tang who came and she lay down in a daze. She really had no strength to support herself. Xiaoqun quickly walked over and touched Tang Tang's forehead. He was shocked. It's so hot. Do you have a cold? Do you have medicine? I will get it for you. No. Tang Tang said weakly. Her living conditions were limited, and she would not buy a lot of medicine to store at home. Then I will buy it. As Xiaoqun said, he quickly ran out of the room and went downstairs. With Xiaoqun's speed, it was still very fast to run from here to the pharmacy. There was a pharmacy near the Morning Street. Xiaoqun had already seen it when he came, and it was open 24 hours. It took less than 10 minutes for Xiaoqun to come back. He did not know where Tang Tang's drinking water was, so he bought 2 bottles of mineral water. Chapter 156. Xiaoqun gave the medicine and mineral water to Tang Tang and watched her take it. Only then did Xiaoqun feel relieved. Thank you. Tang Tang took the medicine. Maybe it was because of the psychological effect, so she felt a lot better in an instant. Don't say thank you to me. Aren't you treating me like an outsider? Xiaoqun smiled bitterly. You are so sick. Why didn't you call me before? Last night was Saturday. I didn't expect so many people to buy fried dough twists and sesame balls at the night market. I couldn't help it. There were still materials, so I sold them until midnight. Maybe it was cold at night and I caught a cold. When I came back, I slept until you called me. Tang Tang said, as a result, I overslept. When I got up, I found that I was so uncomfortable. It's all my fault. I went to the car race yesterday and let you support it alone. Xiaoqun said apologetically, if I have something to do in the future, you can close the stall. I'm not that weak. Yesterday was an exception. I used to be alone and I wasn't sick. Tang Tang shook her head and said, I really didn't find it. Xiaoqun, you are very caring and caring for people. Did you do it as Cheng Menjing's servant? Sweat. What does it matter? Xiaoqun didn't expect that Tang Tang would mention this when she was sick. In my opinion, you and Cheng Menjing have no hope, so just give up. There are plenty of fish in the sea. Why do you have to go back to her? Tang Tang said, by the way, I have a distant cousin. I will introduce her to you. She is not worse than Cheng Menjing. You don't have to. Xiaoqun was a little speechless. Do I look so thirsty? It must be the look in my eyes that made Tang Tang misunderstand, but that was a man's nature. Why not? I'll give you something to think about so you don't have to fantasize about me. Tang Tang said, took out her mobile phone and searched for a long time. Then she handed a photo to Xiaoqun and said, let me show you. Is it better than Cheng Menjing? I don't want to see it, Xiaoqun said. I have to see it. Tang Tang insisted. Xiaoqun had no choice but to take the phone. However, when he looked at it, his breath stagnated. Tang Tang did not lie to him. The girl in the photo was a national beauty. She was not inferior to Qing Menjing. Moreover, her figure seemed to be better than that of the young lady. Her plump chest seemed to have inherited the same genes as Tang Tang. The girl's eyes were very big and lively. She had a simple ponytail and was wearing a school uniform. Under the setting sun, she looked very charming. If this photo was posted on the internet, it would probably become very popular. Needless to say, Tang Tang's cousin really attracted Xiao Qian. Of course, it was just an attraction. Xiao Qian would not unrealistically have a crush on a photo. Well, I didn't lie to you, did I? Tang Tang looked at Xiao Qian's stunned expression and said proudly, "Haha, it's beautiful indeed but not my cup of tea." Xiao Qian returned the phone to Tang Tang. "Why?" Tang Tang was slightly stunned. "I don't know anyone. It's just a virtual person. Who knows what her personality is like?" Xiao Qian said with a smile, "So, I'd better stay with you and Fry Youtiao. Even if she doesn't have Qing Menjing's family background, with this kind of beautiful and refined appearance, even if she is a collateral relative of your Tang family, I'm afraid I won't have a chance." "That's not necessarily true. Maybe she likes fried youtiao?" Tang Tang said. "As if you can represent her." Xiao Qian smiled. "It's not like I can't live without a girlfriend. Don't worry about this for me. Forget it, but you may not have no hope." Tang Tang put away the phone and looked at Xiao Qian with a smile. "Okay, if she comes to me to confess, I will accept it. Is that okay?" Xiao Qian didn't want to discuss this topic again, so he said, "Ah, okay." Tang Tang seemed to be very happy, but after talking with Xiao Qian for a long time, the effect of the drug also came, and she was a little sleepy. "I'm sleepy. I want to sleep. Do you want to go to school?" "How can I go to school when you are like this? Besides, today is Sunday." "Tang Tang, you're sleepy?" Xiao Qian was almost stunned by Tang Tang. "Oh, okay, I'm going to sleep. You can do whatever you want. The four walls of the house are bare. You can create your own fun. While I'm asleep, you can send a photo of my cousin?" Tang Tang said and closed her eyes. Xiao Qian suddenly broke into a sweat. This Tang Tang is really my buddy. She even dares to say this. He just wanted to say that there is no need to compare the photos. It's fine for you. But after thinking about it, he didn't say it. If Tang Tang said you do it, then Xiao Qian would be a fool. Seeing that Tang Tang's breathing became even, Xiao Qian touched her forehead and found that it was not very hot. Then he was relieved and got up to walk around the room. The structure of the house in the past was similar to a hotel. There was no living room, but the bedroom was very big. Xiao Qian took a simple look. There was a desk, a bookshelf, and Tang Tang's bed. The four walls of the house are really bare. This kind of ascetic life may be nothing for Kerlin, but for Tang Tang, who had lived a rich life, it was really not easy. Even the most basic TV was not available. He didn't know what Tang Tang played every day. But thinking about it, Tang Tang was different from him. She sold fried dough sticks in the morning, went home at night, reviewed her homework, and went to bed quickly. How could she have time to play? On the bookshelf there was a pile of review materials. It seemed that Tang Tang was also very diligent. Her family didn't want her, so she could only rely on herself in the future. Thinking about Xiao Qian himself, if he hadn't accidentally embarked on the road of cultivation, then the road of life in the future would be similar to Tang Tang. "Hey? What is this?" Xiao Qian suddenly saw a photo on the bookshelf. He thought it was Tang Tang's photo, but when he picked it up, it turned out to be Tang Tang's cousin. Of course, it was not the one he saw on the mobile phone before. This photo should be taken earlier because in the photo Tang Tang's cousin was still a little immature, but the little beauty had already taken shape. Shaking his head, Xiao Qian put the photo back. Xiao Qian didn't want to look at things that didn't belong to him. If he really wanted to see beautiful women, he could search a lot of them on the internet. He just didn't know why Tang Tang still had her cousin's photo. Was Tang Tang really a tomboy and liked beautiful women? Xiao Qian thought about it and felt that his imagination was too rich. Tang Tang was normal except that she often joked with him. However, even Xiao Qian, who was more determined, saw Tang Tang's cousin's photo. He was a little relaxed and happy. If he was still the carefree Xiao Qian before, maybe he might be tempted. But now Xiao Qian had so many things and pressures every day. He didn't have enough time to cultivate. How could he have time to pick up girls? Xiao Qian wandered in Tang Tang's bedroom for more than an hour. Tang Tang woke up and saw that Xiao Qian was still there. Her face suddenly showed a smile. "Xiao Qian, you haven't left yet. You are sick. Of course I have to accompany you. Let me cook something for you. Did you eat last night?" asked Xiao Qian. Yesterday Sister Lin sent me some noodles. Tang Tang said, but I was too busy. It was cold when I ate it. Sister Lin? Xiao Chen was stunned. It's Ker Lin, said Tang Tang. Oh, why do you call her Sister Lin? Xiao Chen thought that this title was a bit funny, but it was also appropriate. Wasn't Ker Lin also soft and weak? She's younger than me. Just call her that. Tang Tang smiled and said, why? Are you not happy to call your little lover sister? Sweat, what are you talking about? I'm going to cook something for you. Xiao Chen shook his head and walked out of the bedroom quickly. Tang Tang looked at Xiao Chen's back and smiled slightly. There were not many children of aristocratic families who could be as considerate as Xiao Chen. Don't look at how Lu Jinming pursued Cheng Menjing all day long. Let him cook a meal? He pursued Cheng Menjing. Cheng Menjing was beautiful, but the most important thing was the Cheng family's family background. Otherwise there were so many beautiful women. With the ability of Lu Jinming's family, where couldn't he find them? There were so many girls in the nightclub. It was impossible that there were no beautiful girls. Tang Tang's bedroom was bare and the kitchen was the same. After Xiao Chen walked in, he suddenly felt like he couldn't cook without rice. However, there were still rice and eggs. Tang Tang couldn't eat anything because she was sick. Xiao Chen simply boiled a pot of porridge, boiled 2 poached eggs and brought it over. So fast. Tang Tang didn't expect that Xiao Chen almost went in and out. He came back in less than 10 minutes. She was a little puzzled. Can this rice porridge be done in 10 minutes? What she didn't know was that Xiao Chen was afraid that she was hungry, so he directly added primordial qi to speed up the cooking. In order for Tang Tang to have a meal, Xiao Chen was not stingy with his primordial qi. He didn't know when Tang Tang had become a very important person in Xiao Chen's life. In the past, except for Zhu Yingxiong, it was difficult for Xiao Chen to find such a feeling of treating each other with sincerity. When it came to Zhu Yingxiong, Xiao Chen had some doubts. Why has this kid been so quiet recently? He didn't come to the second high school to find me. Don't forget what we do. It's an ancestral breakfast business. Xiao Chen said. If your words are heard by old Master Xiao, he will be furious. Tang Tang couldn't help but laugh after listening. She sat up and picked up the spoon, ready to enjoy the breakfast that Xiao Chen customized for her. The Xiao family's affairs have nothing to do with me. I was kicked out and set up my own business, so I am the first generation. Isn't it ancestral? Xiao Chen said with a smile. Try it. It's delicious. Tang Tang drank a mouthful of rice porridge and suddenly widened her eyes. Is there such a delicious rice porridge in the world? However, Xiao Chen used 10 minutes. Is this made with a pressure cooker? How can it be so delicious? If it's not delicious, can it be called ancestral? Look at our fried dough sticks and soybean milk. Who can compete with it? Xiao Chen said with a smile. Ha, in fact, you are hungry. Chapter 157. It's all primordial energy. How can it not be delicious? Xiao Chen smiled bitterly in his heart. Really? Tang Tang thought about it. Is it because Xiao Chen specially made it for me? Is it because I have a psychological effect? After wolfing down the breakfast, Tang Tang's complexion recovered a lot. What do you want to eat at noon? I'll buy something. There's nothing at your house. Xiao Chen spread his hands and said, don't bother. I'm better. Let's go to the stall. Tang Tang didn't forget to make money. Today is the weekend. There are many people. We'll lose a lot of money in a day. That won't do. You haven't recovered yet. If you go to the stall, it will worsen your condition. Xiao Chen said quickly, we're not in a hurry today. Let's talk about it after we make money. Yeah, okay. I'll listen to you. I'll be lazy for a day. Tang Tang was really weak. She could still stand up, but it would be very tiring. Since Xiao Chen insisted, Tang Tang became dependent on him, so she went with the flow and collapsed. And I'll go out to buy groceries. Xiao Chen nodded. You sleep for a while. Okay. Tang Tang looked at Xiao Chen and suddenly had a very happy feeling. She was like a sick wife being taken care of by her husband. Tang Tang didn't know why she suddenly had such a feeling. Is it? I've been a girl for too long, and I suddenly don't want to be one? No, Tang Tang, you have to be a girl now. You can't think so many messy things. And right? Xiao Chen didn't know what Tang Tang was thinking. Seeing Tang Tang's blurred eyes, he thought she was still sick and dizzy. Out of the door, Xiao Chen ran directly to the morning market street to buy groceries, but he was thinking about how to get money. A single dose of medicine from last night had made him penniless. At the latest, he would need 3 days, which was the night of the day after tomorrow, to raise 2. 5 million yuan. Even then it might not be enough. As usual, Lin Ke happily went to look for Tang Tang and Xiao Chen with a plate of noodles, preparing to trade for some youtiao. However, when she came to Xiao Chen's stall today, she saw that it was empty. There was only the glaring stall number on the ground, but no one was there. She was shocked. The morning market had its own rules. Everyone had a stall number. Even if that person didn't come, they couldn't just take up a stall. They had to get approval from the market management office. Lin subconsciously wondered if it was Red Hair or the big guy from yesterday's dojo who came looking for trouble, causing Xiao Chen to be unable to continue setting up his stall. The burly man from the dojo yesterday, Zheng Qianzhu, was the most likely suspect. Thinking of this, Lin suddenly felt guilty. If he hadn't been careless, how could he have bumped into that person? Then Xiao Chen wouldn't have stood up for him. As a result, he got himself into trouble. Lin Ke had been selling noodles here for a long time, and had heard many rumors about the morning market. Those stall owners who offended the local ruffians were all punished until they hovered between life and death, and had no choice but to leave this place in the end. Could it be that Xiao Chen was the same? While worrying about her gains and losses, Lin Ke stood there foolishly with the noodles in her hands. Although the passers-by were a little curious, no one bothered her. They all thought that she was here to deliver the noodles and was waiting for someone. Lin? Xiao Chen came to the morning market and subconsciously glanced at his stall. He didn't expect to see Lin. Xiao Chen, I'm sorry? Lin saw Xiao Chen came by himself without a cart, which confirmed Lin's guess. She thought he couldn't come and had to go to the market management office to register for the transfer of his stall. I'm sorry? Lin's sudden apology made Xiao Chen confused. He didn't know what Lin had done to him. It seemed like there wasn't anything. It's all my fault. I wasn't careful when I walked, and bumped into someone. They'll take revenge on you and you can't set up your stall here anymore. As she spoke, Lin's tears were about to fall. Xiao Chen's, I'm sorry, made Lin think that he was sneering and mocking her. She felt even more uncomfortable. I know this stall is very important to you, but I didn't mean it. How about? If you want to pursue me, that's fine too. Lin really didn't know how to make it up to Xiao Chen. Speaking of giving Xiao Chen money, she didn't have it. Her family's life wasn't easy. How could she have money to give to Xiao Chen? After thinking about it, she could only compensate Xiao Chen with herself. What are you talking about? Lin, what the hell are you talking about? Xiao Chen was even more confused. Why is this chick talking more and more out of line? Lin took a closer look at Xiao Chen's expression. It didn't look like the anger and sadness of not being able to set up a stall at all, but he seemed to really have some doubts. Suddenly she was also puzzled. Were you threatened by Basketball Zheng from the martial arts dojo yesterday and couldn't set up a stall here? Martial arts dojo? Basketball Zheng? Xiao Chen was stunned and said, his martial arts dojo was destroyed by young Master Lu yesterday. I'm afraid he is still worried about his livelihood. How can he have the leisure to trouble me? Destroyed? Lin Ke smacked her lips. It was very difficult for her to imagine that a dojo would be razed to the ground just like that. However, she also knew that in the eyes of these hedonistic young masters, this matter was really nothing much. Wasn't Xiao Chen the same in the past? She sighed. It seemed that she was too naive after all. Even if Xiao Chen was driven out of the Xiao family, there was no shortage of aristocratic children around him to help him. He was still the same as before. He was still the arrogant playboy. How could he suffer losses? Yeah, you don't have to worry. By the way, what are you doing? Xiao Chen looked at the board in Lin's hand and asked, are you going to deliver food? And isn't this for you and Sister Tang? But when I saw that you weren't here, I thought something happened to you. Lin explained in a low voice. It turns out to be like this. No wonder. Xiao Chen suddenly understood. Tang Tang is sick today. I went to take care of her, so I didn't come to the stall. But I haven't eaten yet. Since you have made the board noodles, I will eat it. But there is no fried dough sticks to repay you. No need. Lin shook her head. Xiao Chen had taken care of her, so she said quickly. Xiao Chen took the board noodles and came to the breakfast table on the roadside. There were 2 bowls of board noodles, so he said, you have a bowl. There are no fried dough sticks today. You have to eat it when you go back. It's better to eat it while it's hot. Lin nodded with a red face and sat opposite to Xiao Chen. Taking a bowl of board noodles, Lin lowered her head and ate it in small bites. Her delicate little face was red. She didn't know if it was because of the spicy board noodles or because of shyness. This was the first time she sat with Xiao Chen and ate face to face. She was shy and timid. Xiao Chen's image of a playboy was deeply rooted in people's hearts. Lin didn't dare to have more contact with him, for fear that she would be played with emotionally and couldn't find a place to cry. This was because there were too many bad rumors about young Master Xiao. Of course, these were all fabricated by Chao Yuliang in order to destroy Xiao Chen's image in Cheng Menjing's heart. However, the worse Xiao Chen's reputation was at that time, the more secure he felt, so he didn't come out to refute the rumors. It was tantamount to acquiescing. Therefore, in the eyes of Lin, Xiao Chen was such a person. She was just an ordinary girl. She just wanted to find a boyfriend who loved her and she loved him. The two of them would accompany each other for a lifetime. She didn't want wealth, but she didn't want to leave. Obviously, Xiao Chen wasn't her ideal candidate. Although she almost became his girlfriend several times when she was impulsive, she was covered in cold sweat afterwards. If she was played with by Xiao Chen, it would be fine. If she was dumped halfway, then Lin could only commit suicide out of shame. She was a traditional girl. What she wanted was to be faithful to the end. She didn't envy or like the life of those beautiful young models. She didn't look forward to it. She couldn't imagine what it would be like if she followed a man and then a second man. Therefore, Lin lowered her head and was careful. She didn't dare to look directly at Xiao Chen. She just ate the noodles in small bites. Xiao Chen, on the other hand, didn't think too much about it. He thought that all girls ate like this, or at least the first miss was the same. He, on the other hand, wolfed down his food. The bowl of noodles was quickly finished, while Lin Ke, who was sitting opposite him, had only eaten less than half of it. I'm full. Before, when Xiao Chen ate with her, Lin could barely eat. Now that Xiao Chen finished eating and watched her eat, how could she still eat? You're full? Your appetite is so small? Xiao Chen looked at Lin's bowl that still had half a bowl left. This is really a waste. I haven't eaten enough yet. And I usually don't eat much. Lin said. If you don't eat, then let me eat. As Xiao Chen said this, he took the remaining half bowl of noodles from Lin and ate it. Lin's pretty face blushed. Xiao Chen ate her remaining noodles? What does this mean? Only a couple would do this, right? Is Xiao Chen hinting something? Or did he take what I said just now seriously? However, I said that I want him to pursue me, but the premise is that I can't set up a stall. Now that everything is fine, why is he still like this? Moreover, even if it's a pursuit, I haven't agreed yet. Just like that, Lin Ke's thoughts were all over the place. Xiao Chen had also finished his noodles and even drank the soup before stopping. Not bad, it's delicious. Xiao Chen actually praised the noodles itself, but he said so after eating Lin's leftover noodles. Inevitably, he was misunderstood by Lin. Is it? Lin Ke's face was so red that water was about to drip out. She bit her lips, not knowing what to do. Faced with Xiao Chen's hints and teasing, Lin Ke could only act innocent to hide the panic in her heart. Well, for the first time I found that the noodles are so delicious. Xiao Chen nodded and casually praised. In fact, it was also because he was hungry. Before, he only cared about Tang Tang and he didn't eat a bite. He didn't eat last night, how could he not be hungry? Chapter 158. However, his casual compliment made Lin's heart turn. Lin felt that Xiao Chen really wanted to do something to her. This made Lin stand up subconsciously. I'm going back. I have something to do at home. Okay, I'll see you off. I'm going to buy groceries and cook for you at noon. Xiao Chen also stood up and said. He didn't notice Lin's strangeness. Moreover, Lin used to be so weak. Lin was shocked, but she couldn't refuse. She couldn't say that she didn't need to see him off, could she? That would be too unreasonable. After all, Xiao Chen had helped her many times. If it weren't for Xiao Chen, let alone yesterday, she would have been taken away by that rich young master and had sex with him. Therefore, it was not impossible to give it to Xiao Chen, but Lin was not reconciled. She didn't think that Xiao Chen would really like her. Therefore, with these messy things, Lin stood up in a daze and almost forgot to take away the empty bowl. Fortunately, Xiao Chen thought about it and helped her to take it. The two walked forward like this. Lin lowered her head as if she had lost money, and didn't lift her eyes, which made Xiao Chen a little speechless. She was going to bump into someone again. Therefore, when he saw a blind man with a cane coming in front of him, Xiao Chen subconsciously pulled Lin and wanted to pull her away. However, Lin seemed to be frightened and suddenly avoided him. Lin thought that Xiao Chen wanted to hold her hand. She was annoyed in her heart. Although she was a girl from a poor family, he couldn't be so frivolous. Shouldn't he pursue her? Why don't you hold Qing Menjing's hand? Xiaochen didn't think much of it. He thought that Kerlin immediately reacted and dodged the blind man. When they were about to arrive at Kerlin's stall, Xiaochen returned the empty bowl to her. Because there was a vegetable stall nearby, Xiaochen stopped. Thank you for your noodles. See you tomorrow. Oh? Kerlin took the empty bowl and bit her lip. My noodles? Is he talking about the noodles I've eaten before? Kerlin didn't dare to ask. She was afraid of Xiaochen, so she could only hold it in and go back with the empty bowl. How could Xiaochen know what Kerlin was thinking? He squatted down and began to pick the vegetables. The current Xiaochen was also an expert at buying vegetables. If it was in the past, he probably wouldn't even be able to tell the difference between spinach and rape. Being a servant really trained people. Xiaochen sighed. Xiaochen bargained and bought a bag of vegetables and meat. He was a poor man now. His pocket was cleaner than his face, so he had to save money. Although Xiaochen couldn't say that he spent money like water, he also regarded money as dirt and never cared about it. Wait a minute. When Xiaochen paid and was about to leave, he heard someone calling him. The reason why he knew it was because the voice was Kerlin's. Kerlin, why are you back? What's the matter? Xiaochen looked at Kerlin with some doubts. That big sister Tang Tang is usually very nice to me. She's sick and I want to visit her. Lin Ke said shyly. After she went back, she thought about it and decided that she should visit Tang Tang, so she told her mother. After all, it wasn't the time to eat and there wasn't any business. Of course, no problem. Let's go together. Xiaochen nodded, but he didn't think much. After all, Tang Tang and Kerlin got along well. However, when he saw the 10 yuan in Kerlin's hand, Xiaochen was slightly stunned. You still want to buy something? You don't have to, right? I want to buy some fruit. Kerlin finally got 20 yuan as pocket money. The price she paid was to get into the top 10 in the next exam and get a scholarship. Don't bother. Xiaochen shook his head and said, let's go now. I'd better buy some fruit. Although Kerlin was weak, she had a trace of stubbornness. Okay. Xiaochen saw Kerlin's determination, so he didn't stop her. He nodded and came to a fruit stall with Kerlin. The fruits in the morning market were not expensive, they were all very cheap goods. You could buy quite a lot of them with just $10, filling up the entire bag. After Lin Ke paid, Xiaochen snatched it away first. Kerlin pursed her lips. She didn't say anything for Xiaochen's help. Xiaochen walked in front, and Kerlin carefully followed behind. She kept taking half a step back like a little attendant. The two people walked to the old-fashioned residential building of Tang Tang's house. Kerlin and Xiaochen walked into the unit together, but the gloominess and darkness inside made Kerlin slightly shocked. The corridor glass of this old-fashioned building was broken because of years of disrepair. In order to prevent wind from leaking in winter, it was nailed. As a result, there was no light at all during the day. In addition, there were no voice-controlled lights in the corridor, so the entire corridor was dark. It made people feel uncomfortable when they entered. Why does Sister Tang live in such a broken place? It's so gloomy. Lin Ke could not help but feel a little nervous. She sneaked a glance at Xiaochen and thought to herself, could it be that this was not Tang Tang's house, but Xiaochen had purposely lured her to this gloomy place to do something to her? Although Lin Ke's house was a bungalow, it wasn't this gloomy. This place was really too scary, and there wasn't even the slightest movement in the hallway. Lin Ke was really afraid that Xiaochen was plotting against her. It was really hard for her to imagine that a girl would rent such a scary place. Wasn't she afraid? Logically speaking, it shouldn't be. Therefore, Kerlin felt that Xiaochen was lying to her. Is it here? Kerlin couldn't help but ask. Yeah, what's wrong with you? Xiaochen turned his head and saw that Kerlin didn't go, so he couldn't help but feel strange. No, nothing. Kerlin only dared to go upstairs when she heard Xiaochen's affirmation. But she kept whispering in her heart, how horrible. She trembled all the way to the top floor. She saw that Xiaochen didn't take the key or knock on the door, but directly opened the door. She couldn't help but be shocked. If she was at home, how could she not lock the door? In such a gloomy place, how could a girl not lock the door at home? But Xiaochen opened the door as soon as he pulled it? Was this an abandoned hut? Did Xiaochen trick her to come here? Kerlin was a little trembling when she thought of this. She didn't know whether to go forward or retreat, so she just stood at the door in a daze. Xiaochen went in, and when he turned his head, he found that Kerlin was still standing at the door. He couldn't help but be stunned. Kerlin, what are you doing? Why don't you come in? Is it really sister's home? Kurlin's breath was a little short. Xiaoqin, are you back? Is there someone else? Before Xiaoqin spoke, there came the voice of inquiry from inside the house. Kurlin's previous sense of fear disappeared in an instant. She couldn't help but blush a little. She really misunderstood Xiaoqin. He is actually quite honest, isn't he? It seems that he didn't coerce me. Oh Kurlin, why do you think so badly of him? Don't do it next time. Sister Tang, it's me. I heard that you were sick, so I came to see you. Kurlin walked in and closed the door, then quickly walked to the bedroom inside. It's Sister Lin. Tang heard Kurlin's voice and was a little surprised. Why are you here? Xiaoqin, did you deliberately tell him? No, Ku'er came to our stall to deliver the board noodles, and found that we didn't open the stall, so I just met her. Xiaoqin said and raised the fruit in his hand. Tang, this is specially bought by Ku'er for you. You also bought something? Tang sat up from the bed. Xiaoqin, you go and wash up. Let's eat together. Sister Lin, come and sit here. The house is too shabby and there isn't even a sofa. Don't laugh at me, just sit on the bed. How come? My house is almost the same. Kurlin shook her head quickly. She didn't seem to think that there was anything wrong with her house being as shabby as here. It seemed that she was not a vain girl. Xiaoqin took the fruit to the kitchen to wash. After washing, there was a slightly rotten apple. Xiaoqin didn't put it on the plate, but directly put it into his mouth. But when he ate it, he suddenly frowned. Damn, how can there be such a bad apple in the world? It's not sour nor sweet. It's like a melon egg. It can be stewed with potatoes. No wonder it's sold so cheaply. It seems that I've been cheated. Xiaoqin smiled bitterly. If he were to bring it up, not only would Tang not eat it, Lin Ku'er would definitely feel embarrassed because of the loss of face. Therefore, Xiaoqin had no choice but to extend his hand and infuse a strand of yuan qi into each fruit. No matter how unpalatable they were in the past, they had now become a delicacy in the world. After doing all this, Xiaoqin took the fruit and put it on Tang's pillow. It's washed. You two eat together. I just ate a rotten one. It's delicious. Okay. Tang didn't hesitate. She picked up an apple and handed it to Kurlin. Then she picked up another one and put it into her mouth. She took a bite. But when she ate it, Tang suddenly widened her eyes. Oh my God, where did you buy this apple? How can it be so delicious? It's more delicious than the pollution-free natural green apple I've eaten before. Ah, really? Kurlin suddenly became happy. There's a fruit stall on the morning market street. Kurlin also took a small bite. It was so delicious that she almost cried. She had never eaten such delicious fruit since she was a child. It was so delicious. It was sweet and sour. It didn't seem to be an apple but a fairy fruit. Xiaoqin, you eat it too. This apple is really delicious. Tang said, I didn't expect that the fruit on the morning market street would be so delicious. I thought it was bought in the imported fruit supermarket. Domestic products are also very strong now, the best strong fruit. Xiaoqin said, but I won't eat it. I don't like fruit. Chapter 159. Xiaoqin could make some whenever he wanted to eat. He didn't have to fight with them. Kurlin ate one and wanted to eat more, but she was a little embarrassed. Although she bought the apple herself, it was for Tang. It was already delivered. If she ate more, it would seem very stingy. Eat another one. I can't eat so much. Tang seemed to be able to read Kurlin's mind. She picked up another apple and handed it to her. In fact, Kurlin was a very simple person. Whatever she thought, she basically showed it on her face. Okay then. Kurlin took the apple. She really couldn't resist the temptation and ate it again. You guys talk. I'll cook for you. Or eat here at noon. Try my cooking, said Xiaoqin. You can cook? Kurlin looked at Xiaoqin incredulously. This is a different person from the Xiaoqin I know. According to the rumor in the school, Xiaoqin didn't even know what the fried noodles in the snack bar were. How could he cook now? Of course, the fried dough sticks you eat every day are fried by me. What's so strange about it? Said Xiaoqin. I mean other dishes, said Kurlin curiously. I know a little. I just learned it. You can try it. Xiaoqin said as he walked out of the bedroom and went to the kitchen. Sister Lin, you don't know? Xiaoqin is very powerful now. Everything he makes is delicious. Tang said to Kurlin. Really? Kurlin shook her head incredulously. He seems to really change. Yeah, I also find it hard to believe that a playboy young master will become an inspirational silk man. He only needs to counterattack the goddess. Then he is a role model. said Tang Tang. Counterattack the goddess? Lin blushed, but she could still understand this word. Are you talking about Cheng Menjing? Yeah, but Xiao Chen seems to be interested in you, Tang Tang said. Are really? Lin stuttered. He's just kidding, how could he like me? I'm just a poor girl. Haha, isn't he as poor now? Tang Tang laughed. Naturally, Xiao Chen did not pay attention to what Tang Tang and Lin talked about. He could hear it if he wanted to, but he did not want to pry into other people's privacy. After washing the vegetables and meat, Xiao Chen began to cook. A vegetable with mushrooms, a hot and sour bean sprouts, a pot of cauliflower, and a pot of alfalfa tomatoes were all simple home-cooked dishes, and they were very appetizing. However, under Xiao Chen's cooking, whether it was the appearance or the taste, it was at the level of a top hotel. Xiao Chen brought the dishes into the room one by one. Tang Tang lived in an old-fashioned residential building with a small kitchen and no dining room, so she could only eat in the house. The fragrant dishes suddenly made Tang Tang and Lin's eyes widen. To be honest, Tang Tang knew that Xiao Chen could cook, but she did not know that he could cook so well. After all, a good deep-fried dough stick did not mean that other dishes could be cooked well. If you asked a noodle house chef to cook, I'm afraid that he would not be able to cook well. However, Xiao Chen seemed to be really good at cooking. Even without eating, it was already mouth-watering. Okay, let's eat, Xiao Chen said as he set the bowls and chopsticks. Xiao Chen, let's talk about it. Why don't we open a big restaurant together? Tang Tang took a bite of the mushrooms and suddenly narrowed her eyes, looking at Xiao Chen. Are you sure you want to drop out of school? Asked Xiao Chen. Then forget it. Tang Tang was just thinking about it. Her dream was to open a luxury hotel, but it was obviously not the time. After Lin Ke ate it, it was so delicious that she cried. However, she immediately thought of her family's noodle stall. If she could get Xiao Chen to help her make it, wouldn't she be able to earn a lot of money? Then my parents should not be so fussy about small money every day. At least my life would be guaranteed, right? Thinking of her mother at home, she felt that it was a waste to turn on the electric light for a while every day. Lin felt a little sad. Thinking of these unhappy things, although Lin was eating, although the food was delicious, her mood was a little heavy. Sister Lin, what's wrong with you? You seem to be very unhappy. Tang Tang looked at Lin's unhappy look and suddenly felt a little strange. She didn't know what was wrong with her. No, nothing. Lin shook her head. Naturally, she couldn't complain to Tang Tang about the bitter things of her own family. Tang Tang's living environment was not necessarily better than hers. She said this as if she was complaining. Then why don't you smile at all? Is the food cooked by Xiao Chen not delicious? Tang Tang asked strangely. No, it's delicious. Lin gritted her teeth and finally gathered up the courage. If my family's noodle can be so delicious, it would be good. Ha! Tang Tang finally understood what Lin was struggling about. Her family's noodle was not bad, but the taste was too ordinary. Like other beef noodle, it tasted the same. There was no special feature, so the business was not booming. It was definitely not a problem to have enough food, but it was not easy to make money. Let Xiao Chen help you. The chef is right in front of you. What are you still struggling about? Or, forget it? Lin shook her head. If Xiao Chen helped her make beef noodle, let's not talk about whether her mother would agree. Even if she agreed, Xiao Chen still had to fry the youtiao. How could he have time to care about them? Moreover, her mother would think that there was something between them when she saw her asking for him. Her mother looked down on Xiao Chen. AI. Xiao Chen saw that Lin was not sincere, but he really couldn't help even if he wanted to, unless the youtiao stall and the noodle stall merged, but that was impossible. After lunch, it was time for Lin Ke to go back. Xiao Chen sent her downstairs and they ate all the way to the eerie staircase. When she saw the bright and beautiful eyes outside, she finally heaved a sigh of relief. This place was really scary. Fortunately, Xiao Chen didn't go wild. In Lin's eyes, Xiao Chen was a beast that could go wild at any time. When returning to the morning market street, Lin still couldn't forget the delicious apples. So when passing by the fruit stall, Lin gritted her teeth and stomped her feet. She bought the apples with the remaining 10 yuan and then happily returned to her own stall. Didn't you say you were visiting your classmate? Why did you buy so many fruits yourself? Mother Lin saw Lin coming back with so many apples in her hand and immediately frowned. I still have 10 yuan left. The apples I bought before were very delicious. I bought some more when I came back. Mom, you and Dad should try it too. It's really delicious. Lin said. Really? Mother Lin heard Lin said that these apples were bought with 10 yuan. She immediately felt that it was not bad. There was quite a lot. And Kerlin took out 3 apples and washed them. She handed one to her mother, one to her father Lin Dongliang, and kept the last one for herself. She didn't eat it first but waited for her mother to eat it. She looked forward to her mother eating it and seeing her mother's surprised expression like when she first ate it. Mother Lin took the apple and put it to her mouth to take a bite. However, her expression immediately froze. How is it? Isn't it delicious? Kerlin looked at her mother expectantly. Seeing Mother Lin's expression, Kerlin thought that she was shocked because it was too delicious. She had the same expression before. What's delicious about it? Mother Lin was so angry that she directly gave Kerlin's head. She said angrily, "Prodigal child, what rubbish did you buy? How can it be delicious when it's so disgusting?" Kerlin was a little overwhelmed by her mother's sudden outburst. What's going on? Why did my mother say that it's not delicious? It's obviously delicious. With grievance and confusion, Kerlin took a bite of the apple in her hand. However, as soon as she finished biting, she almost spat it out. At Tang Tang's house, she not only ate delicious apples but also had a delicious lunch. Now, the apple in her hand tasted so bad that it was hard for her to swallow. Not only was it not crisp and refreshing, but the most important thing was that it had no taste. It was neither sour nor sweet. It was as bad as it could be. Didn't you say it was delicious? Do you think everyone is a fool? How can delicious apples be sold so cheaply? Mother Lin was really angry with Kerlin. She thought she was quite happy because she was greedy. She didn't expect that she was cheated. But I bought it before. It was really delicious. It didn't taste like this. We all ate it. Kerlin explained with some grievance. We sold the apples in the same store and I chose them myself. That was to sell you some delicious apples first to attract you. Then, when you went to buy them, I sold you the bad ones to fool you. Mother Lin snorted, "You're such a brainless child. You're so stupid. Okay, hurry up and get to work." Kerlin was about to cry. How could it be like what her mother said? Those apples were placed on the ground and picked by herself. The first time was picked by herself and the second time was the same. How could there be good or bad apples? The stall owner didn't have time to change the apples on the ground. Well, the child is also kind. I'll process the apples in the evening and make them into canned syrup. You can also eat it. Lin Dongliang finished the apple in his hand. He smiled and waved his hand to stop Mother Lin from continuing to scold Kerlin. You spoil this girl. She even dares to buy things by herself. Mother Lin complained. She didn't say anything and went to work. Kerlin was puzzled. She looked at the bag of apples in her hand stupidly. Xiaochen didn't know that he had been imagined as an orc. When he returned to Tang Tang's home, he saw that Tang Tang had gotten up and was about to wash the dishes. Tang Tang, you just recovered from a serious illness. How can you do this? Xiaochen quickly walked over. The tap water here is underground. It's too cold. I'm afraid that you'll have problems again. Chapter 160. It's okay. How can I be so delicate? When I didn't know you, I survived at home and didn't die. Tang Tang smiled and walked into the kitchen. She reached out to turn the faucet and prepared to wash the dishes. However, it didn't work. Xiaochen quickly went to help, but Tang Tang thought that Xiaochen was going to rush to wash the dishes. In a hurry, the faucet broke directly with a ka sound. The violent water sprayed out and Tang Tang was instantly drenched. The cold underground water couldn't help but make Tang Tang shiver. Her whole body quivered, especially since Tang Tang was only wearing pajamas. She was directly penetrated by the cold water. Ah! Tang Tang exclaimed and quickly turned back. However, Xiaochen was also walking to this side to help. As a result, Tang Tang suddenly bumped into Xiaochen's arms. If Tang Tang didn't get wet, it would be better. Now that she was wet, the thin pajamas were not only transparent, but also stuck to her body, directly outlining the shape of her chest. Xiaochen felt something soft sticking to him. Although it was a little wet, it was very comfortable. Xiaochen couldn't understand why he had this feeling for Tang Tang. They should be brothers, but Xiaochen had a reaction. Xiaochen despised himself. Isn't it just a little bigger and a little softer? I can't be so shameless, right? Although he was a little reluctant, Xiaochen quickly let go of Tang Tang. You go and change your clothes? Let me see what's wrong with this faucet. Okay. Tang Tang was also a little absent-minded before. She seemed to enjoy the feeling in Xiaochen's arms. Even if she was taken advantage of by Xiaochen, Tang Tang also felt very happy. Xiaochen finally knew why many sexy models on the internet liked to take photos with their bodies wet. It was really very tempting. Xiaochen couldn't look at it directly. He was very ashamed of his thoughts on Tang Tang. When Tang Tang left the kitchen, Xiaochen was relieved. He looked at the faucet that was still leaking and quickly closed the main valve. This faucet was the kind of spiral rotation which was basically not seen in daily life. Xiaochen couldn't understand why there was such an old thing in Tang Tang's rented house. However, this kind of thing had been in disrepair for a long time. It was normal to break it with too much strength. Even if Xiaochen was a cultivator, he couldn't repair this thing. He could only go downstairs to buy a new one. Knowing that Tang Tang was changing clothes in the house, Xiaochen didn't go to say hello and went downstairs. Xiaochen took a deep breath. His mind seemed to be a lot weaker. Was it because he hadn't had that kind of high-intensity hard exercise for a long time? In the past, Xiaochen was the playboy of the Xiao family. He didn't do anything to Kerlin even if he had the conditions. But today he had fantasies about Tang Tang. It seemed that the comfortable life of a cultivator was easy to make people bad. He didn't have to exercise so hard every day, so his mind began to be used in other places. Being blown by the wind downstairs, Xiaochen calmed down a lot. He quickly found a hardware store, bought a new faucet and returned to Tang Tang's house. At this time, Tang Tang had changed clothes. Compared with the previous casual clothes, Tang Tang had put on a formal coat. However, in Xiaochen's heart, some strange feeling seemed to begin to faintly make trouble. Seeing Tang Tang made his breath slightly short. Xiaochen was a little embarrassed and didn't dare to look directly at her. Tang Tang generously patted Xiaochen and said, "Hey, we are buddies. You won't be shy just because you touched me, will you? Then don't go to the stall with me tomorrow." "Hi, if you don't have anything, then what can I have?" Xiaochen was afraid that Tang Tang would be embarrassed. But since Tang Tang said so, it would be a little pretentious if he still acted like this. So he laughed and said, "Yes, we are buddies. It's okay to hug and touch." "It's okay, you big head. Don't think about taking advantage of me. I'm not gay." Tang Tang rolled her eyes at Xiaochen and said, "Well, have you bought the faucet? Let's put it on. I'll get the toolbox." Xiaochen calmed down his mood and suppressed the messy and unrealistic ideas in his mind. Xiaochen directly began to study how to dismantle the faucet. At this time, Tang Tang also took the toolbox, which made Xiaochen very surprised. Tang Tang actually had such a thing at home. "Why do you have so many tools?" Xiaochen opened it and found that it was full of wrenches, pliers, screwdrivers and so on. "How can I not prepare everything for my own living? If something is broken, I have to repair it myself." Tang Tang smiled bitterly. Xiaochen nodded, took the tools, and began to dismantle the previous faucet. However, perhaps because it was too old, it was already rusty. Xiaochen tried to dismantle it, but he didn't open it. In this case, it was no longer possible to open it with a lot of strength. If he used too much strength, he might break the water pipe. "Let me help you?" Tang Tang saw that Xiaochen didn't turn off the faucet, so she asked. "No, you are a patient. How can I let you do it?" Xiaochen shook his head and began to think about how to remove the faucet. "If you don't think it's a waste, use your primordial qi to dredge the rust at the junction." In Xiaochen's ears, there was a reminder from the Elder Heaven Ancestor. It turned out that it was possible to use primordial qi in this way. It seemed that my primordial qi was really a treasure. Xiaochen was overjoyed. This is used when craftsmen can't do some relatively small and precise parts when craftsmen can't do it. Cultivators can do it with primordial qi, but you use it in this kind of place and you are still complacent. It's really a waste to let you be a cultivator. The Elder Heaven Ancestor said with some disappointment. Cultivators don't live? I think it's quite good. Xiaochen didn't care. The purpose of his cultivation was to change his life, unlike many cultivators who simply cultivated for the sake of cultivation. With a ka sound, the water faucet was removed by Xiaochen. It was in perfect condition. Then he wrapped the new faucet with a raw material belt and carefully fixed it in the original position. Was done. Originally, Xiaochen didn't know how to install this thing, but after learning in the hardware store, he could skillfully operate it. Xiaochen found that he could be competent for any kind of skilled work. He was really tailor-made to be a servant. The young lady didn't know how to do anything, but he had to know how to ensure a stable job and not be fired. "Well, not bad, a cultivator can give me such a good job. I really have to thank the Elder Heaven Ancestor." The Elder Heaven Ancestor directly fainted because of Xiaochen's idea. "Can't you have a little ambition? Is cultivation for a better servant?" "Xiaochen, I'm a little doubtful now. Are you really the young master of the Xiao family?" No matter how I look at it, I don't think so. Even I can't say that I can change the faucet so skillfully. How can you change it so perfectly? Tang Tang looked at Xiao Chen suspiciously. Indeed, Xiao Chen didn't look like a playboy in the past, including the cooking at noon today. Tang Tang also felt that it was beyond the level of a five-star hotel. I'm now Miss Cheng's servant, and I'm the only servant in the villa. I can't do it. Xiao Chen shrugged. It's not easy to be a servant these days. You have to be an all-rounder. Tang Tang pursed her lips. She wanted to say that he didn't have to do it if he didn't want to, there was no salary and he would be bullied. But thinking about it, Cheng Minjing was Xiao Chen's goddess, and he was so happy even without money, so Tang Tang naturally didn't want to interfere forcibly. After the faucet was changed and the dishes were washed, Xiao Chen saw that it was almost time, and it was not good to continue to stay here and disturb Tang Tang's rest. Although the previous embarrassment had been solved, Xiao Chen always felt a little strange in his heart. It was better to go back and calm down, otherwise it would not be good to affect the friendship between him and Tang Tang because of this matter. Are you leaving? Tang Tang seemed to see Xiao Chen's purpose and asked. Well, it's not early. You rest a little more. I'll go back first, said Xiao Chen. If there's nothing else, have dinner here. I'll cook for you in the evening. Tang Tang urged him to stay. I'll cook for you in the evening? Xiao Chen found that he was thinking about it again. Knowing that Tang Tang didn't mean that, Xiao Chen still couldn't help thinking about it. Shaking his head, Xiao Chen said, No, I haven't had such a free Sunday for a long time. I want to go out for a walk. Okay. Tang Tang didn't force him. Hey, are you still hiding from me because of what happened just now? How is that possible? Xiao Chen shook his head, pretending to be cool. I was imagining you as your cousin just now. From a certain angle, the two of you do look a little similar. Oomph. I know you're interested in my cousin. You don't mean what you say. Tang Tang was happy. I'll introduce her to you when I have a chance. Sure, you're the one who said it. Xiao Chen smiled as well, concealing his dirty thoughts from before. By the way, there's one thing I'm very confused about. How did you get into my house? Do you have the key? Tang Tang wanted to ask before, but the first time was too uncomfortable and she forgot it. The second time was when Kerlin came with her, so she didn't ask. Oh, I practiced unlocking when I had nothing to do. Xiao Chen said seriously, You know, I'm now determined to be a full-time servant, the personal master of the campus bell, so I have to know everything. In case Cheng Minjing locks the key at home, I have to quickly unlock it. Who would believe that? Didn't you say that there's another guest in your villa? Tang Tang curled her lips. I know, you must be looking for a chance to sneak into Cheng Minjing's bedroom. Okay, you guessed it right. Xiao Chen shrugged. The main thing is that I have the intention but not the guts. I think so too. Tang Tang smiled and said, Okay, then I won't see you off. See you tomorrow morning. Xiao Chen went out of Tang Tang's house and was about to walk around, but his phone rang. To Xiao Chen's surprise, it was Zhu Xiong who he hadn't contacted for a while. Chapter 161. Hero? Xiao Chen picked up the phone. He was wondering where this kid disappeared to. However, Xiao Chen was really busy recently, so he didn't take the initiative to ask. Xiao Chen was actually afraid that Zhu Xiong was just hot-blooded at the beginning. When he calmed down, he would succumb to the pressure from his family and cut off contact with him. If that was the case, it would be awkward for Xiao Chen to look for him. After all, Qin Jinping was a living example. Although Xiao Chen felt that Zhu Xiong wasn't that kind of person, it was hard to say for the people in his family. Bro, I'm Lao Zhu. Have you forgotten me? Zhu Xiong's excited voice came from the other side of the phone. That's great. Bro, you are still alive. You want me to die so much? Xiao Chen was speechless. No. Bro, you have already left the Xiao family. There is a bloody storm outside, but you can still survive. You are so awesome. I was really afraid that you were assassinated by a villain. Zhu Xiong said, Where are you? I'm going to find you now. Look. I'm at the Morning Market Street near the second high school. Xiao Chen reported his address. Why did you disappear recently? Don't mention it. I was beaten up by my old man. The next day there were signs of a breakthrough. So, my family's ancestor took me away for a closed-door training. Now, I'm a martial artist with stage 1 inner force. Wow. I'm preparing to accompany the bro to show off his prowess and beat up Chao Yuliang. Zhu Xiong said arrogantly. Xiao Chen was speechless. Chao Yuliang was a master at the peak of stage 3 inner force. You're just a stage 1 inner force expert, yet you're able to beat them to a pulp? However, it was normal that Zhu Xiong didn't know Chao Yuliang's true strength. Qin Jinping is a stage 2 inner force martial artist, and his brother is dead. The Qin family's cultivation resources are all given to him. I heard that he is showing signs of a breakthrough. If you want to beat up Chao Yuliang, how can he just stand by and watch? Motherf asterisk her, it's that traitor again. Zhu Xiong was furious at the mention of Qin Jinping. If it wasn't for him, Chao Yuliang would be dead. Wait for me, I'll go look for you right now. Let's meet and talk in detail. Okay, I'll wait for you. Xiao Qin hung up the phone and couldn't help but smile. Zhu Xiong was still so cute. Moreover, it seemed that the Zhu family didn't restrict Zhu Xiong's actions anymore, and Zhu Xiong disappeared during this period of time because he was in seclusion to break through. However, before Zhu Xiong arrived, the sky started to drizzle. It seemed that the rain was purposely taking care of Xiao Qin by not opening his stall. Generally, when it rained, everyone would close their stalls early. After all, it was impossible to do open-air business when it rained. They found a bus stop to take shelter from the rain. Xiao Qin slowly waited for Zhu Xiong. Not long after, a convertible Jaguar F-type sports car stopped at the bus stop. Zhu Xiong sat inside and shouted at Xiao Qin, "Boss, here. You're still driving a convertible in the rain?" Xiao Qin looked at Zhu Xiong, who was drenched in rain. He was really speechless. "Boss, you also know that with my figure I can't sit in a sports car that isn't convertible." Zhu Xiong said with a sad face, "I usually take the MPV. I thought that since I'm here to pick up boss today, I wanted to be cool. Who knew that it would rain halfway?" Xiao Qin got in the car and sat on his butt. Can this car still be driven after being drenched like this? Xiao Qin felt that he was stupid to take the car like this. A bus passed by them. Inside the window, a little boy pointed at Xiao Qin and Zhu Xiong and said, "Dad, why didn't they open the canopy? They're so stupid. And they probably borrowed the car and came out to show off. They don't know how to use the canopy," explained his father. Xiao Qin was a cultivator. When he heard every single word that was said, he had the urge to get out of the car and walk away. Fortunately, Xiao Qin's face was thicker than the city wall. He was used to it. Finally, Zhu Xiong found a cafe and stopped the car. Then he and Xiao Qin walked into the cafe dripping with water. Zhu Xiong locked the car and closed the canopy, which made the security guard at the side stunned. Are these two people crazy? They closed the canopy after getting off the car? "Boss, I'm so sorry. I've caused you to be drenched like this." Zhu Xiong found a seat and sat down. He looked at Xiao Qin apologetically. "Alright, let's not talk about this." Xiao Qin waved his hand and said, "I'm not Xiao Qin anymore. I can endure any harsh environment." "Right, speaking of this, boss, how have you been recently? I heard that you went to be a servant for Qing Menjing. Did she bully or humiliate you?" Zhu Xiong used to be Xiao Qin's #1 follower. Naturally, he knew that he and Qing Menjing weren't happy. Although they were engaged, they were almost strangers in school. Xiao Qin even pursued Qing Menjing's bestie Xin Jingxian in front of her. This was something that no woman could tolerate. Her fiancé actually pursued another woman in front of her, and she was even her good friend. Now Qing Menjing had become Xiao Qin's mistress. It would be strange if she didn't retaliate against him. "No, Menjing's personality is actually quite good and she treats me well." Xiao Qin lowered his voice and said, "But this is also limited to you and me. Don't tell anyone." "Damn. Really?" Zhu Xiong's eyes widened. "That's not right. I heard that the Qing family humiliated you in every way possible. Not only do you have to endure Miss Cheng's harassment every day, but you also don't have a salary. How can it be good?" "Boss, it's not shameful to tell the truth. I, your younger brother, will support you no matter what. Do I need to lie to you?" Xiao Qin looked at Zhu Xiong's disbelief and couldn't help but smile bitterly. "That's the rumor outside. If the rumor is that Qing Menjing treats me well, the Qing family would have already gone crazy." "Really?" Zhu Xiong still didn't quite believe it. He looked at Xiao Qin suspiciously. "With Qing Menjing's cold and arrogant appearance, it's impossible for her to treat you well, right? Well, let's not talk about this. I'm living well now." Xiao Qin waved his hand and didn't continue this topic. "Well, boss, if you have any difficulties you must tell me. I will do my best." Zhu Xiong saw that Xiao Qin seemed to be really fine, so he didn't ask any more. Although he still didn't believe that Qing Menjing didn't retaliate against Xiao Qin. "How much money do you have?" Xiao Qin suddenly asked. He was really poor now. Tomorrow night was the last day. He had to buy medicinal herbs the day after tomorrow. Now he still didn't have a penny. Money? By the way, boss, this time I came to give you living expenses. Zhu Xiong patted his head. He took out a bank card from his pocket and handed it to Xiao Chen. I know you don't have a salary now. It must be difficult for you to move around. Look at you, now you are reduced to eating in the morning market. We used to eat in restaurants. Zhu Xiong still didn't know that Xiao Chen had a stall in the morning market. It seemed that he didn't get the news during his closed-door training. Thank you. How much is this? Xiao Chen didn't hesitate. He was really short of money. Even if Zhu Xiong didn't give it to him, he planned to ask to borrow it. 200,000 yuan. It's my living expenses for the next 2 months. Boss, you have to save some money. Zhu Xiong said. Xiao Chen was very touched. Zhu Xiong didn't have much money. It wasn't that there weren't people who spent money extravagantly. However, Zhu Xiong's family education was more strict. So he didn't have much pocket money. However, Zhu Xiong really didn't spend much money. This 200,000 yuan, if it was when Xiao Chen just bought medicine, would be a huge amount of money. But now it was really a drop in the bucket. However, it was better than nothing. Xiao Chen wouldn't refuse it because it was too little. And I'm borrowing it from you. When I have money in the future, I will return it to you. Xiao Chen said. Boss, aren't you looking down on me? If you still need to return it, I won't bring it back. Zhu Xiong said. All right, then I won't return it. Xiao Chen smiled. That's more like it. Zhu Xiong was satisfied. He summoned the waiter to order something. Hello, sir. What do you need? The waiter came over and asked politely. Give me a bowl of ginger soup. Zhu Xiong was soaked in the rain just now. I'm sorry, sir. This is a coffee shop. We don't have ginger soup. The waiter said with some difficulty. Just give me 2 hot drinks. Xiao Chen waved his hand and said to the waiter. Okay. The waiter was relieved. He nodded and went to prepare. Boss, why didn't you let me say it? Zhu Xiong was a little depressed. Your next sentence will definitely be 1,000 yuan. Do you have ginger soup? Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. Save some money. How many youqiao do you think I, your boss, can earn 1,000 yuan by selling? Selling youqiao? What do you mean? Zhu Xiong was inexplicable. I sell youqiao every day at the morning market street. Missy doesn't give me a salary. I have to make a living, right? Xiao Chen said. It can't be? Boss, I'm so sorry. You suffered. If I came out earlier, this wouldn't have happened. Zhu Xiong finally understood why Xiao Chen appeared near the morning market street. Boss, don't worry. I'm already a stage 1 inner force warrior. I can do some simple warrior missions. I'll go to the warrior guild to accept missions and help you earn money. Don't sell that youqiao. Warrior guild? Xiao Chen suddenly thought of something after being reminded by Zhu Xiong. The warrior guild would often issue missions with rewards. However, Xiao Chen wasn't a warrior before. Although he had heard of it, he didn't understand it. Therefore, if Zhu Xiong didn't mention it, he would have ignored it. Now that he heard Zhu Xiong's words, his interest was piqued. Anyone can accept this mission from the warrior guild? Is the reward high? Yes, you can. However, the missions will indicate the warrior's level. If your level is too low and you die, not only will the warrior guild not pay the reward, they won't care about your life or death. Zhu Xiong said. However, I can only accept simple missions that can be done by a stage 1 inner force warrior. As for the reward, the average for a mission is tens of thousands yuan. The highest reward is not more than 100,000 yuan. Chapter 162. So that's how it is. Xiao Chen thought of his own father, who had accepted a trial mission issued by the warrior guild. The reward was very generous, but there was no news of him in the end, and the warrior guild did not give any explanation. This was a gamble that one was willing to take. Risk and reward coexisted. Xiao Chen sighed and said, Later, do you have time? I want to go to the warrior guild to take a look and find out if there is any news of my father. Zhu Xiong was stunned, and then realized that mentioning the warrior guild had evoked Xiao Chen's sadness. He quickly nodded and said, Of course, I also want to test my strength so I can do a small mission or something. Then it's settled. Although Xiao Chen also wanted to find out news of his father, the most important thing was to see if he could get a mission with a high reward. After all, there would always be people in the Xiao family to find out about his father's news. Once there was news, it would spread immediately, so it would be useless for him to find out. Boss, Uncle Xiao, So many people went to find out about the news, but there was no result. You should restrain your grief. Zhu Xiong hesitated and said, "This matter is not something we can change. I hope you can walk out of this reality as soon as possible. Isn't the Qing family powerful? Didn't the Qing family also send people to look for them, but there was no news in the end?" I know, I'm just going to take a look." Xiao Qin sighed. Sometimes it's good to have hope in life, or else we're just walking corpses. What was the goal Xiao Qin was working hard to achieve now? One was for himself and the other was for his father. He did not believe the so-called rumor that the trial team leader made a mistake. Since there was a mistake and the whole team was wiped out, where did this rumor come from? Just like the matter of him jumping off the cliff, where did the rumor in the school come from? All of this was extremely strange. The school incident was definitely done by Chao Yuliang, but regarding his father, Xiao Qin did not believe that Chao Yuliang had such great ability. Could it be the Chao family? However, according to what Xiao Qin knew, the Chao family's power could not cover the sky with one hand. It was very likely that the Chao family as a whole had hidden their strength. That was too strong. That's true, then let's go take a look. Zhu Xiong saw that Xiao Qin had an open mind, so he did not say anything else. He was afraid that Xiao Qin would take things too hard. "But boss, you are the center of attention. You are now. It is not good for you to appear in the warrior guild. It's not good for you to appear in the Xiao Qin. You Xiao Qin Xiao Tian." It had to be said that although Zhu Xiong looked simple-minded and muscular, that was not the case at all. This kid was very shrewd. Even he felt that something was wrong. What's there to be angry about? I'm just keeping a low profile now. I was just about to talk to you about this. Xiao Qin said, "Why don't we go buy 2 masks later? It'll be fine if no one can recognize us." "That's fine too. That's a good idea." Zhu Xiong nodded. "It's just as well. I don't want others to know that I went to take on low-level missions. It's too embarrassing for the children of aristocratic families to take on those missions. I'm afraid that my father will beat me up if he finds out." Those low-level missions were usually taken on by martial artists. The children of aristocratic families were not too short of money. Taking on those low-level missions was like snatching food from beggars. If it were to be spread, people would look down on them. If you were not strong enough, you could just stay in your family or take on higher-level missions. However, to avoid embarrassment, you could still wear a mask to take on missions. After all, no one would know who you were if you wore a mask. Some martial artists would choose to wear a mask to take on missions because they were afraid that others would recognize them. After all, some missions might lead to revenge. They were not willing to reveal their true identity. Zhu Xiong called the waiter over and paid the bill. The two of them left the cafe together. The rain outside was still pitter-patter. Xiao Qin really could not stand it. He had just warmed up and now he was drenched again. Therefore, under Xiao Qin's strong request, Zhu Xiong closed the canopy. However, his fat body was curled up in the car and it was very painful. Fortunately, it didn't take long for the car to stop in front of a toy shop by the roadside. Zhu Xiong and Xiao Qin got out of the car and walked in to buy masks. Zhu Xiong had a soft spot for pig avatars. It might be because he was fat and his nickname was Old Pig. Therefore, he directly took a Zhu Beiji mask and said to Xiao Qin, "I have chosen. This is it." However, Xiao Qin immediately saw the mask that was exactly the same as the Arctic Fox mask that he had bought before. This kind of mask was mass-produced by the manufacturer and could be seen everywhere. Although Xiao Qin continued to use it might eventually expose his identity, the person with him was Zhu Xiong. He believed that Zhu Xiong wouldn't say anything. Therefore, Xiao Qin took the white fox mask and placed it on the counter. The 2 masks didn't cost much. After the boss took the money, he didn't even bother to look at Xiao Qin and Xiao Qin. However, the more he did so, the more confident Xiao Qin was. After leaving the shop and getting into the car, the 2 of them went straight to the warrior guild. As the 2 of them wanted to hide their identities, Zhu Xiong parked the car in a nearby public parking lot. Then, the 2 of them put on their masks and walked to the warrior guild. This was Xiao Qin's first time coming to the warrior guild. In the past, he was useless and was embarrassed to come to a place where martial artists gathered. Anyone there was stronger than him. What was he doing here? Moreover, the Xiao family wouldn't bring him here. Back then, Xiao Qin's father, Xiao Feng, was also afraid that it would hurt Xiao Qin's self-esteem. However, things have changed with the passage of time. Xiao Qin came here again, but he didn't feel any pressure at all. He was now equivalent to a martial artist at the peak of Stage 4 inner force. In the warrior guild he would be one of the best. What was there for Xiao Qin to be afraid of? Hello, please show me your warrior guild membership card. When the two of them entered the warrior guild, they were stopped by the guard. This place wasn't a place that anyone could enter. After all, the world of martial artists was very different from the world of ordinary people. Many ordinary people might not even know the existence of martial artists in their lifetime. Even if they accidentally entered this place, they would think that it was a private entertainment club and wouldn't take it seriously. This is our first time here. Xiao Qin said, we don't have a guild membership card yet. Oh, then are you martial artists? The guard nodded and asked. After all, some ordinary people who had heard of the warrior guild would occasionally pretend to be martial artists and come here to broaden their horizons. That's right, we are all martial artists at stage 1 inner force. Xiao Qin nodded and said affirmatively. Alright, come with me. I want to give you a martial artist test. If you pass, I will apply for a membership card for you. If you don't pass, I'm sorry, but please leave. The guard said. No problem. Xiao Qin replied. Zhu Yingxiong wanted to say something, but he didn't have time to speak. He only heard Xiao Qin say it. However, he was a little anxious. Xiao Qin wasn't a martial artist. What if he didn't pass the test? One had to know that the warrior guild was very strict with non-affiliated martial artists. However, it wasn't so strict with the 9 aristocratic families. Regardless of whether they were members of the 4 aristocratic families or the 5 aristocratic families, they were all qualified to apply for a warrior guild membership card. Xiao Qin also knew about this. Just now, Zhu Yingxiong's identity was probably going to be exposed. Therefore, Xiao Qin took the initiative to treat them as non-affiliated martial artists. The two followed the guard all the way to a room. There was nothing in the room except for a large machine. The guard walked over and sat in front of a computer. He said directly, go ahead and hit with all your strength. Otherwise, if you don't pass the test, you will have to leave. I'll go first. Zhu Yingxiong thought that if he passed, even if Xiao Qin didn't pass, he should be able to make an exception and prove that they weren't scammers. Therefore, Zhu Yingxiong came to the front of the machine and threw a punch at the testing area, on it. Boom. There was a loud noise. On the other side, the guard stared at the computer screen in front of him without blinking. After a while, the value of 1.2 inch appeared on the screen. This proved that Zhu Yingxiong's strength was 1.2 times that of a normal stage 1 inner force martial artist. The test passed. Okay, you can go. The guard nodded to Zhu Yingxiong. This time it was Xiao Qin's turn. Zhu Yingxiong was so anxious that his forehead was covered in sweat. However, when he saw that Xiao Qin was calm and composed without any hesitation, he could only hold back his words and wait for the results. Boom. There was another loud noise. The value of 1.9 inch suddenly appeared on the guard's computer screen. This made Zhu Yingxiong's eyes widen. It can't be, right? Xiao Qin actually had 1.9 times the strength. Wasn't this the level of a peak stage 1 inner force martial artist who was about to break through? Sure enough, the guard nodded in satisfaction. You're almost a stage 2 inner force martial artist. Not bad. You've passed the test. You can come with me to apply for a membership card. Looking at the result of his test, Xiao Qin could not help but smile bitterly. He had already controlled his strength to maintain the strength of a stage 1 Qi refinement stage martial artist. However, who would have thought that a stage 1 Qi refinement stage martial artist would be so powerful? But thinking about it carefully, it was normal that a stage 1 Qi refinement stage martial artist was equivalent to a stage 1 inner force martial artist. Although Zhu Yingxiong had a lot of questions, it was not a good place to ask. He could only look at Xiao Qin in confusion. What's your name? It can be your real name or your code name. The guard began to input the information into the computer and said, but you have to think carefully. This name will be your lifelong name in the Warrior Guild. You can't change it, unless you don't want your previous level points and start all over again. Okay, I'm called Old Zhu. The identity of Zhu Yingxiong was only a temporary one. In the future, he was destined to use the identity of the young master of the Zhu clan to establish a file in the Warrior Guild. Therefore, it did not matter what this identity was called, it was just a code. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.